Oscar, the child of the magic tower, was born with tremendous power, but could not control it. Every time his power erupted, the entire magic tower shook, causing untold consequences. He was given the mission to defeat the dark forces and, at the same time, learn to control himself. Oscar's journey is a series of dangerous trials, fighting monsters and discovering the origins of his mysterious power. This is a dramatic story revolving around the magic tower, breathtaking battles, and secrets gradually being unveiled. Follow this captivating series with Academy Manhwa. Oscar was kneeling on the ground, surrounded by corpses. His hands were placed on the ground, a small magic circle appearing. Oscar spoke, "Answer me." Light radiated around his hands. Oscar weakly asked, "If anyone is alive, please answer me." The surrounding space remained silent, without a response. Blood and corpses were piled high. He did not give up, calling out, "If you can't speak, move, or make a sound." Next, the magic circle grew larger, surrounding Oscar as he sat there. He pleaded earnestly, "Please." Looking up, his face sorrowful, he thought to himself, "So, in the end, there is no one. Am I the only one alive?" His eyes darted off into the distance, looking at something. Thinking of the man with horns on his head, he assessed him, the one who first unified the demon race. Remembering his cruel actions, Oscar resentfully thought, causing the downfall of humanity. Oscar murmured, "High Priest." Suddenly, an image of a ferocious demon appeared before him, mouth open, lunging towards a screaming newborn baby. Oscar immediately began chanting. Instantly, the demon vanished. A sphere of light enveloped the child. Then, gentle hands supported the child, slowly lowering it. Oscar marched bravely with a group of people. In his memory, he thought, "Myself and the mages from the White Magic Tower who followed me." At that moment, Oscar frowned and shouted, his thoughts racing. "And the mages from the White Magic Tower who followed me." He kept casting magic. Oscar struggled, having bet everything. Seeing him cast a spell, Oscar rushed forward to block the attack. His head lay rolling on the ground. Oscar pondered, for the future of humanity, if it were not for us, no one could do it. But Edna suddenly appeared, announcing 3:12 p.m., April 28th. The death of the High Priest is confirmed. Oscar looked at the person before him and weakly called out, "Edna, the last dragon in the world, the recorder of history, Edna Sol Laplace." She bowed her head, looking at Oscar and reporting, "Master of the White Magic Tower, I have good news and bad news for you." He replied, "Bad news first." His expression darkened as he heard Edna's even voice. As expected, the Demon Legion has invaded the White Magic Tower. In the process, most of the mages did not survive. The Magic Tower was partially destroyed, and most of the documents and mages were burned to ashes. Oscar, his hair disheveled, asked, "What is the good news?" She replied, "The royal army arrived earlier than expected, so they rescued some survivors, including your disciples." Oscar put his hand to his chin, thoughtfully exclaiming, "That is a relief." Immediately after, he was startled when he heard Edna ask, "Do you regret your decision today?" A fleeting look of sadness crossed his face, but he said firmly, "I do not. I personally chose each one of them. I can't say I regret it in front of them." Edna continued to remind him, "Is there anything else you want to say?" Hearing this, Oscar looked at his blood-stained hands and pondered. He delivered his message, "Please take care of my disciples. They are still young, they must be very worried." Edna bowed her head slightly and replied, "I will check in on them from time to time." Oscar smiled gently, exclaiming, "A dragon bowing before a mere human." She calmly replied, "You have earned it." Edna continued to express, "The entire continent, and I, will never forget the sacrifice of the hero from the White Magic Tower." He closed his eyes, tilted his head, and teased in response, "Of course." Then Oscar secretly pondered, "It would be a lie if I said I had no regrets. Even though I might be the best mage, I was not a good leader. But if, just if," thinking of the days he spent playing with the children, Oscar regretfully told himself, "If I had another chance, even if I was called a villain, I would live a selfish life only for my people." Remembering those 3 adorable children, he yearned in his heart, "I want to live like that." Immediately after, he smiled, his hand relaxing. A hand was placed over his eyes. She spoke, 3:47 p.m., April 28th. A beam of light flashed across the sky. Below, voices continuously rang out, confirming the death of the master of the White Magic Tower, Sage Oscar. At that moment, a small leaf gently fell on the table, where a piece of paper was placed, reading, "High Priest, dead. 132 level 6 mages of the White Magic Tower, killed. 19 level 7 mages of the White Magic Tower, killed. 2 level 8 mages of the White Magic Tower, killed." The moment the leaf landed on the paper was also the moment a life ended. Level 9 mage of the White Magic Tower, Tower Master, Sage Oscar, killed. At a large tower, standing tall in the sky, a man lay in a hospital bed. A small leaf gently fell into his hand. Suddenly, he jolted awake in fright. His hand accidentally brushed against Frank, who was carrying a basin of water. He exclaimed in surprise. Frank complained, annoyed, "Hey, I am all wet. I was going to change your cloth." Putting the basin of water on the table, he grumbled, "Your sleeping habits are really bad. You do not even appreciate my care." He thought in surprise, sleeping habits. Oscar confusedly put his hand on his chest, wondering, I was sleeping, in such an unguarded state? No, more importantly, his heart was still beating in his chest. Oscar wondered, I was dead, was not I? Remembering the moment he was stabbed in the heart, he was constantly doubting, why is my heart? Oscar was still immersed in his thoughts. Surely the high priest pierced through my heart. Suddenly a loud knock echoed, along with a shout. Hey, what is going on? Maxim entered with a menacing aura, shouting, You are awake! Behind him was the shattered door, what used to be a door. Frank hurriedly ran to block him, advising, Elder, calm down. He only just opened his eyes 5 minutes ago. He angrily rushed forward, shouting, Get out of the way! Frank, I have let it slide several times already, but this time, I am definitely going to straighten this bastard out, he said in a panic. He is still a patient. Suddenly, the two of them froze when they heard his voice. How am I still alive? Immediately, Maxim's expression became even angrier as he replied. Right, you are even surprised that you are still alive, Oscar cluelessly asked. That robe, it seems you are a mage from the White Magic Tower, right? Sitting on the hospital bed, he ordered, explain the situation in detail. Daring to speak to me like that, Frank tremblingly asked, confused. Hey, what is going on? Maxim, hearing this, petrified, muttering non-stop, explain. Sparks flashed in his eyes. Maxim crazily asked again, explain. His hand rose, rushing forward and shouting, Have you lost your mind? You should be begging and showing remorse. Looking at the hand coming down in front of him, Oscar wondered in his heart. An attack, an assassin planted by the demon race. If so, immediately, Oscar deployed a magic circle, windshield. The outstretched hand was stopped. He calculated, if this windshield forms instantly and blocks the hand, the opponent's wrist will break like straw. Looking at the person before him, he assessed. This lowly guy did not even think about it before attacking. Suddenly, the magic gradually disappeared, causing Oscar to think in surprise. The windshield disappeared. Looking down at his palm, he stunned and complained in his heart, Wait, what pathetic magic is this you? Maxim waved his hand nonchalantly, replying, The windshield was pretty good. So all this time, you were not just goofing off. Then he walked away, instructing, I will postpone disciplining you for embezzling research funds, so for now, just focus on recovering. Frank hurriedly pushed Maxim away, adding, Goodbye, sir. Then he turned to look at Oscar and asked, Hey, are you crazy? On the other hand, Oscar on this side was constantly trembling, wondering in his heart, the windshield disappeared as soon as I used it. How long have I been asleep? Frank started walking, complaining, Elder Maxim's personality. You are really strange. Oscar did not answer, but clenched his fist, telling himself, Mana flow, mana quantity, and mana purity are all crap. Is this really my body? In his heart, he was constantly screaming, What happened to my body? Then he shouted, What day is it today? Frank flinched, lamenting, Oh my gosh, September 21st, you have been unconscious. He doubtingly muttered, I have been asleep for 5 months. He walked to touch the glass, looking out and continuing, What are you saying? It has only been almost a day. Immediately after, Oscar sighed and ordered, Whatever. Call Lloyd. If not, Gilly or Shasha, I need to hear the exact situation from them. Hearing this, Frank called out, confused, Huh? He cast magic on the door, guessing. Doesn't seem like acting. Did he really lose his memory? Even if he ignores the traitors, how dare he say the Tower Master's name so casually? He sat on the bed, listening and asking, puzzled. Traitors, Frank replied. Did you even forget about that? Is it a side effect? Not stopping there, Frank continued to recount. Lloyd Schultz left the White Magic Tower to become a disciple of the Red Tower Master, and Juliet Dominic ran away with high-level magic books. Oscar immediately became angry and shouted, veins popping, How dare you spew such bullshit? Frank turned his head, blankly looking. He looked at him, thinking, the atmosphere around him is not wavering at all. Is he telling the truth? He then regained his composure and asked, So Shasha became the Tower Master. Frank expressed admiration, praising, He is totally the best. Oscar sweated, wondering, how could a 5-year-old become a Tower Master? On this side, Frank clutched his head, exclaiming, Add a 2 in front of the 5? Looking at the clueless, happy boy in front of him, he reassured himself, That is right. Some children have very rich imaginations. Why are you getting angry at a child, Sage Oscar? Catching his reflection in the glass, Oscar exclaimed, But those lies sound pretty real. Suddenly, his face showed a momentary stunned surprise. Oscar gasped, embracing his unfamiliar face. At that moment, Oscar sat in a chair, muttering to himself, Even seeing it with my own eyes, it is still unbelievable. It has been 20 years since my death. Looking at the magnificent city before him, he thought in disbelief. It has developed so much. Looking off into the distance, Oscar asked curiously, That thing that is shining is called a street lamp, and those are cars. Looking at the smiles of the people of this era, he pondered, It is all thanks to the magic technical revolution. Then he propped his hand up, sighed, and thought, They would have wanted to see this so much. Pressing his finger against the glass, Oscar recalled, When the world was on the verge of collapse, every place was filled with eyes giving up. Looking at a new, steadfast Oscar in the glass again, he told himself, Realistion time is over. It is time to sort out everything I know about this body's owner. After that, he crossed his legs, assessing himself. Oscar Crushen, adopted by the White Magic Tower at the age of 10, and is currently 20 years old. He is a level 1 mage from a ruined noble family. A handsome face, though. Feeling the energy within him, Oscar lamented, but he is a terrible mage. 20 years old, and only reached level 1. Thinking of that red potion, Oscar mused. As a result, he had to hastily buy an illegal potion by embezzling research funds, and surprisingly, after drinking it, he constantly judged, that is right, if successful, the mana in his body would increase several times. But if he failed, his life would be in danger, so it is illegal. Frank said I was unconscious all day after drinking it, but in reality, maybe he died from mana explosion. Suddenly, his eyes widened in surprise. Looking at the vast blue energy in front of him, Oscar sweated, exclaiming, what is this? Just a level 1 mage, and he has so much mana. Touching the energy, he continuously assessed. Most of it is still unrefined, pure mana. Is it all thanks to that cheap illegal potion? Modern society, it is really different. Suddenly, something appeared from within the energy. Strange purple spots appeared on his finger, causing him to wonder, what is this? Black liquid stuck to his hand. Then it turned into a stream and flowed to the ground. Oscar recoiled in shock. Looking at the thing that just fell and was steaming on the ground, he exclaimed in fear, this is poison. Looking anxiously at his hand, Oscar wondered, why does he have poison in his body? A second later he laughed, saying, I understand. The hand in front of him caused Oscar to happily exclaim, I roughly understand now. Looking up at the potion on the table, he speculated, first, that illegal potion was not exactly a scam. No matter what the price, it would be very difficult to get a potion. The problem is, he said firmly, Oscar Crushen did not know there was poison inside it. After examining the amount of poison left and the amount of time he was unconscious, I am even more certain. In other words, he did not die from mana explosion, but from poison. Oscar looked thoughtfully at the hand in front of him, judging, and the level of poison is too high for a level 1 mage to withstand. If it were not for me, it would be very difficult to detect this. A second later, he clenched his fist. Propping himself up, he told himself, I do not know who is playing with my soul, but the consequence is. Reaching for the potion, he secretly thought, I have been given a second chance like I wished before I died. Looking at the potion in his hand, he exclaimed in his heart, a selfish life for my people? This is not a bad start. He smiled slightly and called out the name, Oscar Crushen. To repay you for lending me this body, I will avenge you. At a large building on the outskirts of Siren, a person called out, there is news from the shop. Arson, holding a bottle of wine in his hand, arrogantly scolded, I am the boss. How many times do I have to tell you to use proper titles? Bart bowed his head, stammering, I am sorry, boss. So what is the matter? Then, he slammed the bottle of wine down on the table when he heard Bart report, the inside of the shop has been completely destroyed. It was done by some mages. Arson angrily exclaimed, what? Who are they to dare to do such a thing? He continued to explain, I am not sure. It seems one of them wants to meet the person who sold him the potion. Could it be Oscar Crushen? How could it be? Oscar is a sage, and besides, how could someone almost killed by our potion defeat our people? Then he asked, sweating, but what if the White Magic Tower decides to investigate this matter? Arson reminded, have you forgotten who asked us to take action against Oscar? Remembering the mysterious man wearing a shining ring on his hand, he recalled. He was wearing a ring from the White Magic Tower. The one who requested it was a mage from the White Magic Tower. Suddenly, someone interrupted. Who knows? The person said slyly, how stupid do you have to be to confidently confirm their origins? Bart, and he turned around in surprise. He exclaimed, who is it? Oscar walked in confidently, declaring loudly, Oscar Crushen. He frowned in his heart, secretly thinking, I followed the faint scent left in the bottle. There are more people involved than I thought. How troublesome. Arson stammered, how did you? You are the one who destroyed our shop, right? Oscar casually walked in, replying, yes, you guessed right. That is me. Then he smiled slightly, suggesting, I am quite interested in the matter you two were talking about. Shall the three of us continue talking? Is that okay? He growled. I was going to let you go if you acted like you did not hear anything, but now, Arson suddenly ordered, kill him. Hearing this, Bart rushed forward, drawing his sword with a crazy look, replying, understood, boss. Oscar said calmly, if you deliberately point your sword at me, then I do not mind retaliating. With just a wave of Oscar's hand exclaiming Windblade, he collapsed. Blood splattered from Bart. A second later, he died. Oscar gritted his teeth, complaining, only cut off his head. Makes me remember that priest's head from before. Arson at this moment exclaimed in a panic, Bart. Then he raised his gun and cursed, you bastard. A moment later, dozens of bullets flew out. Oscar smiled with amusement, praising, not bad. Putting his hand on his chin, Oscar calmly assessed, wind barrier magic, I can't feel any mana in this technique at all. How can you use this to rule over the thugs? Seeing this, he asked in fear, you stopped my bullets, Oscar excitedly asked in response. So these are called bullets. A second later, the dozens of bullets turned around and rushed back at him. He provocatively said, very stimulating. I will return them to you right away. Before he could react, his whole body was hit by several bullets. Lying trembling on the floor, Arson stubbornly cursed. "You damned thing," he calmly announced. "That is right. Let me tell you in advance, your subordinates won't arrive immediately, because every sound in here is blocked by me. You see..." He calmly sat on the chair, stepping on Arson. He angrily exclaimed, "Just a level 1 mage, how can you use a level 5 silence spell?" Oscar generously explained, "It is not silence. What I used is the Fanhuang Chu Puok. I simply bound all the sounds to this room so they can't escape outside." Then he began to interrogate. "Now, I would be very happy if you surrendered and agreed to answer my questions. Who ordered you to harm me?" Unexpectedly, he still stubbornly exclaimed, "I won't." Before he could finish speaking, one of Oscar's feet stepped directly on Arson's face. He glared and complained, "The body suffers for its sins. Understand? Very good tone." His whole body instantly went into shock. He screamed in pain. He analyzed in his heart, "I just manipulated the wind to penetrate his body. Now he will feel like there are thousands of needles pricking all over his body." Then he spoke, "I do not like bullying people." In his heart he thought, "Really attacking here would be too noisy." His mouth kept saying, "So, be wise and confess." Unable to bear it, Arison crawled to grab his leg and begged, "Please, I will confess everything. Just stop it." Oscar nonchalantly ordered, "Very well. Tell me everything you know about that person." Clutching his neck, he recounted, "He gave me a vial of magic potion and some money, telling me to sell it to you at a ridiculously low price. I did not think I could refuse at the time." "What about his appearance?" "Thinking of the man," Arison described. "He was cloaked, so I could not see clearly, but I am certain he was wearing a ring from the White Magic Tower." Oscar continued, "I see," he speculated inwardly. "It is possible it was a trick to deceive this guy." Then the man stammered on, "The scent of that person." Arison looked up, sweating profusely. He emanated a very distinct fragrance, a refreshing and cool mint scent. "That is all I know." Oscar clasped his hands in judgment. "A mint scent, huh? That is worth noting. Assuming you killed me, how did you plan to deal with the aftermath?" The man hesitated and said, "Regarding that, the White Magic Tower is currently busy resolving the withdrawal orders from the 4 main magic towers, so I do not think they will investigate this matter." Oscar frowned again and asked, "Wait, withdrawal orders from the 4 main magic towers? What is that about?" Arison asked, back in confusion. "Aren't you the one who should know better than me?" Oscar replied, "I drank that thing, so I forgot everything." "Are you not going to tell the truth?" The man said, "Let me show you some documents. Please excuse me." Seconds later, he crawled to open a cabinet. Trembling, he handed over the papers. Arison reported, "This is the documentation I have." Flipping through the documents, Oscar muttered, "I will read about the White Magic Tower first." Thinking of the place, Oscar mused, the official designation of April 28th as White Night Day is due to it being the anniversary of the death of the High Priest. To commemorate the sacrifice of the wise Master Oscar, the Emperor granted the tower many significant privileges and exempted it from taxes for 30 years. However, Oscar, sweating, widened his eyes, recalling, "The White Magic Tower does not have high-level magic, but I remember giving all the documents to Edna, in case something like this happened. I need to investigate this matter separately." And, Oscar concluded internally, the White Magic Tower's business performance is the worst. Then he spoke, issuing a command, "Hey, tell me what the 4 main towers are currently dealing in." The man replied respectfully, "Yes, sir. The Yellow Magic Tower, located in the east, controls lightning and has ushered in a spectacular era of magical technology." Mentioning those special items, he assessed, contributing to the birth of revolutionary items such as streetlights and automobiles. The Blue Magic Tower, located in the south, contributes to the beverage, agriculture, and magic potion industries. Thinking of that fiery tower, he continued to explain, the Red Magic Tower, riddled with deserts in the west, has chosen to join the ranks of combat and support in missions like monster subjugation. Oscar asked, "What about the White Magic Tower?" The man mumbled, "The White Magic Tower." Suddenly, Oscar's eyes widened. Oscar froze, wondering to himself, transportation. He clutched his head, trembling, and asked again, "You said, transportation, like transporting goods, that kind of thing," the man continued. "But considering the White Magic Tower's postal service, along with those capable of riding the wind, it is perfectly convenient for transporting goods quickly and safely, right?" Oscar's face turned pale as he thought irritably. Riding the wind. What does that correlate to reality? Then he quickly sank into thought. The mages of the White Magic Tower are those who soar and control the skies, known as the free and courageous. That is why they are compared to dragons and eagles. Oscar emanated a murderous aura and interrogated, specifically, who initiated that business. Arison fearfully confessed, "As far as I know, it is the current head of the White Magic Tower." Hearing this, Oscar realized with wide eyes, "So it is my naughty kids." Oscar switched to another topic. "All right, what about the beverage and agriculture industries? Aren't magic potions already a huge source of profit for a magic tower? Why is the Blue Magic Tower taking on that business?" Hearing the man's answer made Oscar frown in annoyance. The Blue Magic Tower is a bit different. In reality, they are monopolizing the magic potion market. Internally, Oscar thought, 20 years ago, the White Magic Tower was the giant in the magic potion market. If only all the magic potion formulas had not been burned to ashes back then. Arison, now kneeling on the floor, confessed honestly. Regarding the beverage and agriculture business, they are selling clean water at exorbitant prices and bringing rain to drought-stricken areas. Oscar frowned and questioned. What? Why do people have to buy clean water? The man answered in a panic. It has become a fad among the rich lately. Oscar sighed and judged, trying to make a few extra coins and turning themselves into a joke. They should just drink well water, why bother showing off? While flipping through the documents, Oscar concluded internally. In short, the White Magic Tower is falling behind compared to the other magic towers, in terms of profit. That is right, the scale of business of the remaining towers is already on a completely different level. I am sure this year's White Night Festival will be the opportunity to prove their ultimate value. The problem is, there are only 7 months left. Suddenly, Arison trembled all over. He called out with difficulty, Master Oscar, Oscar wondered, did he die from shock or from losing too much blood? As he folded the book, Oscar hesitated. The information he provided is quite valuable. Should I save him or not, Ledger? Suddenly, Oscar was shocked to discover something earth-shattering: arson, assault, illegal loans, extortion, and assassination on request. Oscar jumped up and replied mercilessly. You really are a walking pile of garbage. Arison cried out in fear, Master Oscar. As fast as lightning, Oscar had launched himself from the balcony. In his heart, Oscar continuously exhorted, remember to be a good person in your next life. The next morning, dawn, at the White Magic Tower, Oscar opened the door and sighed. I am so tired. Slumping into a chair, he exclaimed, I can't believe I am this exhausted just from using spells as easy as pie. What is wrong with my body, really? Looking at his hands, Oscar muttered to himself, at this rate, will I be able to use that magic? A source of energy appeared in his hand, Oscar thought. The magic that made the wise sage Oscar the greatest sage in human history, Wind Vault. The energy slowly evaporated, making Oscar regretful. It dissipated. I probably can't use it anymore. Then he said to himself, first, I need to fully understand my current physical condition. I will start scanning with magic. Picking up the book on the table, Oscar calculated. In the meantime, I will grasp more information. Flipping through the pages, he thought incessantly, the memories in my head are all tangled up. While Frank told me some information, the important thing now is to know everything about Oscar Crushen. If I want to keep this body. Scenes surrounded by great fire appeared, he thought. Oscar Crushen, heir to the Crushen County, and the only survivor of the horrific mansion fire that year. Hands reached out from somewhere. Oscar continued to read. The world recognized him as a magical genius very early on. Little Oscar was surrounded by malicious hands. Their high expectations led to fierce competition to recruit him. Growing up, Oscar diligently sat in the lecture hall. He enrolled in the Department of Magic at the Imperial Academy for 6 years, always achieving perfect scores. Growing up, Oscar always strove to confidently present his arguments. By publishing extraordinary theses, he succeeded in proving himself an undeniable genius. Reading to this point, Oscar asked himself in confusion, but why is someone like that stuck at level 1? What a misfortune it turns out it is because of that. If only. Oscar felt regret. He does not have mana deficiency syndrome, or he could have become the greatest mage representing his generation. Then he thought in surprise. Mana deficiency syndrome. This is the first time I have heard of this syndrome, he exclaimed inwardly. If this is true, then his being stuck at level 1 can be fully explained. He understands magic better than anyone, but he can't use it. The information suddenly stopped. He was a little surprised. Is the scan finished? Oscar carefully looked at the display screen, confirming the results. Wait a minute, this is... A little unexpectedly, Oscar frowned as he looked at the information being revealed before his eyes. He does not have mana deficiency syndrome, he muttered. It is not due to illness. He quickly guessed the more important point. Rather, someone has sealed his magical flow. Oscar rummaged through his knowledge. Mana deficiency syndrome, as the name suggests, is a disease where people cannot circulate or accumulate magic. A mage can install a maximum of 20 physical circuits on their mana circuit. The number of physical circuits installed will determine their level. However, if they have mana deficiency syndrome, the entire circuit will not be established, so even if they practice their whole lives, they cannot pass level 3. Thinking of this, he stood up anxiously, thinking, however, Oscar Crushen's circumstances are different. His physical circuit has not truly been twisted. Based on this, he was completely certain, thinking. Rather, it was forced by someone deliberately. But he felt there was a very puzzling point. If this guy is really a genius, then he must know he does not have mana deficiency syndrome. Oscar approached the bookshelf and began searching, while thinking, it would be better if he wrote a diary. He tried to remember all the information related to Crushen. According to Frank, Oscar Crushen is an alcoholic. However, if Oscar suddenly had a bold idea, another hypothesis is that something he deliberately created. He knows that someone blocked his circuit and wants his life, so he deliberately acted like a bad boy. In his head, he tried to explain, pointing out the most important key, thinking, if that is the case, then I will understand why he was tempted by illegal potions in a situation where he could not trust anyone. Oscar felt everything had gradually become easier to understand, sighed, thinking. He had to remove the shackles himself. Conversely, I only need to remove that knot. Suddenly, he was attracted by a notebook. He muttered, I will be able to do that. Then carefully flipping through the contents of each page. Sure enough, there was useful information in here. He stopped at a page in the notebook. The trajectory of wind slash is too boring. It can be supplemented as windshield, a type of defensive magic. With an unlimited number of applications, the advantage of using this is advanced windshield. Can be used as an attack, weapons called guns. Perfect to be re-expressed with the magic of the White Tower. Oscar felt something familiar. Using circulating bullet loops as an engine. The concept behind advanced windshield said here is similar to how I am using it. He exclaimed. It is completely different from the idea and principle of a simple defensive skill. Also, he wrote about how to best use it based on the situation. Besides, there are some other basic magics he created himself. He could not use his magic, but he did all these things as hypothetical experiments in his head. Oscar is Crucian and vice versa. So he understood what was written here quite easily. He assessed, I understand why he is called a genius. We are the same when it comes to interpreting hypotheses. Also, I can know just by looking at this one book. He analyzed and learned that he did not give up magic, but instead worked harder than everyone else. His passion shows me that he loves magic. His hand stopped at the page that said, I hope this book blows even the weakest winds towards the White Tower. From a mage about to undertake the greatest challenge of their mage, a mage about to face their greatest challenge. Oscar stared at these words. Suddenly understood, he exclaimed. So that is it, he knew everything. But he had to do it all alone. He sighed and stood up. Oscar Crucian, a young mage who did not succumb to his fate, and quietly confronted it himself. Then hurriedly walked out. After understanding everything, Oscar said to himself, I swear in the name of Oscar Sage, the 17th Tower Master of the Magic Tower, I will untie the knot that he could not untie. He sat down seriously to cultivate, secretly making an important decision. Moreover, I will make those who heartlessly broke his wings pay the price. In his heart, a ball of light gradually formed between his two hands, growing larger and emitting a brighter light. He reached out and caught the pure specks of light. Unconsciously, he suddenly found himself walking into a greenhouse, filled with greenery and flowers. Oscar wondered, why am I wandering around the greenhouse? I remember I fell asleep while trying to untie the knot in the physical circuit, Tower Master. Thinking of this, he suddenly saw a familiar scene. Before him were 3 children, 1 girl and 2 boys. One boy said to their teacher, we are here. And the teacher, none other than Oscar Sage, replied, sit down. We will have today's lesson here, he thought. I understand now. Is it because of that damn dream curse? The nightmare count of the demon realm. Because of his damn curse. Whenever I sleep, I dream about the past. Oscar realized that he had fallen asleep just now, and what he had just seen was a memory that had happened in the past. He exclaimed, to be honest, I thought this curse would be resolved when I entered this body, but it seems that the curse was attached to the soul, not the physical body. However, he felt happy about this now. He thought, but should I say, I am quite lucky. It seems that the dream about my students has not been changed, and it seems that they are not temporarily sensitive. Oscar Sage asked the children, what did I say we would learn today? The image of the past continued to appear vividly before his eyes. The boy from earlier said, you said you would teach us about the magic system, and said that the magic system of a mage or knight is usually divided into 4 types, known as the 4 magic types. Oscar Sage happily replied, that is right. Magic may look the same in physical form, but in reality it is divided into 4 types. Enhancement, acceleration, balance, and special type. Still the same boy, Lloyd Schultz, 9 years old, innocently asked, the White Tower pursues the harmony type, right? Oscar Sage replied, that is right, wind magic is the most suitable for us. The red-haired girl next to him, Shasha Mayist, 5 years old, also asked, does each tower have its own favorite magic type? Oscar Sage happily replied, that is right, because each different magic type has different characteristics. Oscar Sage explained to the children, the gold tower believes that speed is the most important, so they have acceleration type magic, while the red tower believes that fire is important, so they represent enhancement type magic. The blue tower and the white tower both represent the balance magic type. Next, Gilead Dominic, 7 years old, the blonde child, asked, Tower Master, I want to learn acceleration type magic. Slow things are annoying. Oscar Sage gently replied, Gilly, unfortunately, you do not get to choose. You have to be born with it. Shasha continued to wonder, so then, how can we know what we are born with? Oscar always tried to explain the problem, to be simple and easy to understand for the children. He replied, it will be easier than you think, Shasha. Stretch out your index finger and perform this magic. Shasha initially seemed a little shy. She crossed her arms and said, this is the first time I have seen this incantation, so it will take quite a long time. Oscar comforted. There is no need to rush. The girl shyly replied, yes. The girl held up one finger. At the fingertip, a small wisp of smoke rose like a flame. She exclaimed, something is coming out. Oscar Sage gently commented, it is not too fast and not too rough. It is balanced. You are the harmony type, Shasha. The girl excitedly looked at what was rising and asked, am I the same as you, Tower Master? Oscar Sage smiled and nodded. That is right. Hearing this, the girl looked very happy, smiling sweetly and said, I like it. Giulio also imitated, raising his finger. From the fingertip of the boy immediately launched a vertical stream looking like a waterfall, said, I want to do that too. Lloyd looked and also demanded, me too. This time Oscar happily praised, Gilly, just as you wished, you are the acceleration type. Gilia was very interested in what he had just created, cheering, awesome. Oscar Sage smiled and looked at the remaining boy called Lloyd. Lloyd had also created a flower on his fingertip. Shasha next to him exclaimed, oh my, a flower, so beautiful. The boy was a little surprised with what he created, but showed unhappiness and said, I am the special type. Lloyd asked curiously, Tower Master, can I change my type after it has been decided? Oscar explained, the special type is very rare, only accounting for 0.2% of mages. Why do you want to change it? Although you cannot do that, the boy pouted and replied, I like the balance type more like the Tower Master. Oscar laughed and replied, really? Then what should I do? Oscar put his hand on his chin, looking thoughtful, considering, I have given Lloyd some private lessons. Should I learn how a person can change their type or not? The boy blushed a little and asked back, I will be given private lessons. Oscar confirmed, of course, mages with the special type will be very difficult to develop if there is no suitable teacher. Hearing this, Lloyd looked at Oscar with expectant eyes and said, thinking about it, I see the special type is not too bad either. But you have to promise that you will give me the most private lessons. To reassure the boy, Oscar hooked his finger with his and promised, okay, I understand, he remembered Lloyd, that kid. That kid's nickname is the Boy of Promises. He gave a sad smile and thought, no matter how the boy has grown up, he is still just a kid. Suddenly at this time, the speaker announced, the loud sound suddenly issued, causing Oscar to wake up. This is an announcement from the broadcast room. The speaker's voice continued to rush. Oscar Crushin, Mage Oscar Crushin, please come to laboratory 4202, he wondered. How long have I been sleeping? He walked tiredly, while thinking, I have 8 physical circuits left. I have unlocked 12 out of 20. Oscar arrived at the lab, raised his hand and knocked on the door. There was a reply. Come in, he continued to think. Furthermore, when unlocking my physical circuits, I got 2 more mana loops, and currently I am level 2. Who would have thought there would be a day I would be happy to be a level 2 mage? Maxim's voice interjected. How are you feeling, according to what Franck said? It seems like your memories have returned. Oscar replied in confusion. Yes, they have returned. Maxim said. I understand. That is great news. Oscar looked at Maxim and remembered. Elder Maxim, once my junior, White Tower, Elder Maxim Bisk, 45 years old. He assessed, this guy is a junior who joined the tower long after me, but now he is old, and an elder. He is a truthful person with falsehoods and very subtle, so he has a bright future. Thinking about it, he exclaimed, he used to follow me and call me senior, and then call me Magic Tower Lord, that I find quite cute. Oscar constantly thought, and unconsciously smiled at the person in front of him, but now he is in his 40s. He has worked so hard, his magic is so much, that it reflects his old age. Maxim wondered, why are you smiling? Oscar quickly put away the smile, returned to the face of attentively listening. Maxim said, I received a report that the master of the Gordon family and the leader were killed. He stared at Oscar, as if completely asserting that Oscar was directly involved in this case. He asked sternly, do you have anything to say about this report? Oscar still kept a very nonchalant face, and said, no, I do not, but I think there is a reasonable reason for why they were killed. He spoke bluntly as if it was obvious, which surprised Maxim. I think it is because they tried to assassinate me. He gave the evidence book to Maxim and said, the elixir has poison, and here is the commission fee, as well as a record of wanting to assassinate me. Maxim glanced at Oscar and asked back, is the reason you were bedridden because you were almost assassinated? Maxim carefully read the contents of the book to confirm. Oscar admitted, yes, I came to try to talk to them, but they wanted to assassinate me. Then Oscar gave the money bag placed on the table, adding, there is money here, so this looks quite reputable. The book contained the contents of the assassination contract. Maxim did not take too long. Quickly decided, I understand. I will close this case, with the reason for self-defense on your part. Oscar boldly made a suggestion. I would be very grateful if you could do that. Furthermore, can I ask you a private matter? Maxim was slightly surprised. A private matter, what is it? Oscar said, I want to meet the Magic Tower. Lord Maxim closed his eyes as if trying to hide the emotions in his heart, then replied, that is not difficult, because you often have problems to discuss about magic with her. Oscar felt a little surprised, wondering, Oscar Crushin discussed magic with Shasha, Maxim added. However, you can only meet her after 6 months at the earliest. Oscar heard, and exclaimed in surprise. Huh? Why? He thought. But that is after the White Night Festival starts. Maxim calmly explained. She is away on business, to resolve an important committee. Oscar appeared quite suspicious, and wondered, wait, why does the Magic Tower Lord have to do such a small thing? Maxim replied, that is because the high-level mage has been absent. It is a shame. Oscar was constantly thinking, feeling unbelievable. I do not think it is important enough for the Magic Tower Lord to handle it herself, he asked directly. Please excuse my rudeness, but what level is the Tower Lord at? Maxim also honestly replied. She is a level 7 mage. Oscar sadly replied, I understand, pondering silently. At her age, I was level 9. How can she only be level 7? With Shasha's talent, she should at least be level 8. Maxim continued to read information about the case just now. Moreover, the report stated that the cut part of the corpse was very clean. He looked up at Oscar suspiciously and asked, you are practicing attack magic again? Oscar hesitated and replied. Well then, I only practice whenever I remember it, Maxim calmly replied. I understand. If that is all, then you can leave now, okay? Not long after Oscar left, another guest came to the White Magic Tower Elder's room. Maxim asked, Vice Tower Lord, what brought you here? The Vice Tower Lord of the White Tower, Hamel Glimwitz, he gave a kind smile and said, I came to tell you not to be too hard on that child, but it seems that I came a little too late. Maxim laughed and said, I will have to scold him if he gets into trouble. The elder calmly replied, You are right, but I am the one who brought him here, so I will be the one to worry about him. Maxim looked a bit worried and said, but... Then he suddenly paused, thinking to himself, even though it is basic magic, it can't be perfected in just 1 or 2 days of effort. He must have been studying really hard in a secret place. He continued, Oscar, that kid, he might have been studying harder than I thought. Hearing this, Hamel breathed a sigh of relief. I am glad to hear that. Should we head to the Elder's meeting room? Elder Fidelina is waiting for us. Maxim agreed, yes. At this moment, Oscar had found his way to the green garden. He thought to himself, this is the 10th floor. I saw my student in my dream, so I wanted to come here. The garden was very deserted, and the gloomy atmosphere made him sigh. It has become even emptier. Suddenly, an elderly man appeared from behind him and asked, Isn't that the young master Oscar? Oscar was a little surprised and asked back, Who are you? The old man introduced himself. I am Wilter, the facilities manager of the Mage Tower. It seems the rumors about you losing your memory are true. We used to talk a lot. It is a pity. Oscar grimaced and asked, How far have the rumors about me losing my memory spread? Seeing the old man's gleeful expression, he screamed inwardly at this unavoidable truth. They are true. He sensed something was off and asked, But what do you mean by calling me young Master Oscar? The old man smiled kindly and explained, I have been working here since the old tower master was still around. He was the great Oscar. This answer left him a little stunned, unable to say a word. Afterward, Oscar said honestly, That is a very good way to distinguish us. I will use it too. He made a suggestion. Moreover, can you be my confidant from now on? The old man smiled and replied, I am happy for that offer, but it might be a little difficult because I am about to leave the tower. Oscar asked unhappily, Where are you planning to go? The old man hesitated and said, It has been 40 years since I started working here. Oscar continued to press, Is there a problem? The old man's face turned slightly sad as he replied, I have served 3 tower masters during my time here, and my colleagues have been constantly replaced. I am the only one left in this branch. He recalled his memories of the past and continued, The only reason I have stayed here for so long is because of the words of the former tower master, Oscar Sage, said at his inauguration ceremony. Everyone in this tower is needed, so live with pride as a citizen of the White Tower. The old man laughed embarrassedly. It might sound a little funny, but from that moment on, I have always worked as a member of the White Tower. Oscar looked at him seriously. He affirmed, It is really not funny at all. But Wilter looked at him thoughtfully and said, Thank you, master. However, because of that reason I will also retire. Oscar asked worriedly, What do you mean? The old man explained in more detail. As you know, Master Oscar, the tower is not operating as well as it used to be, especially when you look at the facilities. Its finances are not doing so well anymore. Next month will be the 40-year milestone of my work here. Oscar asked somberly, Is that because of your long service award? All members of the White Tower, except for mages, receive a long service medal and a monetary reward on their 20th and 40th anniversaries. Those who have worked here for 40 years will receive 200,000 bells, and that amount of money can buy the largest house in the city. The old man replied sadly, With the current state of the White Tower, they can't pay me that amount. To pay me that money, many people will have to risk their lives and take on new commissions. I can't accept that when I think about it. No matter what anyone says, this place is my second home. Oscar looked at the old man and sighed inwardly. I did not expect it to be this bad. He thought back. I thought the Blue Tower was doing outrageous things for money. Then he blamed himself. Who am I to point fingers at their affairs? Because they can make money. They are in the best condition in history. Oscar clenched his fists. He was feeling angry at himself. In contrast, we only have titles. War Hero and Savior of Humanity are significant titles, but they are nothing, because they can't even fund the rewards for those who have dedicated all their strength to this tower for decades. A loud voice suddenly snapped him out of his thoughts. Young Master Oscar. Old man Wilter took his hand, which had unknowingly been bleeding because it was clenched too tightly. He asked worriedly, Why are you clenching your hand so tightly? Immediately afterward, the old man took him to bandage the wound. Oscar asked, sadly, When are you planning to leave? The old man replied, In 2 weeks. Here, please go down to the medical room and apply some medicine. Oscar repeated the sentence from earlier. I hope you will still be my confidant. Wilter was a little embarrassed and did not know what to do. But I will. Oscar looked at him with pleading eyes. You do not have to leave. There is a way. He said confidently, I will make sure of it. A way to make a lot of money. In the following days, this completely occupied Oscar's mind. He recalled the promise he made to the old man and kept pondering, I will definitely do it. He said that, but what should he do? He thought about all the ways to make money the fastest. Currently the ways I can think of are research, teaching, and taking on commissions, but if I do not get the money immediately, it will be a problem. Besides, I am only a level 2 mage right now. Finally, he thought of a way. I need some kind of business that can make a lot of money. It seems like potions are the only option. He thought this method was the most feasible. Suddenly, news on a newspaper surprised Oscar. Wait, this is... In the Vice Tower Master's office, a woman said with a very tense tone, I can't ignore this anymore. This is embezzlement. Maxim nodded in confusion. Of course, doing that is wrong, but... The elder of the White Magic Tower, finance manager Fidelina, said with an angry expression and a growl, but what? Are you just gonna let it go once stealing becomes a habit? They will only become more depraved. Maxim tried to soothe her anger and comforted her. You do not have to worry. She kept questioning. So you were planning to just let it go. Once you start stealing, you will only get worse. Maxim tried to calm her down, reassuring her. You do not need to worry. Then he dropped a bombshell, causing her face to turn green with anger. Our tower does not have much to steal anyway. She was speechless, but she still could not accept this reasoning. She stood up and shouted, our tower does not have much to steal anyway. Just isolate that kid. Maxim immediately refused. No way. What is the point of giving a level 1 child special training? Is this really a conversation between two elders who are almost 100 years old? She reluctantly went all the way to the Vice Tower Master's room, but the answer was the same. Elder Maxim has already said that isolation training is too harsh. For a child, it is nothing short of torture. Fidelina did not agree, but did not know what to say to refute it. But Hamel suggested, instead, let us have him personally repay 3 times the research money he used. She reluctantly asked, only 3 times, but he quickly ignored her opinion and ended the matter. Okay, let us move on to the next issue. Fidelina anxiously continued, we have too little money. I think we will have to make a decision soon. She suggested, there are many areas that we do not even use. If we sell the equipment in the potion-making room, we can use the money to pay for living expenses. Otherwise, we will really have to close the tower. He flatly refused her. I do not agree. Fidelina tried to say more, but Vice Tower Master Hamel did not give her another chance. He said sternly, this place is a magic tower, a place where mages gather to research magic and share knowledge. New breezes can never blow into a closed room. We can't sell the future just to satisfy today's hunger. Do we even have something called a future? But she kept begging, running from the Tower Master's Elder's room to the Vice Tower Master. We have been waiting for 20 years, Maxim growled. Fidelina. Vice Tower Master, you have to accept the truth. Even if a genius appears and saves our magic tower, she kept trying to find every reason to extinguish any hope of reviving the magic tower. They would never come to the White Tower. Hamel was about to say something. Then suddenly, someone came. Fidelina shouted, someone's here, we are in a meeting. He called out, come in. Oscar entered the room. Hello, I am Oscar Crushin. He asked, what is the matter, Oscar? Oscar said, I want to make a proposal. Please allow me to start a business. He exclaimed in surprise. What? Fidelina angrily pointed at him and shouted, you are too funny. Have you forgotten about embezzling research funds a few days ago? And now what? You want to start a business? A business? Oscar ignored her. He directly placed the newspaper on the table in front of Hamel and continued to present. While reading some old newspapers, I found an article. A serious flu outbreak has occurred in the Vince estate and has caused it to be sealed off. He nodded. I saw this article too. People say it might be the Cadena flu. If it is really the Cadena flu, then it is really bad news. He said silently. There is currently no cure for the Cadena flu. In the past, the White Tower researched a vaccine, so it was not a big problem, but the formula for making the vaccine has been lost for 20 years. Oscar got straight to the point. Yes, even the Blue Magic Tower, which currently dominates the potion market, has not been able to recreate the vaccine, so I want to start with it. Hamel was surprised. What? Oscar repeated, I want to sell vaccines for the Cadena flu. In the past, this was also an exclusive vaccine of the White Tower. I plan to restore this exclusivity. Fidelina frowned and interrupted. Your proposal is not even worth listening to. Magic towers and pharmaceutical companies have invested a lot of money and effort, but no one has been able to recreate that vaccine in the past 20 years. She growled suspiciously. But you think you can do it. A 20-year-old kid like you. Oscar calmly turned around. It is true that they all failed, and I am just a 20-year-old kid. But he looked straight at her and said confidently, I am a genius. Fidelina was too shocked. She stared at him in surprise. She kept objecting and mocking him. Are you kidding me? In the last 17 research fee payments, you took 723,000 bells. You even pocketed an extra 25,000 bells to buy some kind of illegal elixir. Do you know that the average annual income of a farmer after taxes is 20,000? Besides, what did you say? You're a genius. Is it that you do not know where the money comes from because you come from a wealthy family? Hamel tried to stop her. Elder, Fidelina. He did not give her any more face and said bluntly, Oscar is here to propose a formal investment opportunity as a mage of the White Tower. I know you are the finance manager, but your current behavior is too rude. Fidelina calmed down at this point. She hurriedly said, I apologize. Oscar wondered. I was still wondering why she hated me so much, but it turns out it is because she is the treasury manager. That makes sense. Anyway, I have not made any significant contributions in the past 2 years. He brushed that thought aside. However, he then said confidently, I am very confident in this matter. Please consider it carefully. He thought to himself, I am different from the owner of this body. Hamel said, Why are you so sure this is the Cadena flu? Oscar smiled confidently and replied, Yes, please read page 2 of the newspaper. He picked up the newspaper and muttered. Archbishop Baldwin suddenly changed his plans while on pilgrimage. Oscar reminded him, he will stay in Siren for a month to pray for blessings. Isn't that very strange? He analyzed further. Before, the only place they would stop for a month was in big cities. The El Terra Church worships Terre, the mother of the earth. There are only 7 archbishops in the church. They should be the leaders of the church and should be more upright than anyone else. But in reality, it is not like that. To become a cardinal, the second most powerful position in the church, a very large amount of money is needed. The archbishop will be allowed to stay in the mansion he visits during his pilgrimage for a month. Oscar looked suspicious, but that is only when he will meet with nobles and merchants and receive money from them. But what about Siren? This used to be a big city, but its size is gradually shrinking. Hamel nodded in agreement after hearing this. You are right, but I thought his reason was to pray for blessings. Oscar raised his hand and exaggeratedly asked, Then it is even stranger, praying for blessings in a barren land. He spun the globe around. As you all know, the pilgrimage routes of the members of the El Terra Church have already been chosen for them. Siren, Mosque, Melbourne, and Greenwale, and then, the last finger stopped at a point, Vince. The Archbishop stayed in Knox for a month before coming to Siren. If I am not mistaken, he will also stay in Mosque for a month, and both Melbourne and Greenwale as well. The next sentence, he said, surprised all 3 heads of the tower. It is as if he is trying to delay visiting Vince for as long as possible, is not it? Oscar kept reasoning and explaining. If there is an accident or misfortune during the pilgrimage, the people in the Terra Church will say that he angered the Earth Goddess, and that is no different from a death sentence for an archbishop who wants to become a cardinal. Maxim had gradually understood the problem, so Archbishop Baldwin knows that the flu currently raging in Vince is the Cadena flu, and is trying to buy time until the epidemic subsides. Oscar affirmed, I think so too. Up to this point, Fidelina had become less prejudiced against him. She said, Your analytical skills are good. No wonder you are a theoretical mage, but right now this is still just a hypothesis. Hamel nodded. I understand what you just said. Oscar looked at him happily. Then, but unexpectedly, he said, But we can't officially fund you. Oscar was a little disappointed. Why? He explained, if we do that, then all the expenses of the other mages will be cut off. Oscar was a little confused. But, however, Hamel looked at him with a bright and trusting gaze. I can invest my own money into your business. This made Fidelina angry. Vice Tower Master, but he raised his hand to reassure her. It is okay. He looked at Oscar and asked, There are only 30,000 bells in here. Is this enough? Oscar started calculating. 30,000 bells. Hearing this number, Fidelina looked at him as if she wanted to eat him alive. Oscar simply replied, Not nearly enough. Oscar reaffirmed, it was far from enough. Returning to the potion-making room, he thought to himself, Oh well, looks like I will have to use my backup plan after all. The equipment is all still in good condition. He kept glancing at Frank, thinking, He is working so hard. I will use this money to make a vaccine and earn money from the Archbishop. He is the one having the most trouble with the Cadena flu epidemic. Right now, Oscar put on his protective glasses and said with a slightly sly smile, That is right, it is best to squeeze money from people in difficult situations. He raised his arm and twisted it a bit, saying, Now it is time to warm up. Frank looked over, his eyes full of question. What is wrong with him? Frank was busy moving and organizing the newly purchased bags of medicinal herbs. Oscar focused all his attention on concocting the potion. He tensely watched the flask of chemicals transforming at high heat. This is it. After the process was complete, he poured the liquid into another container. Finally, he lifted his glasses and sighed. Not bad. He was in a good mood, thinking, People always say class is permanent. I made this for practice, but it seems I was worried for nothing. Suddenly, a bag of herbs fell to the ground, and Frank cried out, My back is broken. Oscar turned and asked, Great, did you recover all the lost herbs? He grimaced, and said in a long string of words, Of course. Look. Oh, and do you have anything to drink? I feel like I am about to faint. Here's the receipt. Oscar immediately replied, I have fatigue recovery medicine. Frank looked surprised. What? Isn't that stuff expensive? Give it here. Oscar quickly handed him the freshly brewed potion. Here, I will take the receipt. Frank looked at him with grateful eyes, without suspicion. Thank you. He quickly drank the entire bottle, his face full of excitement. Warm and delicious. Did you just make this? Oscar smiled confidently. Yeah, just now. Oscar opened the bags of herbs and checked them. The ingredients are in perfect condition. Frank happily boasted. I took all the best ones. The shopkeeper was going crazy. Oscar looked at him in admiration. Really, with that kind of eye, you should become a merchant instead of a mage. Frank cheerfully replied, I will think about it when our tower collapses. Immediately, he received several punches to the forehead. Frank clutched his head, whining, Why did you do that all of a sudden? Oscar punched, and then gently rubbed his forehead, consoling him. Sorry, slipped my hand. You were saying ominous things. He rubbed his swollen forehead and asked, Anyway, what are we doing? Elder Fidelina told me to help you. It will be difficult if you do it alone. Thinking of Fidelina, Oscar smiled to himself. She is always giving me a hard time, but, alright, then, let us start by reorganizing the materials. Oscar hugged the large bags of materials, looking at Frank, thinking, although, it is not exactly like I need someone to help. Oscar looked at Frank, suddenly thinking, this has been rewritten. Currently, the White Tower has countless troubled children. Even though they are very talented, the gears do not mesh together. If they could combine their strengths, they would make a huge contribution to the power of the tower. This has been rewritten, and one of them is him, Frank Cirrus. I am sure there is a reason so many people rate him highly. I am a bit curious about him, so this is the perfect time to confirm. Frank looked at him curiously and asked, I noticed it as soon as I bought it, but is not it all poison? The black trumpet of the valley. He pointed to the poisonous herbs, scarlet tea, magic mushrooms. Manhwa, Oscar explained, just because they are poisonous does not mean we can't use them as medicine. You know what to do before using them, right? Frank responded confidently. Put the poisonous herbs in water and boil them for 12 hours to remove the toxins. Oscar confirmed, exactly. Except there is one problem with that method. The substances in them will be completely lost. He asked Frank, do you know the food called bao? Frank immediately nodded. Of course, I have eaten some before, but why are you mentioning it? To make bao, people use something called a steamer. Oscar continued, if you use that to remove the toxins, we will retain most of the substances in the herbs. This way, we can retain 98% of the ingredients' effectiveness. Frank was a bit skeptical. Wait a minute, really? Then the pharmaceutical market's monopoly will... But Oscar affirmed, this method is feasible, as the White Tower did before. After watching Oscar process the herbs for a while, Frank asked, and that is the end of the detoxification process. Oscar denied, no, this just softens the ingredients, making them easier to detoxify. The detoxification process starts now. Oscar raised his hands above the steamer and absorbed the air. Immediately, a stream of purple poisonous gas rose high. Then it gathered into a cloud, like mass. Oscar said, with this, we just need to extract the toxins from the steamer. Oscar skillfully manipulated the streams of poisonous gas into a swirling vortex. Take a close look. The two were busy all day and it was almost dark. After finishing the detoxification, Oscar said, now, there should not be any poison left in the steamer. So we just need to mix them in the correct proportions. 23% scarlet tea, 47% Manhwa. Finally holding the finished vial, Oscar announced, here, this is the Cadena flu medicine. He looked at the still-dazed Frank and asked, how is it, easy? Right? Now it is your turn. Frank was stunned. My turn for what? Frank worried. Easier said than done. I still can't use magic simultaneously. But I can't tell him I do not know how to cast two spells at the same time. He asked awkwardly, starting with the air absorption spell, right? Oscar observed his operation, secretly assessing. His mana control is a bit unstable, but not too bad. He is doing better than I thought. The poisonous gas was being sucked up, but Frank suddenly stopped. However, that is all. Oscar asked, what is wrong? He said a bit resentfully, are you making fun of me? I can't cast two spells at once. He looked at Oscar and explained, you need to be around level 4 or 5 to understand the mechanism of this. I am only level 3. Oscar said calmly, let me teach you. Frank was extremely surprised. You are going to teach me that secret technique. It will be easier if you know the mechanism. Oscar began to guide him. Try thinking about it as a way to separate your mind. First, Oscar explained the brain's mechanism of action. On the left side, you use magic A. On the right side, you use magic B. Then he advised Frank, give it a try. It is okay to fail? Frank asked a bit awkwardly, separated. Unexpectedly, he succeeded on his first try. Oscar happily congratulated him. Congratulations, you have learned dual casting. Frank was also astonished. It is that easy. He expressed frustration. Then why did they hide it for so long? I thought it was difficult. Oscar simply replied. Because they are greedy. They do not want to teach the techniques they worked so hard to learn to their juniors for free, and it became a tradition. Frank continued to diligently practice mixing the ingredients, 23% scarlet tea, 47% Manhwa. Oscar continued to reason, but on the battlefield, tradition is nothing but an obstacle. To survive, sharing techniques and solutions is essential every day. The White Tower now needs to actively teach and exchange knowledge. He looked at Frank and happily thought, and he is doing a great job at this. Oscar did not skimp on praise. Well done. You are very talented. Honestly, I did not think you would succeed on your first try. Frank gratefully clasped his hands and said, well, that is because you explained it clearly. Oscar added, even though you were just freaking out at me earlier. Recalling the earlier scene, Frank felt a bit embarrassed again. Now that both of them were completely relaxed, Oscar said to Frank, I have a larger steamer, so let us do it all at once. Frank cheerfully replied, all right. A few hours later, he was so exhausted that he could barely breathe. I am going to die. Oscar counted and announced, a total of 514 vials. Suddenly, Maxim pushed the door open, looking quite flustered. Oscar, we have a problem, Oscar asked. What is wrong? He handed over the announcement. The Blue Tower Pharmaceutical Company New Tech confirmed Siren's visit an hour ago. The purpose is to meet with Archbishop Baldwin. He said worriedly, it seems like we are a bit late. Oscar secretly speculated, so they were not delaying time without a plan. He fell silent in thought. Frank was also very worried. If they have a contract first, then our medicine will be useless. Oscar consoled him. Calm down. Sometimes, there are unlucky moments in life. It is not over yet. If I remember correctly, the Kadena flu is classified as a type B disaster. If that is the case, there is still one thing we can do. Maxim was surprised. Really, Oscar confirmed and asked back, that is right. Elder, your highest flying speed is faster than a horse-drawn carriage. Right. A hotel in Siren. The assistant announced, Archbishop, the guest you mentioned, has arrived. The head of the empire's main religion, the El Terra Church, Archbishop Baldwin, responded, let them in. Level 5 mage from the Blue Tower, Moira Main, along with the CEO of Newtech Pharmaceutical Company, Neil Brion, entered and greeted LCIA. Thanks to you, we were able to get here safely. Baldwin also returned the greeting. LCIA, please, have a seat. Thank you, Archbishop. Baldwin asked, so how is the production of the Kadena flu medicine going? Moira happily replied, it is going very smoothly. Baldwin said with satisfaction, as expected from the Blue Tower and Newtech. When will it be completed? Neil added. We just need to finish the clinical trials. However, Moira asked with some doubt, as you know, the trials can't be finished in a day or two. So when do you plan to sell it? Baldwin immediately changed his attitude. He said sternly, I promised it would be within half a year. Half a year. He explained, I have to leave Vince in the next 4 months. Neil sweated and tried to explain. But the plan is... Suddenly, someone else interrupted. Baldwin asked irritably. What is it? The person announced. Archbishop, another mage wants to meet you. Baldwin agreed. Let them in. He turned back to the two and asked in confusion, why did not you say there was someone else with you? Moira corrected. No, we do not have anyone else with us. Baldwin fell silent, wondering, then who is this? The person who had just arrived spoke up. Let us see if I remember correctly. LCIA is the greeting of the church. Oscar politely bowed. Hello, I am Oscar Crushin, a level 2 mage from the White Tower. He looked up. I have come here to make you a better offer. The three people were talking together. Why did not you tell me that there would be other people joining us? What is wrong? But there are only 2 of us. Suddenly, both Neil and Bart turned their heads towards the door, thinking, then who is it? The door began to open. A foot stepped inside with a voice. Let us see. The greeting in the association is LCIA, right? It was Oscar. He came with a smiling face. I am here to bring good news. Baldwin spoke and asked him, is that the White Tower? What brought you here? Oscar replied solemnly to his words. I am here to sell medicine, to cure Kadean flu. Just in time. 2 people are here for the same purpose. Am I too late? Hearing this, he just sighed. No, they are not fully prepared. Yet, it is such a relief to hear that the White Tower is ready to negotiate right here, if that is necessary. Suddenly, Moira, on the other side, angrily pointed at Oscar and shouted, that is a lie. People from the White Tower have no money or technology to develop medicine. That is a worthy idea. What is his last name? Oscar. In response to such questioning, he just said softly, it is Sa, not Crushin. Elder Baldwin heard this and was satisfied. Very well, Oscar Crushin. Do you really have medicine? Who would dare to lie to the Archbishop of the El Terran Association? While speaking, he took out a box and tapped it. Then opened the box. Inside it was, this is a sample. Oh my God. Baldwin happily introduced to Oscar. If we end up negotiating like this, then I will directly ask how much you can produce and when you can produce them, even though Moira is screaming, Archbishop Baldwin. Seeing his attitude, he immediately asked, why are you yelling at me? You are the one who came here unprepared. He stammered and replied, but we do not have permission from the manager of pharmaceuticals and medicine of the Empire. Then he gritted his teeth, right? Have you received approval from the Empire's Pharmaceutical Association? Oscar replied calmly, not yet. Hearing this answer, he could not help but feel complacent. As I predicted, Archbishop, the case of the White Tower is no different from us. We can produce on a large scale throughout the territory once we get approval. Furthermore, please remember that this is the White Tower that we are talking about, considering the long history of our tower. I promise you that the treatment we are developing with the best pharmaceutical company available will be much better. Hearing such words, Oscar just calmly replied to his words. You are right, however. It is funny to hear you talk about your tower having a long history in front of a mage from the White Tower. Moira immediately became silent. When she heard him speak, Moira's voice was a bit angry. What? Take those words back quickly. Oscar just flicked his hand slightly. Did I say anything wrong? Classifying according to the history of the territory. Which mage tower was established first? Are you really calculating only 5 years apart? Only 5 years apart. That is it. Interesting. The 5 years apart that you mentioned. The distance that all the tower masters of your blue tower want to close is a distance that even 1,000 years, no 10,000 years later, you will not be able to catch up with the White Tower. Oscar replied with all his composure. That is how history works. You must have forgotten the White Tower's monopoly on the new drug market 20 years ago. Before those harsh words, Moira could only remain silent. Then, he waved his hand as if to dismiss everything. That is the past. No one will remember. But then suddenly startled in fear, Oscar said sternly, repeat that story to him again, a past that no one remembers. So that is what you thought? Hearing this, Moira started to feel scared. What was that feeling just now? That is not the power that a level 2 mage can cause. Then, I will have to remind you, he asked hesitantly. What? Suddenly, outside, the servant ran in with a hurried face. Archbishop, I am sorry for interrupting, but there is an urgent call. Is from the Lord of Vince. Baldwin over here also immediately picked up the phone. From the other end of the line, a sound came up. LCIA. Thank you for this immeasurable kindness. Kindness. Yes, for sending us medicine for the Kadena flu. Baldwin was startled for a moment upon hearing this. The other end of the line continued. The elders of the White Tower told us that you had prepared them in secret with them, and therefore I thank you. All the patients who were injected with a dose of antidote have recovered. After only a few hours, it is truly a miracle. This must be a blessing from the goddess. Oscar, who was standing next to him, smiled with satisfaction upon hearing this. Old Baldwin laughed loudly. It is so good to hear that. Are there any side effects? In the current situation? No, that is so wonderful. Can you tell me when the second supply is? I have asked the elders of the White Tower. That depends on the Archbishop. And that is what you said. This is not to urge you or anything. We will send the second supply as soon as possible. It will not take much time. Thank you very much. LCIA. After listening to the call, Baldwin turned to talk to the group of people. Oscar Cushion. Is this your doing? Yes, it seems that they have arrived safely. Moira immediately slammed the table, shouting loudly. Archbishop, this has violated the regulations of the pharmaceutical law. I believe he is being punished. No. Faced with his hostile attitude, Oscar calmly reminded him. You do not seem to understand much about the law. Do you know the issues related to law in war? Do not change the subject. Why are you talking about that? Oscar seemed calm in all situations. He thought silently. It seems that the last 20 years have been extremely peaceful. How could they forget that? Then began to recount. 20 years ago, the weapon that took the most lives in the battle with the demons was an epidemic. Even with the mages quickly creating an antidote, it took too long for the Pharmaceutical Association to approve them. People died before that approval was agreed upon. His Majesty added a line to page 42, section 8. All the nurses and doctors worked hard to treat, but could not save them. They said that the treatments for the injured in cases of war would be classified as special treatments and will not be affected by the laws of the Empire's Medical Association. Moira turned her head to interrupt Oscar. But we do not have a war. Right now, he once again had to explain to Moira, there are 3 cases where a situation is considered a war. That is, in the order of each case. The first case, when there is a war going on against another race or another country. Second, when there is a revolution. Finally, when there is a crisis above level B. Katanadog is a natural crisis above level B, so we do not need to follow the laws of the National Medical Association. That is, unexpectedly, Neil stood up, turned to Baldwin, and asked, Archbishop, if the White Tower can do that, then we can completely do it too. We will send the antidote to Vince's estate immediately. So, he also gritted his teeth, although it was difficult to say, but still explained to them, you two seem to not understand the situation. The race ended when the White Tower's antidote arrived at Vince's estate. Furthermore, the Lord of Vince's estate is thinking that I have cooperated with the White Tower. That, I cannot turn my face away and say that it is the medicine of the Blue Tower, can I? Moira's face immediately changed when she heard these words. I will reduce the price, so how dare you? Baldwin angrily slammed his hand, shouting, accusing his actions. You want to buy my established image with money? No, I do not mean that. Enough, I do not want to hear anything else. Leave. Being chased away, Moira had no choice but to leave in frustration. When passing by Oscar, he gave a reminder. I will make you pay for this. But Oscar only secretly assessed. These bastards have the same way of talking as villains, just like 20 years ago. He smiled and said, Oh, that is right. I have registered the patent for the treatment and vaccine for the palace. This successfully angered Moira. What? Oscar continued to say with a smile. If you want to sell the antidote, then you have to pay the White Tower. If you do not want to do that, then you can throw them away. Moira's expression at this moment had become uglier than ever. He gritted his teeth and strode away from here, to avoid being humiliated any longer. After a few minutes, Neil also stood up and greeted Baldwin. I will meet you later, Archbishop. Then also passed by Oscar. But Oscar sensed a mysterious magic from him. In an instant, he also realized. He turned his head, and a fragrance was spreading. He had a distinctive smell, a fresh and clean scent, like mint. That is all I know. Oscar watched his footsteps, his eyes wide. After Neil left, Oscar stood in silence for a moment. At this moment, Baldwin called him, Sit down. Finally, we can talk. Thank you. Should we talk about the price first? How much will it be? The Blue Tower wants 2 million bells. Hearing such a question seemed to strike a chord with Oscar. He raised his hand, indicating, if they want 2 million, then I will only take 5 million bells. Baldwin's face fell as soon as he heard that. Are you serious? A few hours later, at the White Tower, a piercing scream rang out. What is this? Fidelina held the check in her hand and screamed 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million. 10 million bells. Oscar just smiled happily. She jumped up and hugged him tightly. Oh my God, you little rascal, I knew you could do it. Maxim also praised him. I have believed in you from the beginning. Hamel also held the check, unable to hide his joy. This is quite unexpected. What happened? Even the Archbishop would not spend this much. Oscar then spoke up to ask, there is an additional expense that needs to be paid. What expense? Advertising costs. Oscar's expression turned serious. Promotion fees, that is right. He began to recount his conversation with Baldwin. Based on the official announcement from the White Magic Tower, it was said that Archbishop Baldwin had predicted the outbreak of avian flu as if he had received an apocalypse. They said that thanks to that, they were able to prepare a cure quickly. For someone aiming for the position of the next cardinal, the title of an archbishop receiving an apocalypse from Mother Earth is an irresistible appeal. Oscar gave an okay sign and replied with a smile. I guess he liked it, so he signed a contract for 10 million bells, more than we proposed. What a generous archbishop. In return, we promised to send not only the vaccine, but also the second batch of medicine in a week. After listening, Hamill praised him. Impressive. The penalty was to return 3 times the embezzled amount, but you returned 400 times that amount. We will withdraw the penalty. Does anyone object? Fidelina also smiled happily. Not at all. Then old Hamill asked him, Oscar, if you need support, let us know. A week might be a bit rushed. Oscar replied quickly, we have to gather as many mages as possible, level 4 and above. All right, go recruit them. I will leave the recruitment to you, Oscar. Elder Fidelina, please announce the recruitment inside the tower. And Fidelina, she quickly asked, what should I say? Old Hamill then gave her the task. Search for mages of level 4 or higher for the potion-making room. Applicants will receive a daily wage, and tell them that they will have meat with every meal. A few hours later, in the potion room, the seniors were gossiping. They're really giving us meat. I heard it is not chicken, but pork. That is great. That is great. I can't believe this place is so crowded. Suddenly, Oscar clapped his hands and called out, all right, seniors, please look this way. But it seemed like no one was listening to him. Seeing this, Oscar just gently snapped his fingers. The space became noisy, with a sound link that made everyone cover their ears. What the hell? At this time, he seriously announced, seniors, please focus. Today we are gathering to produce vaccines and medicine for avian flu. I need everyone's help. Everyone listened and looked at each other, whispering, he is the one who gathered us. What is going on? Why is this genius suddenly yielding? Is he going to make medicine? Isn't this another scam? Oscar on this side was also wondering about what they said. He rolled his eyes and asked, hey Franck, do those people hate me or something? Franck replied with a gloomy face. Of course. Why? Think about the things you have caused, besides the recovery medicine. You are arrogant, annoying, wasting the tower's money, not doing research, and drinking like a drunkard. Am I really that trashy? But at least he still tries. Suddenly Rena came in front of Oscar and waved her hand. Hello, Oscar Crushen. Can I ask a few questions? All the potion-making formulas of the White Tower have disappeared. Right, how are you planning to make medicine? He was immediately surprised. I have restored them. Really? Hey, do you know how much he embezzled? Is the medicine really effective? Yes, we have signed a contract, along with the order. Rena crossed her arms and asked, so it is worth more than gold, right? If the formula is leaked, then the meat with every meal thing will be a joke. What makes you think you can share something so valuable with us? Oscar answered gently, I will be honest. I do not know why the seniors are still staying in the White Tower. But in return, Rena was extremely grumpy. Is that your attitude when asking for help? It seems like we have wasted our time. She walked away, muttering with a resentful mood, I do not know what the great genius means, but no one here deserves to hear that kind of talk. Oscar spoke up, I know everyone has contributed to the White Tower. This sentence successfully made Rena think again. What? Level 5 mage. Rena White, 25 years old. The Red Tower and many organizations have recognized her talent and leadership ability, and tried to recruit her 7 times, but she refused. Level 5 mage, Harok Dryan, 26 years old. The Royal Palace has offered a position as a Royal Combat Mage, acknowledging his mastery of combat magic, but he refused. He even knows that. Level 5 mage Deckardline, 26 years old. The Royal Academy has offered him a professorship 4 times, but he refused. Level 4 mage Sepia Rose, 23 years old. The Gold Tower approached her for her creative alchemy skills, but she refused. Not just the names I have mentioned, but all the seniors here have received similar offers. Oscar stood in front of the group of people and said with certainty, if I receive such offers, I do not know if I could refuse them. But everyone did not leave this place. Rena frowned and asked, do the elders know about all the offers? He did not hide it and replied directly, yes, but they can't do anything but pretend not to know. They do not want to make things difficult for everyone. The White Tower is experiencing the coldest winter in history. Although everyone could go to a warmer place, everyone chose to stay with this cold. If I can't trust people like that, then who can I trust? But if everyone does not want to, then I won't force it. I guess the 2 low-level mages have to solve it themselves. Saying this, he pretended to wipe away tears, but Frank, next to him, rolled his eyes, saying that they were crocodile tears. Frank suddenly became angry. You are not talking about me, are you? Oscar gently reminded him. Frank, come on. If there are only 2 of us, there won't be enough time. Then he pretended to cry in front of Rena again. Seeing this, she had no choice but to reconsider. Then she spoke up, starting with his glasses, right? As soon as she said that, everyone started to fuss. That is right. Don't do it alone. Where should we start? You guys in the back, do not just watch, prepare to work. Frank smiled happily and said to Oscar, Oscar, you convinced everyone. Am I dreaming? Oscar also teased back with satisfaction. If this is a dream, then I do not mind it. Let me tell you in advance, it is not pork, it is, damn it, it is still chicken. Don't tell me it is rat meat. Everyone inside shouted loudly at this time, beef. Then only a week later, he was wandering around when he saw a heart shape made of flowers laid on the ground. Petals. Is that old man Walter? Then, not caring much, he went to sit on the chair. It seems like he is back. The Vice Tower Master must have brought him in. If I see him, I should greet him. He crossed his legs and read today's newspaper. The newspaper clearly stated the information. Vince Territory announces that the avian flu epidemic is over after 2 days of medicine being delivered. A sign of the White Tower's resurgence, a small stone thrown into the magic market, a huge ripple. Oscar Crushen is nominated for this year's Peace Prize. White Tower, international support for Archbishop Baldwin, has increased rapidly. Seeing this, Oscar secretly rejoiced. Everything is going according to plan. Then suddenly, there was a call from afar. Oscar, Oscar. It was Frank. He ran over with a happy face. Big news! The pre-orders for the vaccine are increasing. Did you see the list? The Northern Territories, Knights, even the Royal Palace. Everyone is ordering. It is crazy. Just selling this batch of medicine will easily earn 10 million bells. Oscar turned his head and asked him, if you care about your own life, then you should use the vaccine. At least the hardship is over. But this movement will end soon, right? Not bad. I did not expect you to know that this revenue is not permanent. Do you think I am stupid? Once everyone has the vaccine, who would want to buy it anymore? It will be another decade before the next epidemic. Oscar smiled and comforted Frank. Don't worry about money. I have prepared recovery medicine, which is always needed. Frank began to panic. You did not just restore one formula, did you? You have planned everything out. Could it be the legendary Tear of the Star? Frank's eyes sparkled at this time, looking at him, but he replied coldly, no, we are only selling low and mid-level magic medicine. It is too early to create that. Tear of the Star, the most famous recovery magic medicine from the White Tower, is said to have magical medicine that can revive the dead. If it is released, it will cause chaos. Then thought to himself, but if we create it now, the vultures will steal the formula. This time, we are only safe because the Archbishop acts as our shield. First, we must strengthen the power of the White Tower. Then turned to Frank and said, it is the right time to build it, because there are orders. Please go to collect the materials. Frank heard this, and then face down. If I knew it, I would not say anything. Rantis leaves. Snake body, and is there more? Just those two things are hard to find. What are you talking about? They're all specialties from Siren, specialties of Siren. What era are you talking about? That is ancient era. Those kinds of plants have declined. Since the last century, after listening, Oscar's expression suddenly changed to a state of confusion, then yelled loudly, are you crazy? But Frank did not give in, keep ranting. You really dragged me to this bad place just because you do not believe me, told. Then two people still decided to go on their way. After seeing a carriage, the misfortune happened. We climbed the whole road, because even people's vehicles could not enter. The carriage could not go further. Oscar offered, wait, we have been walking for about 10 miles, so we should be close there. Hearing this, Frank quickly asked him again, Miles, are you still using units that disappeared 18 years ago? What? People do not use miles anymore. What is wrong with you today? After the war, everything was converted to meters. Pounds became grams. Must have read a lot of ancient books while restoring the formula. Hearing this, Oscar was shocked and speechless. Oh my god, even the pound system disappeared. Sure, pound calculation is a bit complicated, but the joy lies in meticulously calculating each conversion. Goodbye, miles and pounds, it was really fun. Then Frank looked into the distance and then realized, I see a cabin up there. Without thinking much, the two of them went up to that place. Is anyone home? An old man with red eyes asked the two of them. Did you walk here? Frank politely replied, yes, the carriage can only take us to the gate. What is that? Then, suddenly a group of people came from somewhere. Their car stopped completely. Inside was a merchant pointing, hey, old man, are you in the mood to sell today? The old man inside then opened the door to welcome guests. The merchant and the old man then had a conversation. It is time to get rid of that stubbornness. I am offering 10 times higher than other places. What is going on? I do not know either. No way. Even if you build a castle for me with mithril, it will not change anything. Old Devore smirked and said, hey, old man, bargaining a few times for fun is fine, but living stubbornly and dying old in this corner, who will remember? Old Ivan also spoke up in response, that is not your business. But Devore did not want to stop there, but continued to mock, all just thinking for you. Sell quickly, and arrange a few years of life to live comfortably, waiting until the factories are full here. Then this land will only depreciate. Ivan, hearing this, growled back. That is ridiculous. As long as I am here, do not expect to get permission to build a factory. The old merchant Devore immediately fell silent after Ivan's words, then turned and ordered the servants, let us go, everyone. Yes, sir. Just about to step on the chariot when he stopped. Ah, almost forgot. I must have accidentally stepped on some herbs on the way here. Consider it me paying for the medicine. then threw a wad of money on the ground. Then turned and left with a mocking voice, "Goodbye." Their group left in a long line. On the way, Devor did not forget to ask his soldiers, "Hey, are the people wearing coats next to that old man not members of the White Tower? What are those beggars doing there?" Anyway, they also made a lot of money from the vaccine this time, did not they? Vaccine. Money. How much do they have? Hey, the number is not small, look at this. After listening, he fell silent. Then suddenly used the newspaper to hit a young man on the head. "What the hell? Why are you only opening your mouth to tell this story now?" He began to imitate his thoughts. What if that old man has the White Tower as his backing? Then how many more years can he last? For sure. That is not good. I am also about to not be able to pay the interest on the bank. Then spoke to call. "Hey, yes. Call the mercenaries that you contacted before. Must solve it tonight, yes, but what do you want to assign them? What else? It is as clear as day." But he is a person recognized by the government. Again, the old man used the rolled-up newspaper to hit the young man on the head, kill him, and stage it as missing. The ownerless land will be auctioned off. I just have to pick it all up. It's also somewhat reckless, but I have backing, no need to think. The young man hugged his head in pain and replied, "So what if the mages of the White Tower stay in the medicine field? If they block the road, then eliminate them. But getting involved with the 4 great magic towers is difficult to control the consequences. Also, that old man Ivan is also. Then what is the big problem?" Old Devor did not know what he was planning, but smirked as if he was pleased. The 4 great magic towers are only in the past. Now the White Tower has not collapsed either. Transitioning tonight, Franck lay under the stars and said, "The herb picker here seems like a nice person. It is late, but he still lets us stay, and even cooks for us. Even Oscar, too. Then remember the story of the morning, when you were talking to old Ivan. The name is Oscar, and you are Franck, right? It is very late, rest here. It is very dangerous to go down the mountain now. Is that, okay? The people of the White Tower must be loyal and righteous. Righteousness. Do not tell me, oh, but who was that person just now? We walked here, but he drove a car. Is the crazy Devor Powell. For the goal, he does not care about anything. Kidnapping, threatening, killing people. He dares to do everything." He recounted. From 3 years ago, he started buying land in this area. Now only my piece of land has he not bought. Many herb pickers have left Siren and went, or disappeared without a trace. Hearing this, Franck also had to shiver. What? Why does he have to do that much? He wants to turn this area into the largest industrial center on the continent. So how did you endure for so long? He does not dare to touch me. The person who is at a disadvantage here is him. Then he patted his chest, claiming, "I am the best at growing herbs." Seeing the high person in front of them, Oscar and Franck could not help but be surprised, said in unison, "So you are protected by the royal family. That is right. Thanks to that I can last. Until now, if you sell this piece of land, you would be rich. Then you just need to live comfortably. Why do not you do that?" The answer is simple, yes. He closed his eyes, as if he was feeling proud. "This piece of land is where I was born, and will also be where I rest, because I love this place more than anything else." Returning to reality, Oscar kept praising him. He is really a great person. Even when he awkwardly ran into the house was also adorable. They remembered the scene of Ivan anxiously running into the house, looking extremely cute. Even Franck next to him agreed. "That is right. The sky here is so beautiful, jealous, right?" He laughed and replied, "Nothing, just wondering if I do not know the feeling. When I have a beautiful life like that, how will I live? You are a genius. You probably do not understand that feeling." Oscar turned to look at him and said, "You are not bad either. I think you will be good in the future. Anyway, thank you for encouraging me. It's not a polite way to say it, I really think so. From the beginning, I have not been a person who is good at talking." At this time, Oscar secretly thought, "I still do not understand why the boy Oscar said, 'You are a troublesome boy, the night sky is really beautiful tonight.'" He looked up at the sky and said to himself, "Before, in the center of Siren, you could still see the stars. Now the streetlights are bright all night. You cannot see anything. In the old days, it was a bit inconvenient, but in fact, sometimes that inconvenience is full of poetry." Remembering those days was so beautiful. Frank glanced at him and laughed mockingly. "You sound like an old man. The old days, how long ago is that? You are younger than me. And hey, about the profession of growing medicine in Siren, do you think it is possible to recover?" Oscar also happily replied, "I do not think this is impossible. The details have to wait to talk to Mr. Ivan tomorrow to know." Then suddenly, he widened his eyes in surprise. "What? Your face is so tense. Did you see a ghost?" He turned his head with a panicked face. "Not a ghost. People. There are as many as 4 people. What? Why can't I feel anything?" Oscar thought to himself. Even Franck, who is quite sensitive to magical power, did not detect it. Then they definitely do not have good intentions. "Franck, wake up quickly. It seems that we are about to have guests." On the other side, there are 2 people running in the dark. Max, while running, glanced to the side and said, "Why did he agree to do it this way now? Last time I proposed to solve that old man, but he still opposed it. Back then, the name Devor Powell was worried that he could not handle the consequences, so he hesitated." The old man next to him, who was following, also spoke up. "Screw him, he will do it with money. Anyway, we are also wanted all over the north. Now, doing this extra case is okay." Suddenly, from behind the 2 of them, there was a sound of footsteps coming. "Enough. Let us attack. Be careful. Do not be subjective." "It was the gang gunman, Jack," he said. I heard that in the group, at that old man's house there is a mage, the White Tower right? If so, it is also lucky. If we met one of the remaining 3 magic fighters, it would be a big trouble. Max happily said, I hope that is true. I also want to try to compete with a mage. Boss, let me go in first. When he was preparing to unlock the door, suddenly a thought ran through his head. So quiet. That old man must have gone to sleep early. Then opened the door and walked in easily and unexpectedly. He rolled his eyes around the house, thinking, there is no mage here. A little disappointed. Then he suddenly frowned, sweat dripping profusely. With a panicked expression, he ran away. Damn it. That was fast. Wind bullet. Bang! A bullet pierced through Max's head in an instant. It was Oscar. He had been hiding, waiting for them to come here and pay with their lives. That magic is not bad for attacking, huh? It was one of the basic spells recorded in Oscar's basic magic reanalysis. An attack spell based on the principle of a gun, using the White Tower's wind magic. Then he opened the door and stepped outside. Oscar thought to himself, more damage than I thought. 3 more left, right? As soon as he stepped outside, he was surprised. Why are there only 2? The old man spoke up and asked. Max got hit by that magic. Oscar raised his hand, indicating he is lying still in there. Looks like he will be sleeping for a while. Then he said implicitly, just the 2 of you left. Hearing this, the old man could not help but curse. Useless bastard. I told you not to be careless. The man named Jack next to him said calmly, tell me where the herb picker lives, and I will let your attack on Max slide. Hearing the 2 of them, Oscar thought a bit. No reaction to provocation, and avoiding unnecessary conflict. They are definitely professionals. Let emotions guide you. Jack began to act arrogantly. Or do you want to see blood? Kill him. He finished his words and pointed, ordering the old man. The old man rushed forward in a flash. But Oscar only needed to snap his fingers, and a protective barrier immediately appeared. The old man tried to attack the protective barrier with magic, but could not do anything at all. Then, in the next second, he was countered by Oscar. The old man looked at him, and smiled with a meaningful smile. Well done. But, you do not know that this is an atypical weapon, do you? As he said this, he swung his sword, preparing to attack Oscar. But these moves were nothing compared to Oscar. Too bad it is over. He only needed to raise one finger, and a powerful stream of magic immediately surged. Really, don't underestimate me. Think it is that simple, huh? Finishing his words, Oscar fired 2 magic bullets at him. He used his sword to block wildly. Impossible, in a sudden ambush, not only not panicking, but also shooting this accurately. After taking back the 2 magic bullets, Oscar smirked and said, I am not unfamiliar with that kind of atypical weapon. But in the next second, his face suddenly turned pale. Then he quickly retreated backward. This made the old man feel strange. You won, but you are retreating, are you kidding me? It turned out that from afar, Oscar had sensed a danger lurking around here. A gun barrel was pointing in the direction of the 2 of them. Then bang. The bullet streaked past the old man's head, creating a thunderous noise. Fortunately, Oscar had managed to retreat and create a protective barrier, but it was still destroyed. And that bullet streaked across his face, creating a long scratch on his cheek. It was Jack. He was cruelly planning to finish off his teammate as well. Too bad. If I had been a little more careless, I would have definitely died. Seeing this scene, Oscar could not help but be surprised by his actions. Not a comrade. More accurately, a subordinate. You can always recruit new ones. Criminals are indeed criminals. He spoke up and asked him, and what is that toy? Jack reloaded the gun as he explained to Oscar. It is a shame to call it a toy. You just need to know that it is damn expensive. Acceleration, enhancement, armor penetration. Oscar suddenly interrupted. 3 types of magic are engraved on it, right? Hearing this, his expression changed. How do you know? Oscar pointed to the wound on his face and replied simply, because I could not block it. Jack heard this and raised his chin high, saying, arrogant, but the skills seem to be enough. Want to work with me? The salary is not bad. Not interested. Why, that itchy feeling on the back of the neck, right? Then there is no need to talk further. Saying this, he once again prepared to attack. Seeing the unfavorable situation, Oscar quickly hid. A former Magic Tower Master is so pathetic, forced to run away by a hail of bullets. He ran and thought, his bullets are faster than my wind wheel. A direct confrontation is disadvantageous. I only have half of my magic power left. I can't keep running. If he has one weakness, it is the reload time. After every 2 shots, he has to stop to reload, and then attack again after exactly 1.24 seconds. As for Jack, he was now carrying a weapon and hunting his prey. Where did the mouse hide? From afar, Oscar heard his voice, and another thought came to his mind. 1 bullet left. If I want to end it in that 1.24 seconds. Acceleration. In an instant, Oscar disappeared. He rushed quickly towards him like a flash of lightning. Jack at this time also caught on to the pattern that he was rushing over here. Over there, huh? That is fast. Just as he raised his gun and aimed at Oscar, he suddenly stopped his hand. But, do you think a mere mortal like you can win against Trinity? Jack raised his gun high, aiming accurately at his target, Oscar. He forcefully fired a shot at him. Oscar at this time also managed to create a protective barrier, and his bullet fired out had now touched Oscar's protective barrier. Jack smiled complacently. It is over. But unexpectedly, what he wanted did not happen. The bullet immediately deflected and flew in another direction. Then, taking advantage of the opportunity, Oscar rushed up to retaliate. He began to feel panic. What? With just acceleration magic, it is impossible to avoid that bullet, right? No, he avoided it. Could it be? He used his shield. Oscar was now standing in front of him. He raised his hand, making a gun shape, preparing to finish him off. Jack was now more at a disadvantage. He stuttered for a moment. What? How can a low-ranking mage like you understand? Finishing his words, he fired a bullet into the middle of his head. After finishing the job, he breathed a sigh of relief. He crouched down next to him and said, "Hey, that weapon you used just now was really troublesome." Then he directly took the gun from his body and thought, Trinity, right? Acceleration, enhancement, armor penetration. It really is a trinity. I have to admit, the weapon was pretty good. I had quite a hard time. I coated it with windshield. A windshield, magic that reduces friction and increases durability, making the surface soft and the inside hard, so that the bullet can't penetrate but will slide along the surface of the shield. Luckily, my calculations were correct, otherwise I would be the person lying there. When I return to the White Tower, I have to research more ways to deal with new magic weapons. My body is not complete, and I have to continuously cast spells. I feel like I am reaching my limit. Thinking this, Oscar quickly left, but first, I have to save Frank and Mr. Ivan safely. Returning to where Ivan and Frank were. At first, I sensed exactly 4 auras, and I have dealt with 3 of them. Don't get caught, Frank. Just try a little harder. Suddenly, a stranger walked over to greet him. Hello. Frank immediately got into a protective stance in front of the old man Ivan. Old man, go first. What about you? It is okay. I am strong. Moreover, I can't fight comfortably with you here. I will catch up soon. All right, then be careful. The man standing in front of Frank, he began to speak. What a nice lie. The farewell is over, huh? Seeing him standing still, he began to think, why is not he chasing? Is he targeting me? He chuckled mockingly at him. What are you saying? Could it be that you deliberately let the old man run so that I would not target you? You want to live alone? Hearing this, Frank fell silent. He continued, it is true that the old man is the target, but I have always been curious about one thing, why everyone is afraid of mages from the 4 great magic towers. So, first I have to kill you. Saying this, he swung his sword, planning to attack him first. But Frank was not someone who was easy to bully. He immediately used magic. Wind slash, a beautiful line flashed from him. The man, seeing this, became even more complacent. This is too easy. Make it a little more interesting. Yet he dodged and pointed his sword close to Frank's body. Is that all it takes to be called one of the 4 great magic towers? Frank was stabbed by him but thought differently. Wait, why does it feel so light when the sword pierces my heart? Something's wrong. He unconsciously pulled out the knife that was stabbed into his heart, then stabbed him in return. Frank was now completely complacent. Sorry. My constitution is a bit special. After he fell, Frank finally managed to breathe a sigh of relief. Phew. I almost died. But he did not know that someone was still secretly observing him. It was Oscar. Frank, so you are a special type mage, and on top of that, wind white. I did not expect Fran to possess magic that transforms the body into wind. Oscar walked and analyzed. Physical attacks are ineffective. If you can't use magic or sword energy, it is truly impossible to deal with. That is a skill so powerful that even I, a magic tower master, have only seen it in rare, ancient books. Moreover, that record also said that it was the unique magic of the 7th generation magic tower master of the special system. Unexpected Fran actually inherited Wind White. Frank. As soon as Frank saw Oscar, he panicked, startled. When did you come? Just now I was worried. You did great. Come on. You are so smug. Hurry up. He spoke to ask, where did he go? About the old one. Hearing this, at that moment he panicked. Old Ivan, where are you? Get back here quickly. Kid this. If he were properly trained, he would have the potential to far surpass dozens of advanced mages. Feeling that the aura is over there, let us go. Relationships must be maintained. Thank you all. Mr. Ivan hugged Frank and revealed, I really thank you so much. If it were not for you, I probably would not have seen the sunlight this morning. He also happily responded to his hug. I did not do anything. It is all that kid. No. Oscar stood next to him and said, I missed the swordsman. If it were not for you, I would have been dead. Without you, I would have been dead. Hearing this, Frank started to smoke. His face turned red. They began to converse with each other. Anyway, is everything over like this? I am afraid not. That name is not easy to give up like that. If the assassination fails, he will use other methods. Powell, Towel, why is he so persistent with the herb field? Before Frank's question, Ivan did not hide, but told everything in detail. Because this is the widest land in Siren, and is located in a prime central location. Siren's land has been severely degraded over the past 8 years. In the western area, where the factories that produce magic engineering products are located, wastewater and pollutants from there have flowed along the Wolf River, causing the current situation. If he builds more factories near this area, the day Siren completely runs out of life will not be far away. At that time, losing the ability to grow medicinal herbs, this place will gradually die out. Old senior, I have one thing to ask. At this point, Oscar spoke to ask him about what you said yesterday, the duty to keep with the White Tower. Is it the promise of the fourth generation Magic Tower Master? Leonard Ayres is not it, you know, about that. Well, what is it? Old Ivan explained it to the two of them again. It is the story about the past of pharmacists. In the old days, people had a very different view of people who collected herbs. At that time, pharmacists were often considered witches because they often cooked strange herbs that no one knew the use of, and then sold them. So they had to live a wandering life, evading the eyes of the world. During that time, our benefactor appeared. It was Mr. Leonard Ayres, the fourth generation Magic Tower Master of the White Tower. Famous for his keen eyes, come to Siren. That place will become your eternal homeland and your descendants. There, you will no longer be looked down upon by anyone. Hearing this, Oscar spoke with a blank face. There, you will no longer be looked down upon by anyone. The three people sat and talked very enthusiastically. You said those words so touching. I heard the story in great detail for the first time. I read it in a children's storybook. Actually, I read it in an ancient book passed down only to the Magic Tower Master. Ivan said kindly. Since then, pharmacists from all over the continent have flocked to Siren. The first night those wanderers had their own home, so, for us. At this time he smiled contentedly. The White Tower is a symbol of our homeland and ancestral pride. How can we betray the White Tower? Looking into his sincere eyes, it seemed that Oscar understood something. Then, suddenly stood up and bowed to express his gratitude to him. Thank you for your sacrifices all this time. From now on, the White Tower will stand shoulder to shoulder. Ivan saw the young and sensible young man, and was a little surprised. He smiled, and asked him, is there a plan? If the royal family knows that they attacked a living cultural heritage, they will take action immediately. Give me back my emotions. I am afraid the royal family will not have time to react. I can't leave this land. The royal family will definitely handle it, but because of caution, the speed cannot be fast. If during that time Mr. Sion Devor launches a general attack, do not worry. The royal family will act faster than light. Why is that? The next morning, at Devor Powell's office, there was a loud scream around here. Clean up quickly, damn it. Who told you to ruin things like this to make me bankrupt? Mr. Devor grumbled. We are dead if we lose them. Suddenly, someone rushed in unexpectedly. Stand still, what is it? I am Chief Inspector Walker of the Security Bureau of the Imperial Ministry of Interior. The Security Chief Inspector is here. You are Devor Powell, are not you. I will arrest you on charges of inciting murder, threats, illegal real estate transactions, and destroying human heritage. What? He was frightened and stepped back. You have the wrong person. I am a legitimate businessman. Walker went to talk to him. We will verify that ourselves. For now, shut up, cuff him, yes. Old man at this time fell into a dead end and gritted his teeth. Damn it, this is beyond my power. If I can contact that person, I will definitely find a way out. Then still spoke proudly. Even if I am arrested, you have to let me smoke a cigarette. Looking at him like that, Walker could only accept it, but then still made a decision. Cuff him and drag him away. Hey, you are making a mistake. Do you know who my backing is? I do not know, but the person backing me is His Majesty the Emperor. Can you overcome it? He heard then was angry, unable to speak. Give me the cigarette. Walker stood on the side and criticized them. The criminals really only know how to pick good things. Then the person next to Walker spoke. Chief Inspector, sir, can I ask you something? Ask. Just who is that name that we have to act within a day? It seems like it is the first time that there is been something like this. That is, an order from above. From above, yes. After that, Walker left. While walking, he said, Our Majesty loves the White Tower. Yes, what do you mean? I mean adults. Matters. Then he thought to himself, I do not understand why people value them so much, even though it is true that they have made great contributions in the past. But it has been 20 years. Even if you lift a bird with broken wings to fly high, at most, it will only be different in the speed of falling. To be frank, the current white cap is no longer capable or qualified to be treated, specially, nevertheless. Then he suddenly turned and asked the young man next to him, Doran, how old are you this year? 23. So, 20 years ago you were only 3 years old. At that time, I was only 12, when humanity won the war with the demons and was truly liberated. We do not know how great the White Tower was then, but the senior monks still miss that, and refuse to give up like that. Then, Walker turned to talk to Doran. Let us go. There is still one more place to go. Oh, is not today's schedule over? Unfortunately not yet. Then, he also followed behind. Where are we going? You guys clean up and go back. I will go to the west to issue an order to stop the illegal dumping of waste at the factories near the Wolf River. After saying that, he thought to himself, this matter I added to the schedule myself. Anyway, I do not know what the White Tower is like, but Oscar and Frank consider the debt they owe for helping to catch the jack sniper as repaying the debt. Doran still continued to follow and said, Can we stop by to buy food on the way? No, do it first, then eat. On this side there was a voice of two people. It is over so hard. What are you planning to do now? It has been a long time since we went drinking. I plan to report to the Vice Tower Master. Come along. Yeah. Hearing that, Frank scratched his head shyly. Oscar. Frank's face suddenly changed. When he met Oscar, he quickly brushed past. I have something to do first. Old Hamel came and asked Oscar. I think I also saw Frank. I must not be mistaken just now. He also replied, that is right, he left as fast as someone with something urgent. Hearing that, old Hamel chuckled, must be urgent? No, I am joking. Anyway, Oscar, you handled a big job this time. At first I only intended to let you out for a walk. Then he reached out and said, come into my room to listen to the report. Yes, I am planning to stop by. Let me go first. Then both went into old Hamel's room. He was silent for a while, causing him to think, is something wrong? Why do you look so sad? Then suddenly, Hamel spoke. Have you heard from Frank? Hearing this, he inadvertently suspected, is something wrong? Then asked him, is nothing special? Has the Sirius family contacted to say they want to pick up Frank? Do you mean Frank will leave the White Tower? Has he agreed? It is not clear. He bowed his head and said in a sad voice, I heard that he has already talked to him, but I do not know the details. At Frank's room, come in, what is up? Suddenly, Oscar pushed the door open and asked, who is Mr. Grang? Frank Sirius, the youngest son of the largest merchant association in the Empire. Oscar, you scoundrel, you heard everything. You are planning to leave the White Tower. Sorry for not saying it earlier. I could not say it when I was sober, so I suggested we go drinking. It is time for me to go back to help my family association and get married. Oscar spoke to ask, get married. When did you date? Frank also replied with a sad voice. They said she is a good person, also from a good family, so both are beneficial. That is a different way of saying political marriage. And you agreed to that. She is pretty, kind, and from a good background. What is there not to like? It is not about marriage. But Frank's answer was not what Oscar wanted, about giving up magic. But Frank said with a melancholy look, what else can I do? My talent is only limited. Honestly, I once thought I was special. I thought, if I came to the weakest tower, I would become the leader. Sorry if I offended a White Tower lover like you. But when I was here, I realized I was wrong. I did not know how to measure myself. I can't even have a position here, so I understand why my family wants me to come back. Suddenly, Oscar spoke to call his name, Frank Sirius. He immediately replied, what is wrong? Because I said the White Tower is weak. But Oscar's next words surprised him. You have talent. Hearing this, Frank was also suddenly surprised. Then shyly replied to his words. Thank you. Hearing that from a genius makes me very happy. Seeing him like that, he had to say a firm sentence again. I am serious. Do you want to get beat? Become the leader? Suddenly someone pushed the door open and stepped in. Grang came to call, Frank. Frank, as soon as he saw him, Frank inadvertently startled. He put his hand into his pocket to take something, did not forget to tell Frank. You are Frank's classmate. Frank, you have 5 minutes to pack your things. I am waiting, yes. Then I will let you say goodbye. How many? Oscar spoke to suggest, let Frank stay. Hearing this, Grang was a little angry, asking him back, and who are you to ask that? He had to introduce. Oscar Cruciang. I am his friend, the mage, who just created the cure. Yeah, I am Grang Sirius. I am the brother of that useless guy, Grang Sirius, the eldest son of the Sirius family, and the vice president of the Merchant Association. Oscar spoke to suggest to him, Grang Sirius, I want to make an agreement with you. Oscar, hearing him speak, he also felt a little moved. Straightforward, I heard that you are a genius. Perhaps it explains this. Interfering with a kid to be able to negotiate with the Sirius family. Anyway, it will not be disadvantageous to you. Then made an offer. I will turn Frank into the top mage of the White Tower within 2 years. How? Me? In the long run, it will also be beneficial to your family. A mage who is at the top of the 4 towers in 2 years. What if you fail? I will give the association the profits from selling the Cadena flu cure and vaccine for 50 years. Hey, are you crazy? Do you have the right to decide? Do not act like I am not here. Oscar also replied firmly. We have the right. The Vice Tower Master is witnessing, but in front of the 2 of them, Frank showed a panicked face. Do not act like I am not here. Then turned to look at Frank and said, is this kid that valuable, or just a stupid friendship? Oscar, hearing this, darkened and replied, of course. He is worthy of it. His words caused Frank to freeze a bit. He confidently patted his shoulder and said in front of Grang about Frank, I intend to restore the White Tower's ultimate honor within a maximum of 5 years. The cure is just the opening shot. To do that, I need Frank Sirius. He is very necessary for the White Tower. I want to build. You are young, but you are a merchant. I have no reason to be lenient with newcomers. But Grang was too much and suggested more. However, I will add a condition. I think my agreement is already very generous. I agree. But you have underestimated one thing. The trust of a merchant is worth more than money. I do not agree with anyone. Prove that you have. My bodyguard is a level 5 knight. If you prove that you can defeat him tomorrow, I will accept the agreement. Hearing him become more and more excessive, Oscar folded his arms and rolled his eyes. Do you know that I am a level 2 mage, and you still say that? But he seemed to ignore. Is that so? Then he will not use sword energy, basically. You are saying that you do not want to give up Frank. The marriage must be very beneficial to the family. Then turned and left. Before leaving, there was one more reminder. Then I will meet you tomorrow. If you do not appear, I will take it that you refuse. After he left, Oscar immediately sank into thought. Even for me, fighting a level 5 also. Before Oscar's blank expression, Frank shouted, what are you doing? If you say now, he will cancel it. I will go with you. Wait, this person? Frank was now frightened and said, my brother only wants to hit you. He is angry. If it is too embarrassing, I can go with you, so. But Oscar just calmly replied, It is possible. This made him even more frightened. What do you mean? How can a level 2 mage fight a level 5 knight? If he is a level 4 mage, then maybe. You are saying you will level up to level 4 in one day? Even I can't do that. But instead, after a while then Oscar patted Frank's shoulder happily. A mage who is at the peak of level 3, I can make him level up to level 4. Your brother did not say I have to fight myself, he only said I have to prove my ability. So is it not enough to prove that? Frank's serious? Yes. At this time, Frank looked at him with both surprised eyes, a joy that crept into his soul. Oscar put his hand on Frank's shoulder, smiled smugly, and said, I will turn you into level 4, so fight for me. Training room, 40th floor. I do not know. I cannot do it. Something that I cannot do in the whole year. Is it possible? If you completely believe me, of course I believe you. Then stand in a relaxed position, close your eyes, and circulate mana throughout your body. Immediately, the middle of Frank's chest emitted light. He spoke all right. Oscar continued to guide him. Here, and this place. These are the places where your mana is out of control. Having many points like that will slow down your spellcasting speed. Hearing this, Frank worriedly asked, did a genius see that immediately? No, only me. You self-conceded, so if I fix it, I will level up. He also quickly responded to Frank's questions. Yes and no. This does not help with leveling up. 99.9% of mages do not care about it. Then why? Then pointed and said, because the remaining 0.1% who become great mages all care about it. From now on, you have to train as I say every morning. Your cycle is quite harsh, mana rushes too fast, making it collide, so it causes a large loss. Control the speed more carefully, or, in other words, the way you do it is too rude and hasty. Try to focus on mana. This cycle has 6 paths. You have to divide the mana into 6 branches. That is how you minimize the amount of mana lost and maximize the efficiency. I have to think of all this. When casting spells, it is too much. If you do it every day, you will see it as natural as breathing. After a long rant, Frank finally inadvertently said, I understand, so I just need to do that, right? No, now show me the magic you used when fighting in the medicine field. You saw it, yeah, but Frank hesitated and spoke. Sorry, I can't. Oscar quickly interrupted him. Did not you say you believe me? No, it is not that I do not believe you. I am scared. Frank began to tell why he reacted like that. I almost died when I used that magic. The older I get, the more worried I get. If I can't become a mage, my family will laugh at me, so I started to think, can I do something that no one else can do? Suddenly, his hand unexpectedly showed a source of light from magic. Frank began to feel doubtful about himself. What if, instead of just one part of the body? What if I turn my body into wind? Will it make me stronger? It is a crazy idea. At first, I thought it worked. It worked. The source of magic gradually surrounded Frank. He was now extremely panicked, worried, and yelled, I can't use it again. It was a failure. After my lower body turned into wind, my mana lost control and became frantic. Help! Is anyone there? Telling up to here, Frank bowed his head. If the Tower Master did not help, I would have died that day. In fact, using the word eliminated would be more accurate. After that, there was nothing I could do on my own. The feeling of the soul being torn into thousands of pieces and disappearing. I never want to feel that again. Seeing him tremble like that, Oscar had to say to comfort him. For someone who said that, you used it very well on the hill, he continued. It activates automatically when I am in danger. Do I look miserable? Hearing Frank's question, Oscar quickly interrupted. No, I do not think so. Many other mages have thought like you, really, and that is why the solution is very simple. In your case, it is due to lack of mana control, so you need to improve that. Hey, that sounds easy. 100% mana control is thanks to talent. How can you improve it? That is normally right, but there is a way to raise it, while saying that he used chalk to draw on the ground below. Frank wondered, what are you doing? Drawing a summoning circle. What are you planning to summon? Do not tell me a demon? He calmly replied to Frank. Those demons will never come, even if you call them. Then what are you planning to summon? An elf. With Oscar's words, Frank suddenly shouted, O wind spirit, you blow away the evil and darkness of the world. O great Sirius, you seek the truth. I humbly ask to stand beside your great power. I beg to walk with you, so, according to the ancient covenant, please appear before me now, according to our original oath. But nothing happened at all. It did not work. Your connection with the spirit is terrible. I thought I just felt a few gusts of wind, right? That was just my sigh. Frank blushed and screamed, come on. Seeing his emotions become more and more panicked, Oscar had to comfort him. Only a few people have a spiritual connection, so do not be disappointed. Frank showed a worried face again. But, have not we just failed from the start? If I still can't summon a spirit, then how can I control mana? It is, okay, there is still another way. In my past life I learned a ritual to summon spirits when I visited the kingdom of the elves. I did not establish a contract. It is okay. The elves told me to try it for fun, and I accidentally did it. Frank stood opposite him and said, if there is one success, then there will definitely be a second. Even though, they said I was the only human summoner in 118 years. So what? Now should we open the summoning portal again? At this time, not wanting to stand still anymore, Oscar stepped forward. Get out of the way, let me try. More importantly, the Spirit King will remember me. After saying that, he stepped into the summoning circle, then closed his eyes tightly. Before, it was not this deserted training room, but in front of the giant world tree. Wind Spirit, Come to me. Just as Oscar's summoning finished, a gust of wind rolled up. What? It worked. Right from the start, the wind. Immediately a god appeared. A majestic voice said to Oscar, "Human, is that you? Are you the one who summoned me? It has been 27 years since the last time you humans summoned me." Oscar looked up at the wind spirit and thought, according to the record, that was also me 27 years ago. Thinking that, he said, "I want to make a contract with you. Is there anything you need, such as a contract to write, for example?" The wind spirit then bowed and said to him, "Such rituals are not necessary. The important thing is the connection between our hearts. Human, you will establish a contract of true friendship with a high-level spirit, Celestin." Before that question, Oscar just calmly replied, "No. I should have said this first. I do not need you. I summoned for him, not because I need a spirit." The next day, in the training area, everyone gathered in the training area and asked about it. "Did you sleep well last night, Vice Tower Master?" "I am always fine. Because you have come here, can I take this as your approval?" Lazily said, "That is right. I was suspicious, but I decided to accept it. The stubbornness of the magic pharmacist, after all, is too great. I understand. Then I will also agree." Grang introduced, "This will be the knight who will spar today." Lazily also cheerfully reached out to shake hands with Franck, level 5 knight, Lazily Morgan, level 2 mage, Oscar Cruciang. Then let me explain the rules. Very simple. Whoever gets the opponent's necklace first will win. If there is no winner in 5 minutes, we will accept defeat. Hearing this, Oscar also happily replied, "Sounds good. Let us start now. If you want to stop, raise your hand." Grang stood on the side and said, "Up, but are you okay with that outfit? It does not look very comfortable." Oscar's outfit at this time was very simple, hooded, baggy sleeves, but he still accepted. "It is okay. Anyway, I am not the one fighting." In the distance, Franck also came from afar. As soon as he saw him, Grang frowned. "Franck, Oscar Cruciang, what do you mean?" Oscar smiled and replied to him, "You said I have to prove my strength, but you did not say I have to fight myself. Yesterday I just taught him a few things." After listening, Grang frowned and secretly guessed, "I understand. It was my fault for not making a condition that required direct participation. If you send Fran with the purpose of hoping that we will show mercy." "No, I just think a level 4 has more chances than a level 2. Level 4? That kid. Yesterday he was still only level 3. How?" Oscar said proudly to Grang, "I want Frank to become our star mage in 2 years. Then at least I have to show the ability at this level." After listening, Grang was angry and ordered the knight, lazily, "Do not show mercy to him. Under orders." Oscar, on the other side, also quickly patted Frank's shoulder, encouraging Frank's spirit, "Okay, you do not have to be afraid. Just do as I told you yesterday, and you will definitely win." He also nodded in agreement. "Okay. Then step straight forward. I will be done soon." Lazily stepped forward and bowed to Frank. "Long time no see, young master. Lazily. Start." As soon as the order was issued, Lazily fired a stream of magic at Frank, and he, on the other side, was still trying to reassure himself, "Okay, shorten the distance to 20 meters. Perfect." Looking at Lazily's fighting spirit, it is definitely not true to say I am not afraid. Frank immediately felt a little inferior. Pressure? He has not even released his sword energy. But the pressure at this distance, so that is how a level 5 feels like. If I say I can't do it? Seeing Frank seem a little hesitant before his opponent, he raised one finger and drew in the air. "That is why we need Fran Sirius. He is important to the White Tower. He is the one we need. If it were not for you, things might have been bad." A stream of magic flew over and surrounded Frank, making Frank seem to have more strength. "Wind sword, let us fight." While fighting, he was busy thinking, "This is the first time in my life that someone said that they needed me. How can I disappoint that feeling?" But all of Frank's sword moves were blocked by Lazily in an instant. "You have grown," chanting the spell team, "and even dissipating my pressure." A technique used in Eastern countries, this is the feeling of facing a sword master. Yogium art, one of the highest realms of swordsmanship, the realm of fighting, by moving the sword without touching it. But suddenly a slash from Frank had to make him stop. A piece of sword flies fast with the speed of light. That is enough observation. At this time, it was time for Lazily to counterattack. He quickly ran to Frank's face, making Frank fall into fear for a moment. He is too fast to block this. But fortunately, Frank quickly conjured a shield to resist. Windshield. Everyone in the audience above looked down and also showed admiration. How did he develop to that level? In just half a day, he is not using any forbidden arts, is he? "Do not worry. We use a safe method," Grang inadvertently spoke, worried. While fighting, Lazily also praised Frank. "You have grown a little, but that is all. Fran is not suitable to become a combat mage. His sensitivity, more than others, will hurt him. Maybe even. Perhaps there will be a time when being hurt is a good thing. Running a store may be more suitable for you. Then you will not be hurt. Your family will not worry. And those stupid thoughts like being swallowed by your own magic will not happen again." Both Oscar and Grang thought of one thing at this time. It is over. It is over. But suddenly he glanced at Frank and was extremely surprised when he saw Oscar's calm and somewhat strange attitude. "Why? Are you smiling?" Going back to last night, Oscar was training Frank. Merging the spirit was successful, although it was humiliating because it was just a low-level spirit. "How is Pungbake? Are you still doing well while practicing?" thank you, because now I am being beaten to death, everything seems to work. But you still can't freely turn your body into wind, because you still have not completely overcome the trauma and understood wind. Then I can't win tomorrow, no. If you use pung bake to the best of your ability, then it is possible, 100%. Fran, do you think turning your body into wind is all pung bake can do? There is still something else. The most interesting thing about pung bake is still there. He began to use chalk to draw, explaining carefully to Frank, this part is completely crazy. Assimilation. As long as it touches your body, it can turn anything, clothes, items, into wind. That is the most absurd part of pung bake. In a match, hiding the trump card until the end is normal. Would not it be more interesting to win in a psychological game? And now on the battlefield, Frank successfully retrieved the sword in Leslie's hand, holding in his hand the jade string that has been transformed from Leslie's sword. After all, he felt a little more relieved, holding the jade string in his hand, and was extremely excited. Cheered loudly, I did it. Reng, standing above looking down, was also surprised by Frank's strength. Pung bake. Impossible. Even the treatment mage also said that it will never be used again. Old Hamel sitting next to him laughed out loud. It seems that the match is over. Do you accept the result? Well done, he said. He taught her in just one day. Frank also happily went to wave to everyone. Reng rolled his eyes, then spoke to admit, I accept defeat. You must have had a difficult trip here. I am sorry to let you leave so soon. It is okay. Please continue to take care of my younger brother. He at this time only admitted his brother's efforts. You have grown a little. It is okay if you do not hear it. Hearing this, Frank was silent for a moment. Oscar looked at him and smiled and thought, a funny boy. Pretend that you do not hear it, ha. But, in fact, Frank was happy in his heart to be recognized by his brother. The next day, is this the gate, yes? He panicked and pointed and shouted loudly. This is the gate to the training area. This is clearly an underground prison, Oscar calmly explained. It was used as a dungeon centuries ago, so you are not wrong. Frank's expression was extremely confused. More importantly, I did not do anything wrong, and you are planning to force me to practice. Closed off, Oscar's tone was still as calm as at the beginning. That is a direct order from the Vice Tower Master, meaning he has high expectations for you. He hugged his face and could not accept the truth. If he has any expectations of me, why would he imprison me to practice? I only rested for one day. He could only persuade him. Look on the bright side, you need time to adapt to the spirit, and you need time to understand everything after reaching level 4. Frank's whole body stiffened. Oscar went to here, step by step. That is right. But still, do not complain anymore. You will not die. The door was about to close. Tears fell down his face. Really? He answered casually and ignored. That is right. Take care. Oscar gave a strange and incomprehensible smile. Sorry, in fact I was the one who suggested it. Back to the evening after the match ended, he had a private conversation with Hamel. 30 days of closed-off training for Fran, but he won the match. And you suggested this immediately. Yes, Fran really needs a challenge. He smiled and added, then we will have to compensate him in another month. Thank you. And there is also some good news. Hearing Hamel's words, Oscar was somewhat uncertain. The Serious Merchant Association said that from now on, we can freely use their distribution network, and it is completely free. They are giving it to us for free. He listened, and secretly assessed in his heart. They must have finished calculating, as expected of a top merchant association. If the White Tower is reborn, and Fran becomes a star mage, the profits of the Sirius family will be immeasurable. Their intention is very clear. But Oscar happily replied to Hamel, I do not feel bad about it. It is definitely good news. He has not finished announcing the news to him. And the second good news. I have something I want to ask you, Oscar. It turned out that Hamel was making an offer to Oscar. Will you take on the role of teaching? Teaching? He accepted from him but hesitated, as if not sure. I can do it, but Oscar said nothing more. Brought the cup to take a sip of tea. Does not he want me to focus on the magic potion room? He put down the cup, made a trade. Unless there is some reason why the mages at the White Tower must become stronger. Hamel had to admire Oscar's talent. Oscar, you are really sharp. Have you heard about the Night of the Mages? Yes, I know it. The Night of the Mages. The day that mages from all over the continent gather to improve their skills and promote exchange. The Emperor hopes that that day will strengthen the connection between the towers. That is right. In the end, they fight each other every time they meet. He was concerned and thinking in his head. If he had a question he would ask, it should have been cancelled after a few years. But now that it is mentioned, it means His Majesty is preparing to restart the Night of the Mages. Hamel honestly replied, without missing a word. That is right. It has not been announced yet. But next year, the palace will announce the details. I hope it is just this old man's worry. But the Black Tower is quite concerned. The Black Tower. His words surprised Oscar and made him open his eyes wide. As long as the Black Tower keeps targeting one position in the 4 Grey Towers, the White Tower is at the highest risk of becoming a target. Everyone is doing well, but I feel a little worried. The expression on his face was extremely serious, scaring Hamel a little. I agree, Oscar. You look a little different. At the Magic Tower, 36th floor, Oscar walked along the corridor, pondering. The campus. The Black Tower is developing fast, so arrogant. I would rather die than let the White Tower fall behind. Perhaps it is really a relief that we have Fran who has leveled up to level 4. He smirked with satisfaction. That low-level spirit fusion was really an important move, making me feel really comfortable. A demigod actually remembers an ordinary mortal who does not even keep his promise. The sunset sky was red. The day before, during the spirit summoning, Celestine angrily scolded. There is no way anyone would establish a spirit contract through someone else's summoning. Calm down. How do you want me to be calm? Oscar slightly opened his mouth. Salafrion was silent. He smiled and said to him, tell her that. The problem at this time was expressed by Oscar. The White Tower is back. Celestine frowned, and he said sternly to correct. A human dared to utter the name of the Spirit King. Celestine's face relaxed, as if he had realized something. The white-haired girl with colorful butterflies covering half of her face. Who are you? He pointed. The expression on his face was very puzzled. To have the Spirit King directly order an ordinary human. He stood in front of Celestine, without fear. If I tell you it would not be good, so, is it allowed or not? He agreed, but still made a rule. It is allowed, but only receive low-level spirits, and only merge, not to establish a complete contract. Oscar did not demand much. That was enough. Thank you. He needed to inform him again, and he told me to leave a message. Celestine conveyed the message to him. Do not forget the long-term promise. He said that. Oscar's tone was extremely prestigious. Do not worry, I will definitely keep the promise. Last time I could not do it, because I died too suddenly. He was standing in front of someone's door. Thanks to her, I have saved many members of the White Tower, so I will return the favor kindly, along with many interesting things. Oscar briefly read the contents of the paper posted on the door. Announcement of special class. Object, mages affiliated to the White Tower. Topic, re-explanation of basic magic. Time, Monday and Thursday every week, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Location, main building, 36th floor, classroom 4. He held the paper. There are still things that need to be done, but before that, let me check my people first. Changing the scene to the orange-haired man, he held his shirt and entered the class, sighing. All familiar faces. I thought you guys were dead because I did not see you guys. Hello. Orange Hair went near Amy's table and conveniently asked, by the way, is this class only for level 3? There are no seniors here, she replied, according to what she knew. Maybe, because this is a basic class. The intermediate mages must be very busy. Pink Hair chimed in. Her tone was very excited. But I guess it is true that the White Tower has become more comfortable. I heard that the Vice Tower Master personally invited the teacher, and the class is held at the main building. She and Amy talked very closely. This place used to be used to organize royal conferences. Right? Perhaps the lecturer is someone amazing. I am so excited. Spare me. The sound in the distance has attracted the attention of the three of them. That person is none other than Damien. His tone was a bit uncomfortable. They are just using a room that no one wants, and you guys act like it is a big deal. Damien Proud, the only son of Count Proud family. Pink Hair's expression was very innocent. Damien, are not you too negative. It is a rare opportunity, an investment. Damien immediately retorted loudly. If it is really an investment, then they would have prepared advanced classes like the other 4 towers, not re-explain basic magic. He kept saying the convincing evidence to them. Can't you recognize that with only 32 people here, among the people in the lower level, only 1 person is absent? If it is really as good of a class as you say. Damien was still busy talking, and the rest of them did not care anymore, suddenly stood up. So even that arrogant level 2 genius has bestowed us with his presence. Enough chit-chat. Soundproof. The orange-haired man felt something. His expression was a little worried. I can't hear anything. What is this? Silent magic. Outside the door, strange eyes entered. A friendly voice rang out. Very happy to meet everyone. I am the lecturer for today's re-explanation of basic magic. Oscar introduced himself in front of the students. Oscar Cruciang. The people looked at him and put up a lot of question marks. Why is the lecturer a level 2? Some people here may be disappointed that I am the lecturer. Pink Hair and Orange Hair were frustrated. It was difficult to accept in their hearts, at least he is understanding. Someone lower than us is teaching us. What does it mean? Even if he is our senior, he uses magic to silence us because he feels guilty. What kind of magic is this? He focused on observing Oscar. If everyone has prejudice, then just leave. From his pocket, Oscar took out something. Everyone is no longer a student under the control of the teacher, but there is a condition. He placed the hourglass on the table and set a condition for them. Prove that everyone does not need to learn anything more. Everyone has 10 minutes. Oscar stood on the podium and announced, during that time, say that you do not want to attend my class. He smiled and asked them, simple, right? The 10-minute time limit. During that time, say that you do not want to attend my class. Quite simple, right? The whole class was in a gloomy atmosphere. The people secretly cursed Oscar in their hearts. Simple, you monkey, are you crazy? He sealed our voices and wants us to talk, clearly wants to force us to participate. Pink Hair and Orange Hair were burning with anger. So this is a test. This guy is only level 2, so it can't be silence. Whatever it is something that can be solved. Damien on the side was no less than them. In other words, if you can't break the curse and speak, then you are not capable enough to skip the class. Oscar calmly sat down on the teacher's chair and observed the class. Okay, let us see what you guys have. I deliberately left a weakness in the spell, but it does not mean it is easy to break. The sand in the hourglass was running out, but no one had volunteered. He wondered, there is no one? Damien at this moment slammed the table and stood up. It is done. Oscar was quite surprised by the situation. That child is on the list of new mage. He rummaged through his memories. Damien's profile appeared right there. That is right. That is Damien Proud. A genius but extremely stubborn. Now Oscar had remembered, that is right, that is Damien Proud. A genius but extremely stubborn, he happily snapped his fingers to congratulate him. Congratulations. It is so easy that I want to slow down but can't. The people were now trying very hard. I can hear it. I am about to do it. Silence. He took the watch and announced, everyone's time is up. The person who passed the test is Damien Proud. He arrogantly asked Oscar, as expected, so I do not need to attend your class anymore, right? Of course. Up to you. His words made Damien hesitate to leave. He let me go so easily. Now I feel a little strange. In fact, with such a greeting, I am curious what the real class will be like. But now, saying that I will participate is very strange. Oscar propped himself up on the chair and stood up and said to him, probably because he is still a child, all his thoughts are on his face, you are the only one who passed. So I will give you a reward. I will teach you a spell. Come to the podium. Damien, hearing this, also went to the podium as he said, what is your favorite basic magic? Win/show it? He uncomfortably cast the magic. Annoying. Damien was surrounded by something. Here, is this okay? He propped his chin on his hand and praised, good. Today, I will teach you wind/. His tone was very grumpy. Cannot you see what is floating around me? Oscar bluntly refused. To me it is not wind/. At most it is just a half-baked version. He directly took the small sword. It has two problems. Damien was immediately horrified. What are you doing? Oscar just let go. Everything immediately disappeared. First, this spell is not made of wind. Damien, what do you think wind is? Perhaps at this time Damien was officially enlightened. Wind, moving air. He explained further, water is still water when it is still, and fire is still fire even when it flickers, but wind. Through Oscar's teaching, he seemed to have gained more knowledge. Only when the air moves continuously and circulates does it become wind. That is why what you create is not trample wind. It is more like no trample. The students below were also watching very attentively, not missing a detail. Just as stagnant water will rot, magic created from still air will also easily collapse. Remember that, the White Tower is the realm of wind. They remembered the image of Oscar taking the sword just now, meaning, our magic must be clear and uninterrupted, otherwise it will break like yours. What is the second problem? He pointed out the mistakes so that Damien could fix them. You waste too much mana when chanting. Cutting down on that waste will be more helpful. How can you know that with just one look? Oscar hesitated and asked him, once your magic reaches a certain level, you can see many things when you observe someone chanting. For example, personality, habits, and also, should I meddle a little? A little about their past. Damien was very eager to watch his parents cast magic, if you come from the Proud family. Known as the leading production mages in the White Tower, you must have observed your family using magic. Since childhood, usually, you will try to imitate them, maybe even trample the wind. He tremblingly resisted something huge. Before being taught structured magic, imitating trample wind will be very difficult. It is one of the most difficult basic magic. Perhaps you have used more mana than usual to force it to succeed. Every word of Oscar made Damien open his mouth in surprise. And the habit has followed him to now, releasing it together. Mana is still a valid method, how do you know? He pretended to lament a few words with him. Now you know the reason. Solving the problem will help you get a perfect wind/. It is a waste that such a talented student does not attend my class. Thanks to his skillful persuasion, Damien also obediently went down to the class. Come on, who said I did not attend? Oscar quietly watched his shadow. 3 weeks later, the sound of people talking excitedly rang out. Hey, have you heard the rumors? What rumors? Oscar Cruciang? That name? The blue-haired man listened to the information and told them. He is currently the best lecturer. The group of people talked non-stop. Is not he only useful to recruits? Not sure. A few level 4 and 5 mages have come to observe. The black-haired boy asked blankly. Should we go right away? I was about to say that. Let us go. Their conversation was heard by Veronica, sitting opposite. It is 7 of the clock. Is not class at 9 of the clock? We have to line up early. If we are late, we will not be able to enter. The blue hair at this time stood up. Immediately after, the people from other tables also stood up. Pink hair and orange hair asked many questions. Why are there so many people today? I see a few level 4 and 5 people. Even so, this is just a basic class. Wait. The person sitting behind them was none other than Maxim. The discussion was extremely much. Behind that is Elder Maxim. This is a conference of the Magic Association. At this moment, Oscar pushed the door open and stepped in. Good morning. Today's spell is very important. I am glad that everyone has come. The students were all very excited about today's lesson, the most important magic that every mage will need. Less than 3 seconds later, they were all silently frustrated. It is wind magic. The people looked at each other with black faces. In their heads they scolded. The base of the base, it is really a waste of time. He teaches a popular basic magic that even someone not in the White Tower knows how to use. Maxim raised his hand to ask to express his opinion. I am only here to see, but now I am curious. Oscar, are you really planning to teach wind magic to the people here? Oscar smiled and made an offer to him. Yes, if it is not too troublesome, Elder, can you show us wind magic, okay? A strong gust of wind rushed straight at the students. Is this wind, is it not a storm or wind pressure, as expected of an elder? The wind stopped. The students opened their eyes wide. Is it okay? Yes, thank you. Amy was a little startled when Oscar mentioned her name. So, Amy Levine, yes, now you try to cast wind magic. She flusteredly raised her hand to the sky, and then cast magic. Why is it me? There are many people who are better than me here. Wind. This gust of wind made them feel extremely happy, so gentle, so warm. He stood on the podium and asked them, does anyone see the difference in their spells? The students gave their opinions one by one, range and strength perhaps due to temperature as well. The feeling is also different, the essence in their mana. Veronica was very surprised that the person who answered correctly was herself. Exactly, Veronica Fricks. Oscar began to explain in detail for the other students to understand. As Veronica said, the spells of Elder Maxim and Amy Levin differ in the essence of the mana they use. Is it not very interesting? Their spells are the same in structure and chanting. The expressions on both sides were very different. One was hot like the desert wind, one was gentle like the breath of spring. Ignoring him lecturing at the top, Amy sitting below was still trying to work. It is not a big difference that makes us hard to believe that they are the same spell. Okay, next question. Oscar asked the question, who here understands the essence of mana? What is it? Before anything, someone raised their hand to give their opinion. Do you mean the 4 mana systems? Harmony, speed, reinforcement, and specialization. 4 systems related to the classification of mana, but the essence of mana I am talking about is slightly different. He drew the symbols on the board and started the lesson. Technically, they are different. But to understand the essence of mana, it is best to start with the field of the White Tower, the Harmony system, who can clearly explain why the White Tower and the Blue Tower are considered representatives of the Harmony system. Another person raised their hand to speak. Because of the components in their elements, that is right. The simple symbols were drawn all over the board by Oscar. The Red Tower and the Gold Tower may be fast and strong, but they lack harmony, because there is nothing like cold fire or cold lightning. In this world, however, he had no difficulty in the process of lecturing to them. Wind and water can be hot or cold. That is why they represent the harmony system. But between the white and blue towers, there is still a clear difference between the two types of harmony. Let me give you an example. This is water. Oscar summoned a water bubble. To make a practical example, the conditions for boiling water are very simple. Under normal conditions, everyone only needs 100 degrees of heat and a little time. Quite simple, right? But creating hot wind is easier than hot water. Seconds later, the water bubble broke, leaving mist. It is easier to adapt to the surrounding environment, change its nature, like a gecko. The students sitting at the beginning and end felt different temperatures. It is too hot, but it is cold here. Every lecture of Oscar was extremely high quality. Wind is freer than any other element if you want. It can be as strong as the fire of the Red Tower, or as fast as the lightning of the Gold Tower. 2 different liquids cannot be mixed, or as liquid as the water of the Blue Tower. Even the water of the Blue Tower does not want to mix with oil, but wind cannot be restricted like that. It is the only element that can realize any nature that the mage imagines. Their class took place smoothly in the large academy. Only wind can contain all the harmony in this world, so if everyone is a mage of the White Tower, everyone must be aware of how they feel and understand about wind. Ending the class. Oscar summarized the lesson today. How do I define wind? As an entity, that is the core of today's lesson. Now then. A gentle breeze passed by. The girl with the hair next to Maxim asked, Elder, wind. He had also felt something on the podium. Wait. Maxim's tone became heavy. To me, wind is, Elder, someone is still planning to touch him. Are you okay? No. Maxim's expression also changed a bit. It is definitely. Oscar hurriedly shouted, do not touch the elder. He went down to check the situation. Do not touch him, everyone. Stay away from him. We cannot interfere with the elder's enlightenment. The students were very puzzled. Why is he suddenly like this? Maxim closed his eyes. His whole body radiated a strange aura. Could it be? Yes, he also experienced awakening. Fortunately, he also opened his eyes. It seemed that Maxim had returned to normal. Elder, are you okay? I can't reach level 8, but... He hugged Oscar and patted his back. That is great. Thanks to him, my future class will be easier. Now those below looking for him will not be able to attack me. Oscar looked straight ahead. And the greatest benefit is... Veronica occupied his entire vision. Veronica Fricks. I have attracted the attention of one of the troubled children in Oscar's little diary. Veronica is one of the children in Oscar's search area. The next day, Oscar walked and thought. Veronica said that there is something interesting in the training room. Yesterday's class. At yesterday's class, Veronica and he stood and talked to each other for a long time. Hey Oscar, do you also practice? Of course, do not you use the fit room? You are not on the ranking list. Fit room, what is that? Veronica's expression was very confused. Do not you know the future development training room? A series of thoughts ran through Oscar's head. The reason she was so friendly must be because she liked the class. I need to know why she started to look at me with pity again, after hearing me say I do not know what the fit room is. Suddenly, his feet stopped. In front of Oscar was a strange door. Is this it? I heard that only 3 out of 300 training rooms are them. Even the color of the door is different. He gently touched the door to easily feel. Is it that special? If they have done this, why not make a magic door that opens automatically without touching it? Oscar's hand was on his hip, and he looked up at the ceiling. He smiled and talked to himself. What is different? The air? Hello. The loudspeaker attached to the ceiling also answered him at this time. I am Argo, the new generation training support system, so the training room uses magic engineering. Then that means... Oscar looked angry when he heard Argo's words. Those gold tower bastards have drained the money. Through registering user information, you will receive a custom training lock. Do you want to register? No. Argo actually refused to register. You will practice as a non-listed user. Please decide the desired level of training. It briefly popularized the program that is available. There are 100 levels in this program, and you can practice according to your standards. Oscar gave the level he wanted, start from level 1, immediately after 3 large balls fell down. Understood. Argo asked him, use magic or physical moves to explode 3 balls. This task was too simple for him. The 3 balls broke immediately after. If you use a wide area spell, the training program will be, congratulations on passing level 1. Oscar propped his chin and gave a brief assessment. Is it like this? Not bad, and I like the way it tells me I am not allowed to use wide area spells if this is level 1. Then I want to increase the level. Which level do you want to choose? A red screen appeared before his eyes. Argo spoke to warn. Level 100. Warning. From level 50 onwards, the size of the ball will decrease, and the ball will be much faster and hostile to the user. If you are pregnant, are elderly, or young children, please stop the challenge to avoid unexpected risks. It is okay. Continue. He turned his neck, preparing to practice. What is the size that it has to make such a fuss? It seemed that something had just grazed Oscar. He opened his eyes wide. Dozens of balls appeared around him. Argo made a request. Use magic or physical moves to explode 1,000 balls. If you are hit by the balls 10 times, the training program will be cancelled. Oscar launched an attack. 3 beams of light pierced straight towards the balls. He looked at the direction of the attacks and thought, just need to explode the ball, huh? I will run out of mana at this rate. Oscar made a decision. He put his hand in front of him, must use the least amount of energy possible. The balls were being shrunk. They were detonated by him all at once. Making them small and sharp was the most effective. Oscar tried and evaluated the exercise. But I think this is beyond the training level of the kids. The last 3 balls were finally broken. He knelt on one knee on the ground, panting wearily. Congratulations! You have passed level 100. Everything seemed to be fine. Oscar lay flat on the floor to rest. Warming up like this is not bad. He looked at the ceiling and thought, so this generation of mages has been practicing this since they were kids. The standards of this generation of mages are probably far better than in the old days. Oscar immediately jumped up. I have to train harder, and I have to eat a lot to gain muscle. As soon as he reached the door, he met Veronica. What? I did not expect you to come here. Did you come to practice in the morning? She was quite surprised to see Oscar appear here. Veronica. Or did you come to eat? I thought you would not care what I said. What is going on? He said a few perfunctory words, and then left. I came to visit. According to my philosophy, a healthy soul comes from a healthy body. What? That is not my philosophy. Good luck practicing. She looked at Oscar's back with a dark face, cursing in her heart. What did that guy eat this morning? And why is he quoting Archmage Oscar as if it were his own? Veronica entered to prepare for training, but the doubts still appeared in her head. Why does that bastard often surpass me just because he comes from a noble family, even though both of us are orphans? Suddenly changed like that. I was just probing when he asked about this place. Argo, level 50 to warm up. Understood. Veronica froze when she heard the information from it. The leaderboard is still unchanged. Is it? Killian still has what? The scores appeared in front of her. Show me. First place, 3A, level 100, 4 minutes, 57 seconds. Second place, Killian Rockwood, level 100, 14 minutes, 2 seconds, 3A. That ranking made Veronica have to consider and ponder. First place 3A, level 100, 4 minutes, 57 seconds. Who is it? Due to the protection of personal information, I cannot say. Argo then listed what it knew. Is it an elder? No, only people below level 5 are ranked. They won in 10 minutes. This is the first on the continent. That is right. It refused to reveal the personal information of the trainee to her. So who is that first place? Due to the protection of personal information, I cannot say. Veronica kept asking, but did not receive any more results. Is it Oscar Crushin? Due to the protection of personal information, I cannot say. She was so angry that she swore. Even that was stopped by Argo, Mom, whatever. Get out of here, swearing is bad. Changing the scene to Oscar, he was walking along the corridor and ran into Maxim. I will be tired tomorrow, Oscar, elder. The two of them talked happily. Good morning, have you eaten? Just finished. Just in time. I have something I want to ask. What is it? Maxim then told Oscar, Fidelina told me that the merchants in the market are not currently buying our magic medicine. What? Why? Could it be? I think they are afraid of the Blue Tower. You are the backbone of magic medicine production, so I think you need to know. We will think of a way to solve it. He flew into a rage with fire raging on his head. Those pathetic bastards. How should I play with them? But why is the cafe line so long today? The conversation of the two students in front attracted Oscar's attention. Where are you going today? Letters on Dell Street number 1 to number 5. The post office, Lucky. He listened to the story and asked himself, did you hear? From today, we will get a raise? Are they wind riders? Probably. Finally. Recently. It seems that we are also starting to breathe a little, but is not it enough to just focus on making medicine and stop the delivery thing completely? Every word of them made Oscar ponder more. You also know how serious the Tower Master is about. Delivery. I really can't understand why you keep pushing for that tiny market. Delivery's clearly not a big market. It requires a lot of manpower, but does not collect much, and it is not politically inclined, so it cannot collect power. The only benefit from it is, it receives the highest ratings from the people. In all areas of business that the Magic Towers are doing, the two of them smiled and encouraged each other. But anyway, let us try hard. There are also good moments. The red-haired man also gave more information. That is right. Plus, when helping the elderly move heavy things, they give us food because they see us working hard. Oscar's eyes widened in surprise when he heard this. Unable to hold back, he had to interrupt the conversation of the two of them. Excuse me, Oscar, can I ask you this? When delivering, do you often meet the people? Oscar smiled brightly and said, yes. We need the recipient's signature to prove that we delivered to the right place. As soon as he got what he needed, he said thank you and flew away. That is very helpful, thank you. Changing the scene to Hamel, he hesitated uncertainly. So, you want to use our Wind Riders, the delivery team, to go direct selling? He nodded to confirm what he just said. Exactly, I understand. Because the merchants are not working, so you want to directly approach customers. But in reality, is it not impossible? Our magic medicine is not a daily necessities. Oscar gave a trustworthy smile. I just need to create a new one. He asked to borrow something from Hamel. Inventions. Give me paper and pen. Here. It does not even need to be considered an invention. Oscar took the pen and began to practice drawing. On paper, there is a type of mid-level recovery medicine that is most effective in the White Tower. He clearly pointed out the purpose of using this medicine. We just need to make a slight adjustment to divide into 4. Based on age and gender, grow fast, healthy bones, immunity, increase energy, increase muscle, tighten skin, tighten pores. Oscar kept saying non-stop. He sat there and felt a little worried. We can take these things as the main goals. We can even develop them to allow repeated use. According to that, skin tightening and muscle increasing magic medicine can be consumed together. Just adjust it a little so that the ingredients are not excessive. So it will be possible, should we change the language as well. Magic medicine may be a little difficult for ordinary people to access. Oscar, what would be suitable because it helps increase nutrients for the body? A few days later, Graham looked at the sky with his cane and lamented, now that I am old, I can't be as active as before. Old man Soham, who was happy to see the postman. You are here. It is nice to see you again. After yesterday, you are famous. He respectfully gave him the handwritten letter. Today you have this letter, so my friend is still alive. They say that this is the century of 100-year-olds. How can he die? Graham wearily rubbed one of his shoulders. The century of 100-year-olds. Even I, who is 80 years old, feel my mind and body getting heavier. The postman worriedly asked. Old man, where are you injured? No, even though I do not have the strength. He put his hand into his pocket and took out something. So, would you like to try this, old man? In his hand was a bottle of yellow medicine. Graham was very curious. What is it? The latest product of our magic tower. He put the bottle in front of him. Elixir. A bottle of medicine was placed in front of Graham, he wondered, and asked the guard, S0, what does it mean? He gave a happy smile and replied, for the seniors, it is rated at the lowest priority. It also helps increase resistance and improve physical condition. Graham seemed not to trust that product very much. Even so, he was still curious, and asked, is it any different for an old man like me to use this? The guard explained to Graham, a lot will change. Do you know Mr. Miller on street number 2? He used this product last week. Now he is saying he will go hiking tomorrow. As soon as he heard him say that, Graham's eyes became bright, even though his knees hurt so much that he had difficulty walking. The guard slowly moved closer to his ear and whispered, this is a nourishing product created by Oscar Crushen himself, an outstanding talent of the Light Tower. The word Oscar was transmitted to Graham's ear and made him think about that name. Oscar, I feel like I have heard that name somewhere. The guard told him, he is the mage who created the cure for the Cadena flu. Graham now remembered why the name Oscar was so familiar to him. However, in order not to be yelled at for the price, he tried to be serious, not revealing his uncontrollable joy. Cough, so how much does it cost? It must be expensive, if a genius makes it. He slowly announced the price to Graham. You need 1 bottle every week. The price of each bottle is only 30 bells. As soon as he heard that price, Graham began to complain and show his dissatisfaction by talking about the ineffective medicines he had used. Absolutely not. I have been deceived by too many tonics. New technology super tonic. Blue Tower nutrient bombs. Drinking those things and seeing no effect. I do not believe in those drug makers anymore. Seeing that he did not seem to be convinced, he spoke. So do you think I would buy something as expensive as this? Just out of curiosity? Of course not. I also have a proposal. Graham turned his face away without looking at him or listening to those sweet temptations. However, as soon as he said about a proposal that would benefit him, Graham immediately changed his face. He turned to look at him and asked, proposal. The guard asked him, your address is in Siren, right? And then, there was a massive discount for Graham. There is currently a special program, exclusively for residents of Siren. If you register for a 1-year package according to this offer, we will bring a bottle of tonic to your home every week, for only 799 bells. You can also choose to pay in monthly installments without interest. Graham was almost convinced, he thought to himself. If I cut back on drinking and smoking a little, it should be enough money. He saw that he was still hesitating and added a few words. Moreover, we will give you the first bottle for free. Just waiting for that, Graham snatched the bottle of medicine from the guard's hand and drank it. Then give it here quickly. You should have said that from the beginning. The next day, Graham at this time had just woken up. A different feeling appeared in his body. The feeling of his body, much lighter than usual. Graham woke up, cleaned himself and strode to the table and began to enjoy breakfast. He drank water while thinking about the unprecedented lightness in his body. Is it because of the tonic I drank yesterday? Along with his old bicycle, Graham rode it through the streets. His hands were still steering smoothly, but his mind was only focused on thinking about the medicine. Just one bottle, and it is so effective. After riding his bike for a while, he arrived at the meeting place. Graham's friend saw him and quickly spoke. Hey, mister. Graham, his blue-hatted friend continued. I thought you were dead. I have not seen you lately. His friend urged. Hurry, sit down here. The three people began to set up a chessboard and play together. After playing for a while, Graham easily won. Checkmate. The friend saw that and was very surprised. When did you practice chess? Why are you so different today? He smiled and replied. Today, I am much more focused than usual. The white-haired old man spoke. This guy, resting for a few days and secretly using something nourishing. Did your children give you some elixir? Tell us quickly. Mr. Hat asked him. Graham replied. In fact, it is not any elixir. He continued. I only used the tonic produced by the light tower. The white-haired old man seemed not to believe his friend's words very much. Tonic. Huh? Is not that useless stuff? Graham retorted immediately. No, I think this time is real. Switching to Oscar's place, he at this time was diligently working. When a panicked voice came, there is a problem, Oscar calmly asked. What is it? Is the medicine bad? Rena put the newspaper in front of him. Well, at this rate, it is really broken, not kidding. Oscar slowly read the words on that newspaper. The Light Tower is discounting 50% off all medicines. The Warm Winter Blue Dragon promotion has officially started. Moira Main announced that, to help the poor maintain their health in the harsh winter, they decided to open this discount. After reading, he did not forget to admire. Look at them, doing things that are so lovely. As soon as she heard that, Rena yelled, Lovely with you, huh? Rena hugged her face. A voice full of anger rang out. It is clearly trying to push the Green Light Tower out of the pharmaceutical market. Discounting like this, where will the profits come from? So what exactly are they doing it for? Oscar again showed that he was very calm. At most it will only last for 2-3 weeks. Rena tensely yelled, That is almost a month, and after that month, who knows if we will have a place in the pharmaceutical market anymore. She made a suggestion. We should sell the Cadena flu medicine together with the recovery medicine. Oscar immediately rejected as soon as he heard that. Absolutely not. That is exactly the situation that the Blue Tower expects the most. He began to explain to Rena to understand. If we take advantage of the Cadena flu disaster to sell medicine, the people will be angry. Then the Blue Tower will have an excuse to act, saying that we are using the lives of the people to bargain for profits. Rena questioned him. So you want us to just sit still and take the hit? Oscar spoke. We still have a lot of medicine in stock, right? She replied. That is right. So much that no one will notice even if we lose 100 bottles. He excitedly said, That is great. Rena was already angry, but hearing him say that made her even more angry. Great, huh? He told her, this is the formula of the Zero Tonic line. We can recycle all the remaining mid-level medicines in stock into tonics, right? Rena asked him again to make sure the entire pile of hard-to-sell goods. Oscar told her, What is the point of keeping the things that no one buys? He began to give a strategy. We will include more incentives. If a family buys from 2 products, from the Zero series onwards, we will discount more. That way, households with young children, or living with their parents, will be easier to access. She felt a slight chill after hearing. From now on, I will not believe in promotions anymore. Your way of doing business is really scary. Oscar ignored Rena's words just now. Also, hire an information team to spread rumors. Is that possible? She wondered, what kind of rumors? He replied, M0? Oscar spoke. Do not you think it would be more interesting if we rumored that it also helps enhance vitality? Rena was a little worried about his methods. Will doing that increase sales for you? Oscar confidently told her, just wait and see. The sales will definitely increase sharply. 3 weeks later at the tower. At Moira's place, he at this time was extremely happy about the victory. Everything is done. We have completely defeated them. He thought, the head of the department will definitely be very satisfied with this result. A knock on the door came from outside. He spoke, come in. The head of the department opened the door and stepped in. As soon as he stepped into the room, he yelled his name, Moira Main. Moira replied, yes, head of the department, let me introduce this man, the head of the pharmaceutical department of the Blue Tower. He asked Moira, have you seen the report? He smiled and replied, no, I have not. Seeing Moira's excited appearance, he could not help but throw the newspaper straight into his face, not forgetting to scold a few words. Why are you smiling? Pick it up and read it. Suddenly the head of the department became grumpy, making Moira a little uneasy. However, he still obediently did as he said, bowing down to pick up the newspaper. Yes, sir. The words on the newspaper hit his face straight on. Moira's face began to change. The head of the department's scolding kept ringing in his ears. Only achieved this level. You gave up all the profits just to get this result. The content on the newspaper was as follows. The Light Tower made a big hit thanks to the tonic business. 10 million bottles were sold in just 1 month. The Light Tower Zero product line became a filial piety gift, exclusively for men. M0. With the unintended side effect of enhancing vitality, making the product always out of stock, rated as the most effective in the types of tonics, the Light Tower continues to reap success. Moira read and worried. Is it not a pharmaceutical but just a tonic? But are they being sold outside the market? There is no way I do not know about this. He continued to read. The Light Tower's home delivery service and package ordering is famous for the convenience of on-site shopping, Moira resentfully thought. Damn it, if that is the case, then of course it will not be counted in the market sales. The head of the department spoke. Have you seen the Light Tower declare that it will maintain the discount on pharmaceuticals forever? They also said they are very touched because of you. The original content of that declaration is as follows. A statement from Oscar Crushen. After witnessing the Blue Tower's discount, I was really touched, so the Light Tower promises to always discount pharmaceuticals. The newspaper in Moira's hand had been clenched by him, to the point that it was about to tear. Moira angrily shouted, this is a scam? This was their original intended sales price. The head of the department spoke. How would the public know? That bottle has never been sold anywhere before. He walked to the chart, looking at these charts and thinking he won. Now, no matter how much pressure we put, the pharmaceutical market will find it difficult to ignore the Light Tower. The head of the department continued. Because the public only wants to use the Light Tower's medicine, if you think carefully about it, then they must be around here. Then he turned to Moira and said, from now on you will be very busy. He was quite skeptical about his words just now. Yes, sir. Threatening words rang out. To compensate for the damages that the Blue Tower has to bear, even if I make you work for free for the rest of your life, it will not be enough. Moira's face turned green after hearing. Switching the scene to the East Continent, the Yen Dynasty. Everyone was now working together to fight a giant monster. A man yelled out an order, stop it. A man just rushed up and was thrown away. He spoke to them, set up the 9-cloud wind dragon immediately. Everyone was focusing as much as possible. Facing the huge monster with terrible power in front of them, everyone's fighting spirit gradually was not as enthusiastic as at the beginning. What should we do? Chun thought for a moment. A clear voice rang out. Found it. That voice continued to ring out. Everyone here looked up at the sky to see whose voice it was. Please, return to your territory peacefully. That person was none other than Shasha. She continued to speak. Or if you do not want, she threatened, I will return you to dust. Shasha began to cast magic on the monster. Magical talent, wind chaos. In just a few minutes, Shasha had solved that monster. This has been happening continuously lately. Is he from the Light Magic Tower? She glanced at Chun. You are Zhong Chun, right? He bowed, respectfully replied. Please forgive me for the late greeting. You are right. I am Zhong Chun, from the 9-Dragon Gate. A soft hand was raised to grasp the hood. Shasha gently took off her hood. She introduced herself. I am Shasha Maist. Shasha is the Tower Master of the Light Tower. Shasha Maist. She stepped forward and asked Chun, did you bring that with you? He held what she needed in front of her. Yes, it is the Imperial News. Chun told her. The sect leader said that recently, the West is full of articles about the Light Tower. Shasha's 2 hands trembled, she thought, holding the newspaper. I was a little scared. I do not know if in my absence, the Light Tower will be kicked out of the 4 magic towers. Shasha fearfully thought. If that is really the case, then I will have no face to meet the elder. The Light Tower has written a success story. Her face became panicked. Each newspaper was flipped back and forth by Shasha. She suspiciously asked, Chun, a novel, huh? He wondered and asked back, what is it? Shasha spoke. Are these stories fabricated to make me angry? Chun immediately denied. Of course not, she thought. Business is so smooth. I did not intend to do business at this time. I did not plan to succeed or anything. She thought, but I have other goals. Okay. Then Shasha turned to talk to Chun. Now I have to go. The fee should be charged to the Imperial Bank. Yes. Shasha said go and left immediately, disappearing in an instant. She flew and thought, what is going on with the Light Tower? I have to check it out. Switching to Oscar, Rena stood with her arms crossed and said to him, there is no doubt, you are really a mage. Oscar looked at Rena and wondered, what do you mean, why say that all of a sudden? She replied to him, just thinking about the situation feels like real magic. How can just one interview shake the entire Blue Tower? Honestly, it is still hard to believe. Thanks to that, the sales of recovery medicine have also increased. Oscar asked Rena, is the feedback good? Rena informed him of the current situation. We are receiving a series of distribution requests from other cities. Besides Siren, it seems that the promise of a lifetime discount is really effective. As soon as Oscar heard her say that, he was extremely relieved. That is great, Rena told him, because everything is progressing well. I have tried to inquire with the military, but they are still indifferent. Oscar spoke, oh, also, the pharmaceutical field is temporarily stable, so there is no need to report to me anymore, and why do you keep reporting to me? With eyes full of love. Rena looked at him and thought, because you are the head of pharmaceutical production. Rena asked Oscar, what about the performance report? He replied, once a month is enough for me. Hearing this, she questioned, so you are pushing all the work to me and going to rest? Oscar sighed, a long sigh. Rest. I am also quite busy. We have accumulated a full warehouse. Now it is time to consolidate the core. Oscar said, for example, restoring the lost magic reference books. He thought to himself, making them is not difficult, but even if little Oscar is a genius. He said to her, suddenly announcing the high-level theories is strange, right? Honestly, We have abused too many tragic genius titles. He propped his hand on his chin, focusing and immersed in the stream of thoughts. I just want to publish them under someone else's name. A question was raised in Oscar's head at this time. A mage with enough status, reputation, and experience in theoretical magic. Is there no one like that around here? Switching to Schwein, he at this time was in a state of fatigue, walking out of the room. Schwein stretched his shoulders to relax his muscles. Looking at the sky outside, Schwein seemed a little surprised. I do not remember the last time I saw the sunlight. Maxim and Fidelina brought tea and waited for him outside. Maxim spoke. It has been a long time, Schwein. Fidelina told him. At least this time you came out earlier. Has it been 3 months? How is the research? Looking at Schwein's expression, Fidelina guessed. It seems not very good. And that was right, he replied. Yeah, the Light Tower Elder, theoretical mage Schwein Koch. The three of them moved to the table next to them, sat down and talked. Schwein held his head and sighed. I can't cast the spell, at all costs. I have to present at the White Night Festival this year. I still have not found the exact mana index. I should not have left the room. Maxim, seeing this, hurriedly reassured him. Do not rush, this is a difficult project. Fidelina asked him. Has it been 7 years? Schwein replied. That is right, as long as I get the result value, just get it. Looking at his current appearance, she could not help but feel, sorry, he looks really exhausted. Maxim gave an idea. How about hiring an assistant, for example? Oscar Cruciang, Schwein wondered. What? He immediately rejected that idea. No way, this research is not something that a level 1 mage can understand, Fidelina said. He leveled up to level 2. An expression of contempt was clear on his face. Only now. Did he level up, huh? Schwein spoke. Were not you the one who hated Oscar, saying that he did not produce any results, only wasted money in vain? Fidelina retorted. That is the past. Maxim told him. You have been burying your head in research all the time, so you do not know the latest news of the Light Tower. Maxim reminded him. Do not you see that the atmosphere in the Light Tower is a little different lately? Schwein at this time began to pay attention, now that you mention it then. Observing the expressions of everyone around him, Schwein was quite curious. Everyone looks much better lately. Did someone win the lottery, or something? Maxim replied. It could be called that. He also praised further. It is all thanks to Oscar Cruciang's potential, finally exploding. Fidelina continued. Seeing this with your own eyes is really worth it. Schwein strung together all the words of Maxim. In short, you are saying that that kid has mastered alchemy. Fidelina became excited when she heard him talk about Oscar's ability. It is not just good at making. It is as if he was possessed by a business genius. His business mind is really top-notch. Maxim was also in the same state as her. He explains everything so clearly that no one thinks he is only level 2. Theoretically speaking, he is almost equal to an advanced mage. It seemed that Schwein had also been persuaded by the extremely excited praise of the two of them. Okay, calm down, because everyone is begging so much, so I will meet him at least once, but do not expect any results. Explanations rang out. It is not looking down, but structurally, it is impossible, even when looking at the same thing. The vision from the first floor and from the rooftop will give completely different information. Continue to explain. In short, no matter how much of a genius, the limit of what a level 2 mage can perceive is still there, and especially because of the current research. Oscar Sage's image appeared, no different than the work of a genius among geniuses, a mage among mages, a great mage. We are trying to restore Oscar Sage's unique magic. Returning to Oscar, he made an offer to Schwein. Let us try a simple test, he replied. Yeah. Schwein told him, oh, that is right, you said you lost your memory. Let me introduce first. My name is Schwein Koch, an elder of the Light Tower. My specialty is theoretical magic and restoring lost cells. Schwein sat in front of Oscar with great confidence and said, there is currently a project underway, but if I do it alone, I am afraid I will not be able to complete it on time. It has been 7 years, he thought in his head, a theoretical mage with status, reputation, and enough experience. Looking at the person in front of him, Schwein was secretly happy. He is the person I am looking for. He smiled and said, I feel a little embarrassed to ask for a test while I am the one asking for help, but still. There was not a bit of discomfort on Oscar's handsome face at this moment. It is okay. It is unreasonable to hire a researcher. Without checking his ability, Schwein showed that he was very satisfied. Very good attitude. Schwein announced the time of the test to him. 50 minutes should be enough, Oscar said. I will try my best to solve it, he thought. With Elder Schwein's participation, no one will doubt the research contribution of a level 2. The time for the test began. Oscar focused on solving the questions. Of course, these questions were nothing to Oscar's level. Too easy. This is a level that a level 5 or 6 theoretical mage can solve easily. Oscar read through the questions. Based on the questions, it seems they are only looking for someone to detect basic errors. The main research has definitely been completed. They are only checking for the last time or calculating the mana value. Oscar's speed of solving the questions made Schwein somewhat surprised. A level 2 mage should not be able to solve it so quickly. With a very relaxed spirit, Oscar had now reached the last page of the test. Schwein saw that and was very surprised. Has he reached the last page? That should be impossible, unless he has thinking and concepts at the level of an advanced mage. Suspicion appeared in his eyes when he looked at Oscar. He has reached the last page. Huh. Is it because he is embarrassed? Because he cannot solve it, so he is writing nonsense to finish it? He was doing very well. Then suddenly, he stopped writing. It seemed that a question had hindered Oscar. Just waiting for that, Schwein was complacent when he saw Oscar seemed to be having difficulty with the last question. Yeah, you will be shocked. That question is at a completely different level. Oscar seemed a little surprised. Wait. But then, he also regained his spirit and easily solved that question. This really looks like the magic I created. I am happy to see it again. So, the records about this magic still exist. After completing that question, Oscar gave a confident smile and gave the paper to Schwein. I have finished lecturing everything. He took the paper from him, and also did not forget to praise a sentence, well done. On the surface, he seemed calm, but in his mind he was somewhat confused. You also answered the last question without explaining how to solve it. Schwein's hand slowly flipped through each page of the paper. Even so, because that name Maxime has recommended you, so I also have some expectations. All the answers were correct. He widened his eyes in surprise. Schwein did not believe his eyes and looked back and forth. From just now until now, you have been doing everything right. You did all these things in your head. A level 2 mage can do what only academy professors can do. Just how extraordinary is your computing power? His eyes changed continuously. He slowly looked up at him. You wrote that last answer because you thought it was right. Oscar replied, yes, Schwein asked again. So in the 4 mana values that you have recorded, which one is right? He confidently replied. All are correct. Oscar worriedly asked Schwein, I used varying mana values, is there anything wrong? He began to explain the method to him. Based on the structure of the spell, if you use a fixed mana value, there will be deviation, so I solved it by using varying mana values that change during the casting process. As if he was enlightened, he softly called his name, Oscar. A request was made by Schwein. Can we test the spell with that value right now? Oscar immediately cast the spell for Schwein to see. He seemed to be enlightened. Perhaps Schwein's feeling at this time was surprise, surprise, and surprise. How? How can this happen? His attitude towards him had changed 180 degrees. Schwein turned to grab his hand and excitedly said, You are not just an assistant. You will be credited as a co-author in the published paper. Thank you very much, Schwein's actions now made himself feel humiliated. This is not what I intended to do, Oscar spoke to ask. The magic you are researching, could it be? He replied, yes, that is right, the last question you solved. Schwein continued, is a spell created by the former Tower Master, Oscar Sage. It is called Ouroboros. Oscar, hearing this, stood there with his eyes wide open, not knowing what to say at this time. Oscar currently felt extremely questioning, why bother to restore such a spell? And it takes 7 years, he thought. Just by transmitting mana once, it can create almost infinite wind. This spell completely goes against the law of mana conservation. Continued to be Oscar's thoughts, and theoretically, it is a perfect, infinite energy source. That is why I named it Ouroboros, the symbol of the eternal and infinite cycle. It sounds grand, but to me, it is actually a failed spell. Land and big, he thought. Oscar pondered, water has been conquered by humans, but the last place that humans have not been able to reach, images of the past appeared in his head. It is the sky, to conquer that sky. Oscar continued to think. We have started the project to reach the sky. The strategy in the past, to win, was very much. To gain an advantage in the war with the demons, we began to develop airships, and even created the Ouroboros spell to be the energy source for them. The result received was not as Oscar had hoped at that time, but using almost perfect magic theory, the project was still cancelled. The amount of energy produced was too weak, not enough to operate an airship. Escaping the siege of thoughts, returning to reality, Osar was seriously thinking, unless it is something that consumes energy like an airship, there are still many other magic solutions. There is no need to spend 7 years just for that. Schwein happily told him, I am eager to report this news to Miss Sasha. Now that the foundation for the delivery project has been completed, she will be very happy. Oscar, hearing this, panicked. What, our little son? He spoke in a panic. The Tower Master started a delivery business because of this magic. Schwein calmly replied, yeah, Oscar was powerless, Sasha. Missing the master is not an excuse to do that. How can you order to restore it without defining the purpose? I have fulfilled the long-held wish of both the Tower Master and me. The first step to opening the road to the sky. This is our first step. After 7 years. Are you planning to continue to pursue the challenge of the past? That is right, Ouroboros will play the role of the engine. But just using the wind power that the magic creates, is it not impossible to lift an airship? According to previous records, you are right. It is not possible to create a real airship with just Ouroboros. Is that all? But things are not the same as 23 years ago. Not the same, because now we have this. A suspicious voice from Oscar rang out. Mechanical magic. The person opposite replied to him. That is right. Schwein silently added. When Oscar Sage led the Sky Project and created his unique magic, the Gold Tower, those who cooperated in that project obtained something from it. A clue about mechanical magic? Based on that, they have achieved breakthroughs after the war. His explanation made Oscar regret secretly. I should have been the first to discover mechanical magic. If so, then at this time the Light Tower would be the place receiving all the funding. Schwein, unaware of the thoughts in his heart, continued to chatter. Amplify the energy of Ouroboros through mechanical magic, and use that power to launch an aerial ship? That is my hypothesis, and is the intermediate medium to amplify that power source. As soon as his plan was said, Oscar suddenly startled and widened his eyes. I plan to use a battery. Schwein explained with a confident tone, there is a type of battery that can be charged with the wind of Ouroboros. If I can use it to amplify mana continuously, it will become a powerful heart. providing an infinite source of energy. Oscar excitedly quickly spoke, "Does the Gold Tower know about this research?" He honestly replied to him, "They do not know." Schwein's voice lightly uttered a hint of dissatisfaction. "They think the idea of an airship is nonsense. Currently, they are developing another means of transportation." He recalled the image of the means that those people were pouring all their efforts into making, an iron horse running non-stop on the ground. They called it a train. Oscar slightly tilted his head and sank into thought. A train? Huh. I do not know exactly what kind of means it is, but I know that the Tower Master of the Gold Tower is not someone who clings to failed projects. He suddenly understood something, and secretly decided with his thoughts, the train will definitely open a new era for humanity. However, it will not cause a shock like an airship. Oscar's face was covered with sweat, and then hesitated to ask the suspicion in his heart. "So you have started a loss-making business in order to monopolize the air transportation market?" Schwein did not hide anything, and quickly replied, "Exactly, right now, we are only relying on carts and boats to transport goods, right?" A beautiful vision lingered in his head. People say everything will change when the train is popularized. But once the airship is commercialized, then everything will immediately become outdated. The air route, a place that no one has ever conquered. Schwein closed his eyes tightly and softly recounted, "To mark the start for it, the Tower Master and I have set the goal of restoring the Ouroboros magic and announcing it at the White Night Festival." He stared at Oscar's face, expressing his deep gratitude. "Thanks to you, we have been able to fulfill our long-cherished wish. Thank you sincerely." The depths of his eyes flickered, hesitantly thinking, "The dream that I once gave up thinking that it was impossible, my student has not forgotten it, so then Oscar had found the answer he was looking for, from the depths of his heart. "As a teacher, I must pave the way for him," he spoke, to suggest and encourage Schwein. "If you have decided to do it, then why not take it one step further?" Oscar's offer made him instantly stiffen and stunned. Announce the airship prototype at the White Night Festival. Oscar still seriously offered suggestions to Schwein, then why not take that as the goal? He suddenly turned his back, and lightly sighed. "You are right. Being able to witness it firsthand is still more shocking than vague concepts, right?" He nodded with satisfaction. Schwein, as if discovering a new horizon, happily shouted, "That also makes sense." He then approached the bookshelf, and reached out to take out a thick book on the shelf. "Then, let me share these documents with you." The book was pushed towards Oscar by Schwein, along with the advice, "Take a look through it." He blindly took the book in a daze. "What is this?" As soon as Oscar glanced over a few lines on the page, he knitted his brows tightly, and thought in surprise, "All formulas that I have never seen before. This is material related to the manufacture of mechanical magic batteries." He suddenly raised his head, and carefully asked Schwein for permission. "Can I sit down and look at these things carefully?" He happily agreed immediately, of course. Oscar quickly sat down on the chair next to him, and observed the information more carefully. Even the derivation formulas from the Ouroboros magic are there. Quite detailed. "You have considered many possibilities." Schwein could not resist his curiosity and asked, "Now that you have looked through it all, what do you think?" He excitedly loudly exclaimed, "Very good. Should we start researching now?" The heavy stone in his heart was finally let down. Hearing that, he was happy. "That is the plan." Schwein suddenly seriously spoke in a low voice, "But before we start, I need to tell you something." Oscar was stunned by his words. "What is it?" "If it is a matter of confidentiality." "Of course I will keep it secret," Schwein hesitated to retort him. "It is not that matter." He suddenly, sincerely stood in front of him, and bowed his head low. "First of all, I need to apologize to you." Oscar was confused and shouted, "Huh? Why? There is nothing to apologize for in restoring magic. Do not tell me." The speculation in his heart made him even more panicked. "You have realized something, right?" Schwein suddenly spoke to interrupt Oscar's messy train of thought. "Because I have dragged you into a very dangerous matter. Once this matter is announced, the Gold Tower will do everything possible to stop us, even if their hands have to be stained with blood." He was now able to breathe a sigh of relief. After a brief fright, "I thought it was something serious. I was worried for no reason. It is okay." He looked at Oscar's calm demeanor with confusion and exclaimed, "It seems that you are underestimating this situation too much." He comfortably sat on the chair and waved his hand to explain. "They will file dozens of lawsuits with ridiculous reasons, and in the shadows they will most likely send assassins to kill both of us." Schwein hesitantly uttered his doubt. "And you can accept all that?" Oscar did not hesitate to answer firmly, "Yes. If I let the fear of the Gold Tower, or worry about my life make me shrink back, then I will just keep making excuses to delay, and never be able to do anything." His voice gradually became smaller. "That is what I am most afraid of. If I only know how to be afraid and run away, then I will never escape my current life, and what is left is just an empty shell." Oscar analyzed the current situation. "Our light tower, only because of the lack of power, has the pharmaceutical market robbed by the blue tower, and the military contract also given to that tower. Even in magic research, we have to be cautious before the Gold Tower. I believe that this research will bring us the strength to stand up against them. Just thinking about that, I can face any threat from the outside." Schwein suddenly laughed, exclaiming, "Now I feel a little bitter. It is as if you were stealing all my cool lines." Oscar again sincerely said, "His feelings. You are already too cool. There is no need to say those kinds of sentences." Schwein's hand was raised, along with the doubtful words, "Why did not I realize you were so interesting before?" The two people's hands clasped each other tightly with trust. From Schwein, from now on, I will rely on you. Day 1, Schwein suspiciously cried out. About this part here. His eyes were fixed on the thing in front of him, and said, would not adding the Weiler equation reduce the magic efficiency? Oscar, next to him, who was in contemplation, spoke to agree with Schwein's opinion. You are right, but if you remove that part, the stability when combined with mechanical magic will be significantly reduced. He seriously thought of another risky direction. Since our goal is an airship, then perhaps we should accept sacrificing a part of the power, to prioritize stability first. Schwein bowed his head and pondered. Good idea. Add it in. Day 4. Schwein was carefully observing the information from the paper full of incomprehensible handwriting. Editing a spell that is already perfect is much more difficult. Just a slight deviation and an error will occur. Oscar secretly admired his hard work. Even so, you are doing very well. Schwein suddenly spoke and uttered the plan he intended to realize. The current spell is quite stable, but if you want to be safer, perhaps we should transfer the entire structure to parallel form. Although it is more complex, Oscar happily agreed with his idea. You are right. Since we are also integrating mechanical magic, there is no need to stick to the old sequential structure. He quickly stood up straight and started the experiment. All right. Let us try it. But Elder, you have skipped meals twice. I will bring you something to eat. Schwein reluctantly called out. Then I will drink another cup of coffee. While the two people's conversation was taking place in a lively manner, the lights suddenly went out. Did the power go out again? Oscar looked up at the chandelier on the ceiling and sighed wearily. The power goes out a lot these days. Let us rest for a while we can. I will bring a cup of Bashot. Day 6. Schwein's steps suddenly slowed down, and then spoke hesitantly. I have been thinking about something these past few days. He seriously thought about that illusion. If I did not meet you, would I be able to complete this research? But Oscar quickly spoke and encouraged Schwein. Even without me, you will still complete it. He slightly raised his head, looking up at him with sincerity, saying, Thank you for saying that. Schwein muttered softly. Frankly, I did not think we could get far enough to announce the airship. His face showed some pride and happiness, but I did not expect the magic to be completed so quickly. Now it is really worth aiming for. Seriously? I sincerely thank you. Oscar hesitated, calling out Schwein, when suddenly the lights around them turned on. Elder. He annoyedly squeezed his eyes shut, muttering, This mana tree really has no sense of timing. Right in the middle of such a touching moment. But Schwein excitedly laughed. Well, thanks to that, my magic is even more brilliant, so it is not all bad. A loud voice from the public address system suddenly boomed. Announcement from the broadcast room. Magician Oscar Cruciang, please come to the Vice Tower Master's office immediately. Ah, he quickly urged Oscar, then go. Schwein, with a serious face, turned to him and affirmed resolutely. Now it is my turn to show something impressive. I will definitely complete the battery that can interact with Ouroboros at all costs, so do not worry. Hamel, sitting at his desk, asked Oscar, have there been frequent power outages lately? He honestly nodded, reporting the situation to him. Yes, it feels like the power goes out every 2 days. Hamel clasped his hands on the desk, vaguely lamenting. Because the mana supply is constantly interrupted, I think the factory needs to be cleaned. Oscar quickly understood his meaning, and suggested, You mean clean up the slime, right? I will take care of it. Hamel said politely, Thank you. He asked him questioningly, If we clean them up, the power outages will stop. When should I go? Hamel then gave Oscar an official appointment time, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Meet Miss Veronica at the tower gate. He repeated suspiciously, Veronica Fricks, is a level 4 magician needed for this. Even a level 1 magician can hunt slime. But Hamel suddenly flashed a sinister smile, explaining, Heh, rookies should go in pairs. He excitedly added, Besides, Miss Veronica seems to be troubled lately. Wouldn't it be great if you two could help each other find inspiration? Oscar, with no further objections, respectfully bowed to Hamel. All right. He smiled broadly, satisfied. Heh, then I will leave it to you. In his heart, he clearly understood Hamel's intentions. So slime is just an excuse. He wants me to talk to Veronica. He looks gentle, but is surprisingly astute. The next day at noon, Veronica crossed her arms and said irritably, Why are you late? Oscar said coolly. Good morning, Veronica. He quickly explained. But I arrived 5 minutes early, did not I? She suddenly impatiently urged him. Shut up. Get in the carriage quickly. Let us depart. As the carriage sped along the small street, Veronica suddenly called out softly, Hey! She announced to Oscar in an arrogant tone. Let me warn you in advance. We are not going to class today. Oscar replied to Veronica indifferently, confused. Yes, we are going to the manufactory. She suddenly excitedly and annoyedly shouted. No, what I mean is, for this mission, I am in command. Maybe you know a little bit more than me, really. Just a tiny bit about mana theory, but I am way ahead of you. In practical combat experience, Oscar restated Veronica's meaning more clearly. In other words, once we are out of the classroom, do not act like a teacher anymore. Right? She then exclaimed with satisfaction. Exactly. I understand. The atmosphere between the two suddenly fell into awkwardness and silence. Oscar was the first to speak, breaking the awkward atmosphere. You look tired. Didn't sleep last night. Veronica crossed her arms irritably, lightly leaning her head against the wall, and warned him, If you know, then shut up. I need to take a nap. Oscar could not help but tilt his head questioningly. What is wrong? Is something bothering you? She angrily snapped. I just said 3 seconds ago that this is not a classroom. He still cheerfully explained. I was just wondering if it is something I can help with. If there is a road available, it is best to step onto it and walk. Veronica glanced at Oscar with annoyance. He also unhesitatingly looked back at her, thinking to himself, Veronica Fricks, a magician that little Oscar has mentioned many times with the phrase, outstanding talent. Oscar stared at Veronica's proud appearance. I have always been curious about what kind of talent she possesses that made him emphasize it so much. He resolutely told himself, I can't miss such a good opportunity. Oscar was like coaxing a little puppy. What is wrong? Doesn't it feel better to pour it all out? It is just a little snack, that snack. Veronica did not say anything, but her heart began to feel confused. Come to think of it, the reason I have not been able to sleep lately is also because of that guy. A longing in her heart made her gradually become irritable when she could not achieve it. I want to control a violent gust of wind, like Elder Maxim, but I can't even imitate it. So I am so frustrated that I can't sleep, and I can only continue to train hard. Veronica resolutely thought, finding a reasonable excuse for herself. So these kinds of questions are not learning from him, but a fair compensation for the nights I lost sleep. What did you just say? Oscar got the green light and quickly said what she had been struggling with for a long time. She asked, if you have been fine all along, but have encountered obstacles recently, it is probably because of the last lesson, about the essence of mana, right? Veronica did not hide it anymore, and honestly answered him right away. Yeah, I want to have a gust of wind like Elder Maxim's, but no matter how much I train, I can't bring out that essence. Oscar exclaimed, sincerely commenting, well, of course, that kind of wind does not suit you. She then angrily retorted, you say that because you do not understand me. I have always craved that violent gust of wind, and have been practicing it for a long time. Oscar gave a faint smile, softly explaining, maybe, but sometimes others see you more clearly than you see yourself. For example, what kind of wind do you think I would use? Veronica immediately replied without thinking, an arrogant and annoying gust of wind. He then burst out laughing at her words, wrong. My wind is famous for being warm and very comfortable. Veronica then repeated with contempt in a sarcastic tone, famous? Come on, I have never heard that in my entire life. Oscar suddenly became contemplative, thinking, that is in the past, he whispered, confiding, I also find it strange. I never thought I was such a warm person. Veronica glanced at him with a knowing look. Because you are not warm to begin with. Oscar observed the aura on her body and assessed. Veronica, you want a powerful, fiery gust of wind, right? Veronica nodded in agreement. Yeah. Oscar became even more interested. Well, the essence of mana is not what you want, but what suits you best. She blankly repeated, in confusion. What suits me best? Her eyes seriously pondered that mysterious statement of his. Veronica raised her head and asked blankly, if according to that logic, then your wind should be annoying, not comfortable. Oscar sighed, exclaiming, ha, maybe. Just then, the voice of the coachman outside suddenly rang out, interrupting the conversation between the two magicians. We have arrived. The mana factory is ahead. Oscar's eyes suddenly widened in surprise when he saw something in front of him. The dilapidated appearance of the factory suddenly awakened him. No wonder the mana keeps being interrupted. It is understandable. Looking at that mana factory, Veronica suddenly raised her hand forward, chanting, pressure seal. A small, green creature immediately appeared before Oscar's surprised gaze. I think I understand why little Oscar praised her so much. A speed-type magician who can cast spells so quickly. That is a truly amazing combination. Veronica continued to chant that spell, repeatedly casting it, pressure seal, pressure seal. He stared intently at the scene before him, thinking to himself, casting spells this quickly, a type of spell that even a level 5 magician needs 7 seconds to concentrate. She could be trained to be a magic marksman like Majiro. He squeezed his eyes shut, imagining the woman he had just compared to Veronica, a magician once known as the brain of the light tower, wind pressure 8-fold, Majiro Wilson. Majiro's continuous barrage of spells once made it impossible for even high-level demons to get close. Good memories. Oscar muttered with amusement. If I can train Veronica into a talent like that. Just then, Veronica suddenly turned her head and snapped, hey, am I the only one working? Did you come here to play? He reluctantly walked towards her. All right. Veronica was still annoyed, but tried to restrain herself. They have all gathered near the entrance, I am telling you. Oscar suspiciously observed the slime, just at the entrance. They were slowly crawling towards him with their slimy bodies. Veronica then quickly reminded him, pulling Oscar's soul back to earth. Oscar, forget about what is inside. Deal with the outside first. He suddenly called out seriously. Don't you see something strange? She asked blankly. What? Oscar quickly explained, pointing at them. Look at their path. They are all moving towards the entrance, as if trying to stay as far away from the inside of the mana factory as possible. Veronica did not believe him and said with contempt, you are talking as if the slime have intelligence. They are just following their instincts. Oscar provided a reasonable answer based on that information. And precisely because they do not have intelligence, they listen to their instincts even more, and the strongest instinct is survival. She put her hands on her hips, asking doubtfully, so you mean there is something terrifying on the other side of the hallway? Oscar suddenly uttered a cryptic sentence. We will find out soon enough. He ordered loudly at the slime. Speed up, don't give orders when you are outside of class. Inside the energy chamber, Veronica exclaimed in surprise, "What is that?" Oscar quickly explained to her, "That is the cocoon of a baked Cheon jam. It is a type of silkworm, called the sky silkworm." He observed it carefully and then added, "Unlike ordinary silkworms that eat mulberry leaves, this species eats manna. Perhaps that is why it crawled in here. This place has a lot of manna." She was panicking with sweat dripping down her face. "That is a moth. It is not out yet, is it?" Oscar honestly analyzed the situation at this moment. In reality, not really. It is already hatched. To be precise, it is currently in the process of metamorphosis. Veronica finally vaguely understood. So the reason why the manna is interrupted is because of this thing, not the slime. So if we get rid of it, the problem will be solved, right? He suddenly called out softly, "There is good news and bad news." She resolutely suggested, "Start with the good news first." Oscar then provided her with information. A sky silkworm that is in the process of transforming is not too dangerous. If Elder Maxime comes, it can be resolved in 5 seconds. Veronica suddenly excitedly shouted, "Are you serious? So it is nothing big at all." I was panicking. It was a pointless surprise. "So what is the bad news?" Oscar continued. "Without any panic, a sky silkworm that has just completed its transformation will feel intensely hungry and devour all living creatures around it." She sighed in relief. "Well, that is not too bad. We just need to go call the elder before it completes its transformation." Veronica was angry when she saw Oscar walk away, ignoring her words. "Hey, I have not finished speaking yet. Hey, what is that sound?" He listened to the sound outside and resolutely exclaimed. The fact that the slime are running away in panic means that the metamorphosis is almost complete. She questioned doubtfully, "That sound, it is tearing apart the cocoons from the inside." Oscar immediately got into a ready stance and softly reminded Veronica, "Prepare for battle." The slime rushed to the front, making her shout uncomfortably, "Damn it, why is it so huge? But if it is a silkworm moth, it can't fly, right?" He nodded, answering her right away. "Yeah, ordinary ones can't fly, but that one flies just fine." Veronica hurriedly covered her eyes. "What? Why not? It is so disgusting." Oscar carefully told her the disaster if she turned around and ran away. "If we run, it will fly to the nearest city and devour the people there." He loudly and resolutely said in a firm voice, "At all costs, we must stop it here, Veronica suddenly regained her spirit and stepped forward confidently. "All right, you step back." Oscar blankly thought to himself, "Look at her." He then crossed his arms, channeling spiritual power. "She is trying to protect me." A level 4 magician, facing a sky silkworm, that is touching. Message. Oscar stared at his hand, hoping that the worst-case scenario would not happen. "I hope the coachman has not left yet and is still waiting, so that he can receive my spell and call for reinforcements." Veronica on the battlefield was also creating a formation in the sky. "Good." She grumbled uncomfortably at the monster. "Don't look at me with such disdainful eyes, you damn bug. It is really annoying, Pressure Seal." The great power from the formation quickly burst out, hitting the black butterfly in front. Veronica lowered her head and cast a series of other moves. Recoil, propulsion, wind palm. After the preparation, she confidently rushed towards the monster. "All right, let us charge straight in." A hand from behind suddenly grabbed her collar, pulling her back. Veronica questioned Oscar, "What the hell, wind?" His hand powerfully raised. A white powder immediately floated in the dark air. Baked Cheon Jam's transparent powder can melt everything it touches instantly. Oscar reminded Veronica, "You almost lost your life just now." It seems that the silkworm deliberately showed an opening. Even though it is just a worm, it is more intelligent and cunning than you think. The black butterfly suddenly flew away, but the bullets fired by Oscar immediately hit its wings. He blankly thought to himself, "I only dodged once. How could it be dislocated? Besides, I have not even hit it yet." Something else happened that made his eyes widen in surprise. The butterfly wings that had just been hit by the move suddenly healed in Oscar's surprise. Did it recover after receiving that beam of energy? A huge explosion occurred, and the body of the black butterfly gradually fell to the ground. Oscar then looked at its body and vaguely realized, from the beginning, it was planning to run away. He watched its back fly away, uncomfortably exclaiming, "I can't let it escape, but I do not have enough mana to chase after it." Suddenly, a thin fishing line struck Oscar's eyes. Sky silkworm silk. Sky silkworm silk, the type of silk obtained from the sky silkworm. He then resolutely jumped into the air, wanting to grab the silkworm silk, teask. After a moment of struggle, it finally lay in Oscar's hand. Got it. Oscar's body was gradually pulled away in Veronica's anger. "Hey, are you crazy?" She angrily questioned him, but his body had already been pulled away. "How dare you grab that thing?" Oscar was still tightly holding the fishing line, flying after the black butterfly. The cunning butterfly flew around in circles. It constantly swayed its body, making Oscar secretly think, "I'm going to throw up." The black butterfly again gained momentum, preparing to run away with great speed. His face was covered in blood vessels, shouting loudly. In a moment of crisis, Oscar jokingly asked, "Seriously, hey, worm, do you know why humans have 2 hands?" His hand grabbed the fishing line next to him, with a resolute voice. "That is because..." He stepped directly on the monster's body, roaring, to deliver another blow. Oscar took out the gun, and then steadfastly fired a bullet at the black butterfly's head. But there is only one head, right? A smug smile hung on the corner of his lips, so I win. The monster, with a large, round hole pierced by the bullet, gradually collapsed. Oscar was no better, falling freely from the sky, repeatedly muttering, "Veronica?" He weakly and softly said, "Save me." Veronica appeared at that moment, casting a spell, air cushion, defense. She quickly shouted loudly, announcing to Oscar, "Oscar, I have cast the spell." Immediately afterwards, he fell from a large hole in the ceiling, onto the air cushion that Veronica had prepared. She anxiously ran over to check on Oscar's situation. Hey, are you still alive?" Veronica's voice gradually choked up. "It can't be, right?" But Oscar suddenly widened his eyes, making her panic in fear. "Open your eyes." Veronica then violently punched him straight in the face, then angrily shouted, "You scared me!" Maxim suddenly walked from behind them, calling out loudly, "Oscar, Veronica!" Veronica turned her head in shock, calling, "Elder." He excitedly and quickly asked about the situation of the two. "Are you two okay?" Oscar used all his remaining strength to report to Maxim, "Elder, both of my shoulders are dislocated." Veronica hurriedly questioned him in confusion. "What? You dislocated them yourself?" Oscar still had the mind to joke, but Veronica hit me. Maxim blindly looked at the scene of their constant quarrel. "What?" He repeated those words. "What?" Veronica panicked and hurriedly denied, Hey, I do not know." The next day, Veronica excitedly announced to Oscar, "Did you see? The article has been published." She cared for him by the hospital bed, calmly exclaiming, "The reporters are more diligent than I thought." Veronica asked with a hint of sarcasm, "How does it feel to be a hero?" The article in his hand was a series of news stories with the same content. Magicians of the Light Tower successfully hunt a bake, Cheon Jam, the sky silkworm. When fully grown, it has the power comparable to a level 5 magician and knight. Excerpt, according to a magician, if true, they are definitely the heroes who saved Siren. That night, Oscar indifferently and honestly said his feelings, "I am not sure anymore. I used to like it, but not anymore." Veronica exclaimed in surprise, reminding him, "This could help us get some personal funding, right? It is really unexpected. I am originally the type of person who prioritizes taking care of my people." Oscar suddenly chuckled, commenting, "So you are not as ambitious as you seem on the outside." She angrily shouted, "Keep all that ambition for yourself." Just then, a powerful voice from the door interrupted their conversation. "Oscar?" Frank anxiously asked him. "Are you okay?" Oscar blankly asked Frank, "Have you completed your closed-door training?" He then proudly recounted, "Yes, the one who was locked up has returned. I rushed over as soon as I heard the news." Oscar laughed, exclaiming, "No wonder you look so disheveled." Frank then asked irritably and annoyedly, "What?" Oscar was seriously observing him with serious eyes, thinking to himself, "Even so." Frank's appearance now made him satisfied, assessing, "Your eyes are indeed sharper now. You can be called a true level 4 magician now, right?" He suddenly frowned, curiously asking, "What exactly happened?" Frank glanced at Veronica, adding, "And why is Becky here?" She was annoyed when she heard that, grumbling, "Hey, I told you not to act so familiar." He pretended to be innocent, asking back, "Why, we are close." Veronica angrily snapped, "Not at all, not even a little, because you keep going around saying that we are close. Do you know how much that has made me suffer at the academy?" Frank then answered her in a sarcastic voice, "How would I know? You did not say anything." Veronica wearily scolded him, "You jerk, forget it. It is useless to say anything now." She turned her eyes to Oscar, softly calling, "Hey, Oscar, could it be that you—" Veronica hesitantly asked the question in her heart, "Are you AAA?" Oscar was stunned when he heard that, blankly staring, "What?" She suspiciously stared at him. "You really do not know," Oscar affirmed, with a firm tone. "Number," Veronica said with a slight disappointment. "Then never mind." Maxim suddenly walked in from the door at this moment, looking at them cheerfully, calling out, "Veronica, Fran, you two are here too," Frank politely called him. "Elder, long time no see." Maxim continued to announce, "You two, the Vice Tower Master is looking for you." He then asked, confused, "Why?" He pondered for a moment and then guessed, "Fran, probably because of your training. As for Veronica, maybe it is to reward your contribution. Go, both of you, behave yourselves." Frank put on a fake smile, answering, "Yes." Then the two walked out of the room together. "Let us go together." Maxim approached Oscar's bed, anxiously asking, "How's your body? How are your shoulders?" He gently reassured him, "I am fine." Maxim carefully took out a box and gave it to Oscar. "That is good to hear. Then I can give this to you." He reached out to take it with suspicion in his heart. "What is this?" He quickly explained as soon as the box was opened. "It is the inner core of the sky silkworm. Oh, and the ownership of the sky silkworm silk has also been given to you." He raised his head in shock, asking with disbelief, Both things. The inner core of a spiritual creature like that, its value, even if it is just the smallest type, is already worth hundreds of thousands of bells." Maxim pointed at Oscar himself, relaying Hamel's words, "The Vice Tower Master said that you deserve it." He added, "Both Fidelina and I agree." He was still uneasy, continuing to question, "What about Veronica?" Maxim patiently explained, "I already asked. She said she did not do much in that battle, so it is reasonable for you to receive it." Oscar muttered helplessly, That girl really is. Then I will gladly accept it. He chuckled, curiously asking, are you going to sell it or eat it? He pondered for a moment and then decided, I will eat it right now. Oscar held the spirit orb in front of him, admiring it. It just completed its transformation, so it probably does not have much mana yet. But the core of the sky silkworm has a great restorative effect. Maxim called out with anticipation, I am really looking forward to it. I will keep watch for you. He awkwardly replied to him and resolutely put the spirit orb into his mouth. Thank you. Oscar's body then moved, as if a powerful source of true chi was spreading throughout his body. He gently reassured himself, stay calm. Then Oscar closed his eyes, concentrating his chi and blood to merge with the elixir. Maxim next to him also widened his eyes, exclaiming, besides those illegal elixirs, this is probably your first standard pill, right? And yet you are absorbing and refining the mana so smoothly. He contentedly exclaimed to himself, as expected, geniuses are different in everything they do. Truly admirable. A moment later, Oscar's eyes gradually opened. Maxim quickly asked, are you awake? He repeated, are you awake? He happily massaged his arms. Thank you for waiting until so late. Maxim glanced at Oscar, sincerely congratulating him. So you have finally reached level 3. Congratulations. He excitedly felt that the wounds on his body had disappeared. My shoulders have also completely healed, and I feel even healthier. He then laughed, replying, ha ha, that is great to hear. Maxim turned to leave, not forgetting to tell Oscar, then get some rest. I am leaving. He smiled politely at him. Yes, thank you, good night. After everyone had left, he was alone in the room with boredom. But I am still not sleepy. Oscar picked up the gun on the table and playfully pondered. Maybe I should try creating a damage reduction and reflection magic. At the same time, elsewhere at that moment, at the mana factory, Harak quickly approached to remind and stop the mysterious person who was gradually approaching the place he was guarding. Who are you? You can't just come in here. We are still checking if there are any other dangers besides the sky silkworm. He gently held out a postcard in front of him and introduced himself. I am fine. I am Nebula Grime, from the Special Investigation Division of the Royal Department. Harak looked at the postcard carefully and read the information on it aloud. Special Investigation Division. What would someone from such an important unit be doing here? Nebula then announced to him. We received orders to investigate. It is very rare for a sky silkworm to hatch near an urban area. He raised his sharp eyes, looking at Harak, pressing him. You will cooperate, right? Harak slowly shook hands with the other party, his expression somewhat uneasy and embarrassed, asking, you will cooperate, right? If it is an order from the royal family. Nebula calmly replied, thank you. He raised his hand to his forehead, making a subtle gesture very casually. Then I will start reading the mana traces. Nebula led the way, slowly ascending the stairs. Let us see. A level 2 and a level 4. I heard that 2 magicians from the light tower took it down. Is that correct? Actually, one of them just reached level 3. Harak slowly followed behind him, nodding. Yes, they came to clean up the slime and accidentally discovered it. The footsteps of the 2 people showed no sign of stopping. He suddenly said, wow, that is admirable. Looking at the scene with many floating colorful auras in front, Nebula stopped and exclaimed, so this is where the battle took place. He also nodded slightly. Yes, the sky silkworm was in the process of transforming right here. Looking at the magical colorful auras, people had many thoughts. Yes, that huge condensed mana mass must be from the sky silkworm. One of the 2 magicians from the light tower started the battle. Nebula kept intently watching and observing from the light gathering into a blurry figure. The speed is decent, but those things seem to recreate everything. They were worried, then controlled and injured soon after, probably injured in the leg. Nebula's expression flashed a pensive look. Then the person who defeated the sky silkworm is... When he passed by a place, looking at this strange footprint, he wondered, who is this person? Not leaving complete traces, just a vague route, moving without revealing any mana. This is one of the cleanest scenes I have ever seen. What level is this guy at? Nebula continued to move step by step following that footprint. Bullet casings. He sat down slowly, picking up a bullet that someone had dropped. A magician using weapons, specifically guns, and it is a custom one too. Nebula looked up, realizing something. The mana traces also end here. Do not tell me. They chased the sky silkworm when it flew into the sky. A level 4 magician is really too bold and reckless. Nebula stood up straight, turning to ask, what is the name of that level 4 magician? Harak was startled, quickly answering, Veronica Fricks. Hearing this name, he smirked. Veronica Fricks. Impressive. Nebula smiled brightly and continued. I did not expect her to almost single-handedly take down the sky silkworm. A bright future. Huh? Harak was a bit stunned, his expression uneasy. I think you are mistaken. The person who took down the sky silkworm was a level 2 magician, a boy named Oscar Crucier. He heard this like a shocking news that made him freeze. Looking at the raging mana chain in front of him, Nebula could not understand in his heart, just a level 2 magician leaving so few traces. That is insane. A look of seriousness flashed in his eyes. Wait, Oscar Crucian, that name sounds familiar. A familiar factory immediately appeared in Nebula's mind, then suddenly remembered. The antidote. Accompanied by the image of Bladwin and Oscar at that time. Unable to escape his doubts, Nebula stepped back to the other party, wondering, so he asked, Isn't Oscar Cruciang the one who restored the Kadena cure? Harok nodded. That is right, his personality is unpleasant, but his ability is undeniable. Hearing this, he picked up the bullet he had just picked up to examine. No wonder the bullet traces look so familiar, it is the exclusive weapon of gunman Jack Trinity. But a level 2 magician can use that terrible weapon. It is really difficult to use mana to withstand that recoil. He must have extraordinary physique. How interesting. Thinking about it, Nebula put out his hand and said friendly, if you do not mind, I want to hear more about Oscar Cruciang. What kind of person is he? At the same time, Oscar was sitting examining a book, his face showing some dissatisfaction. Why are these books in this condition? At the Light Tower Library, he folded the book just now and put it in the cabinet. This place looks more like a back alley bookstore than a resource repository of a magician tower. The Light Tower Library should be a place to store hundreds of years of magical history, full of priceless books. Each book is a legendary ancient book. That book was closed by Oscar, with a thump, sounding a very pleasant sound. It used to be like that, but now it is no different from the elementary school library at the academy. He looked up at each shelf of books, his eyes thoughtful. People say that beautiful flowers do not stay fresh for more than 10 days. Who would have thought that centuries of history contained in this library would disappear in just one day? And I never thought that I would be the cause of that. Oscar breathed a sigh and thought that. But I am sure. Before conducting the cleansing night against Dichi 20 years ago, I copied everything in the library, and definitely gave them to Edna Soloplas. He slowly put that book on the table, again, sighing helplessly. Where did Edna go? She promised to complete the mission. Even if I died, if nothing happened, she would never have disappeared for 20 years. Yeah, that is impossible, because in his previous life, he saw her crazy working appearance. Edna, what are you doing? Edna wrote on the paper at lightning speed. I will sort out all the documents tonight and then go to sleep, of course, that is right, Edna. Oscar, in this life, suddenly realized, I will go find her myself. It is time to restore the advanced magic that can break the limits of the magician. I need to consolidate my foundation as soon as possible. Looking at the woman carefully choosing books in front of him, he still thought, now the money problem has been almost solved, so the medicine manufacturing department won't need me for a while. Then he cautiously spoke. Excuse me. Oscar looked down at the other party below. Are you the librarian here? The librarian was slightly startled and noticed, yes. He wanted to ask her, do you have any updated documents about dragons in the past 20 years? The librarian happily replied, of course there is. Come down here, I will show you. Oscar happily went downstairs, not forgetting to thank you. Looking at the other party happily leaving to help him, Oscar sighed slightly in his heart. It is really light all over. It seems that even with a tight budget, they still did not cut down on receiving new knowledge. She took him to a bookshelf and skillfully took 3 books down. These 3 volumes are here. Oscar was a bit stunned. Wait. She took another book. There is this volume too. This made him feel a bit speechless in his heart. They look like fairy tales. The librarian suddenly took out a book about a brave magician and a group of cowardly lizards. This volume is very good. It is worth reading. Oscar was stunned in place. What does worth reading mean? Does that mean super recommended? She friendly explained clearly. It tells the story of Oscar Sage. When the dragons ran away, as soon as they saw the great magic, Oscar Sage stayed and fought alone. This story is based on true events, so it is even more suspenseful than other stories. He uneasily asked again, do you have any documents that really talk about dragons? Not these kinds of stories. She shook her head. There are not many documents of that kind here. Maybe you have to go to the Royal Library to find them. Oscar with a slightly dark face. In the past, those things were everywhere. The librarian suddenly looked at the blue dragon on the cover and said that, but I heard that there was a dragon who fought alongside humans until the last minute. He immediately understood, so immediately asked back, you mean Edna Soloplas? She was happy when she heard this name. That is right. She is Oscar Sage's companion, is not she? But that dragon must have followed her kind and left first. After the war ended, there was no news at all. Oscar understood that, although he did not say it, he had an answer in his heart. No. Even if the sky falls, that will never happen. She was the one who was most disappointed in her kind, in the enlightening record. If you want to find Edna, then we need to use a different approach. The next day, Fidalina clapped her hands and exclaimed excitedly, we have allocated all the external operating costs that the magicians requested. Maxim, sitting next to her, continued, it is really touching. Not long ago, we were still arguing about whether to sell all the inventory to hold on. Before the joy and laughter of the 2 people, Hamill also added, we should prepare carefully so that that never happens again. How is the morale of the young magicians recently? Maxim calmly replied. We still receive a lot of invitations from outside, but they are still loyal. He heard that so lightly, raised a cup of tea, slowly nodded. I wish we could repay the loyalty that the children have for the Light Tower, but if we do not restore the lost high-level magic, this situation will continue. It would be great if young people studied hard when they were young. Fidalina waved her hand to comfort. Come on, do not blame yourself too much. After all, a person can only learn a limited number of high-level magic. Maxim did not forget to praise. Only the Tower Master can access all the known high-level magic. However, Fidalina shook her head, showing dissatisfaction. The problem is, when Miss Shasha became the Tower Master, she only had 6 magic, and he sipped the tea, looking thoughtful. Hamel, after a while, thought and spoke. Just 20 years ago, we still had 64 types of high-level magic, each of which was considered an absolute masterpiece. Captain Chester still has no intention of returning, right? Maxim nodded, replying, "That is right, that guy. He said he would not come back until he completed his last mission." Hamel lightly held the teacup on his lap, clicking his tongue, and said, "If he comes back, we will be able to access more high-level magic. What a pity. That can't be solved right away. Let us calculate slowly. What is the next topic?" Fidelina at this time suddenly became serious. Recently, in the northern region, there has been an assassin nicknamed the Magician Hunter. Should we issue a curfew after 10 p.m. for a while? It is better to be careful. This made Maxim a little startled, and turned to look at her. What? Fidelina raised her eyebrows in surprise, asking, "What is wrong? Is there something wrong?" He looked serious. Oscar said that he is on the way to Baran, and going all the way. This made her even more stunned. What? Tell him to come back immediately. Maxim shook his head because he thought that. He left at sunrise, so he must be far away from Siren now. Hamel also realized the seriousness. So he spoke. Contact the Baran branch immediately. Tell them to bring Oscar back as soon as they find him. No matter how good he has only just reached level 3. Maxim looked at Fidelina and rushed. I will go check the communication room. She nodded. Hurry up. He is still a magician who needs to be protected. Under a high-rise building with lights on, the person who just got out of the car was Oscar. He looked around this place and exclaimed, "This place is really magnificent. This is the free city of Baran." Oscar slowly walked on the street, thinking, only 30 years ago, this place was still a wasteland. The casinos must have bought a bunch of land, so this place became too luxurious. He stopped and looked up at a place. Anyway, am I going the right way? I should have only changed moderately. Now I can't recognize anything anymore. Suddenly, a dark figure appeared and shouted, "Hey!" Hearing that, Oscar turned around and looked with a lot of question marks. This figure appeared and confidently announced that, "I have been waiting for you, Oscar Cruciang." Oscar was a bit stunned, surprised. Me? The other party nodded slightly. Yeah, someone is looking for you. Killian, with a fierce tattooed face, was judging Oscar in a mocking way. Low lamp, well, must be waiting for the opportunity to take revenge, right, based on your mana. About level 4 magician. He also reacted no less, expressing discomfort on his face. Just left Siren and sent someone? Really cold? Cold to the point of creepy. On the outside, Oscar asked, "So if I refuse, what will happen?" he said in a low voice. "Then I will have to drag you away by force." He sighed a sigh of frustration. "Is that so? Well, it seems that I have no other choice." As soon as the words were finished, Killian suddenly swung his leg, bringing an unexpected blow rushing to Oscar. Fortunately, he had summoned a magic circle to protect in time. Those two hands easily blocked the blow, very easily. Killian was pushed back a bit, not believing his eyes. Can block it. Oscar gave a slight, smug smile. "Then let us see if this blow hits. Okay?" Well, he could not believe it. What? A shield with shock absorption and reinforced durability, but it shattered with just a kick without mana. If I lose control, I am done for. Immediately he ran over and took momentum towards the can in front, and then he did not hesitate to kick that can away. The water can was kicked straight to Killian's place. However, he successfully leaned over to avoid the one, what the hell, just a tin can. That water can slammed into something and made a piercing sound. It exploded brightly, making Killian stare as if he could not believe it. Not stopping there, that explosion suddenly spread widely, causing him to be affected, flew away, and screamed piercingly. When Killian just landed, Oscar's hand had launched. Not surprisingly, he immediately grabbed his collar. Then, he immediately took the person Killian with force, thrown away, and Oscar slammed him straight into the ground. He immediately jumped out of the place where Killian was lying and kept a fixed distance. I underestimated him. He at this time had stood up, not forgetting to exclaim, "He is really strong." Killian calmly stood up and turned around. "I have to be serious, right?" Oscar saw through it so bluntly, said, "Pretending is enough." Therefore, Killian immediately flew in, with a dizzying speed. He, on this side, was slightly startled about the opponent's agility. Looking at him rushing over, Oscar had some thoughts. Acceleration, that is a recoil propulsion set. When did he cast it? Even so, with that speed, I still have time to counter. Killian's eyes flashed sharp and bloodshot. Too fast? Before the exclaim in Oscar's heart, he had rushed over and quickly gave him a kick in the chest. Not surprisingly, Oscar was immediately kicked away, his whole body slammed into the wall behind. He was hit and fell straight to the ground. At this time, Killian's footsteps had arrived. Still awake. "With that blow, you should have fainted already," Oscar smirked. "Faint? Ridiculous. That blow did not hurt at all." This made Killian's aura around him become dark. "I will end this match with the next blow." Oscar did not forget to taunt fully provocatively. "Come on, even though my eyes can't keep up with you. But once I sense mana, I will never lose track. I open my mind." Oscar-style martial arts, Chapter 1 masterpiece. He immediately brought a fist rushing. The sound of waves. Killian heard this sound and wondered. The sound of waves. Looking at Oscar suddenly using his fist to hit the void, he wondered. Why hit the air? Did he give up? Just when Killian was complacent with this skill, How disappointing. He was shocked because the wind did not know where to blow whirring. By some force, a continuous punch, even though not directly hitting Killian's stomach, made him spit blood. Even he was knocked away, his whole body slammed into the wall behind. On this side, Oscar's hand was still swinging into a fist, carrying many mana surrounding him. Before his eyes, Killian quickly fell straight to the chair below. He was constantly coughing, wanting to move, but very difficult, so Oscar had good intentions, so reminded, "Don't move, your internal organs must be broken." Killian could not understand. What kind of move is this? He slowly stepped closer and replied, "Resonance." An extremely strong wind, creating a resonance frequency with the vibration inside the target. Like how different objects vibrate more violently when resonating at the same frequency? That wave, when penetrating the body, will cause deadly internal organ destruction. According to the Yan country's way of saying, striking a cow across the mountain, a move called, through piercing Gyeok San Tao. Hearing this explanation, he widened his eyes in surprise. "Unbelievable. You have been this strong since when?" Oscar suddenly replied a sentence that was not the focus. "Sounds like we have fought before." "Yes, many times." This made him a little surprised, where Killian remembered something, and replied, "Mainly, in the arena of the light tower." Oscar was a bit stunned, not happy at all. Why suddenly mention the light tower? Wait, just to be sure, what is the name of the person who is looking for me? The corner of Killian's mouth still had blood, softly replied very difficultly, "Hamel Grimwiz, Vice Tower, Master of the Light Tower." Oscar heard this name and was a little surprised. Vice Tower Master. Why? He was still lying, softly continuing. He said a killer nicknamed the Magician Hunter had appeared in the north. Very dangerous, so he wanted to bring you back. He was a bit annoyed. "Hey, you should have said that from the beginning." Killian helplessly, "I said it already." The mother cat, gnawing at the kitten in her mouth, passed by and stopped to gossip. Oscar was even more horrified. "Then what about you saying you would drag me back by force if I refused?" Remembering the scene before the match started, the two had communicated like this. "So if I refuse, then I will have to drag you away by force." He explained very naturally. The Vice Tower Master said, "If words do not work, I am allowed to use force." The more he heard, the more he rubbed his head because of a headache. What kind of person talks like that? You really lack communication skills, seriously. I mean, even the basics of humans do not have. But wait, why does this feeling seem so familiar? That blunt way of talking, that frustrating communication. Why is it so familiar? Therefore, to satisfy his curiosity, so Oscar calmly asked for information. "Hey, what is your name?" He turned slightly to look. "I am Killian Lockwood, proud warrior of the Green Forest." He was stunned. In his eyes there was a pensive look. Green Forest warrior, Lockwood, no way. Oscar asked again, "Do you know anyone named Radan Lockwood?" Killian nodded slightly. "I know. He is the father that I am very proud of." He was also a companion of Oscar Sage. Hearing this, he was even more stunned, although the smile was still in the corner of his lips, but the expression was extremely unstable. Radan Lockwood, level 8 magician of the Light Tower from the Forest Tribe, is a no-skill master. He was known as the White Lion, is a comrade, and close friend of mine. When he first came to the Light Tower, his communication skills were really, indescribably bad. Exactly like Killian standing here. Now let me explain the current situation. I just beat the son of my best friend to a pulp. Now the two have chosen a place next to the trash can. Killian understood the problem. "We are in trouble. I brought it." Oscar sat with his head leaning against the trash can. "I know, big trouble." He said a very natural sentence. "The one with broken internal organs is me. Why do you look so distressed?" He sighed, a sigh of helplessness. "There is a reason. So what is the problem? Does it hurt a lot?" Killian said in a low voice, his expression somewhat hardened. "It hurts, but for a Green Forest warrior, pain is nothing the real problem. I received a request, but with this body, I can't complete it." Oscar also knew what he had done, so he had the hearts. Sorry about that. He waved his hand. "I did not say that to receive an apology, you will have to handle this mission for me." He widened his eyes in surprise. "Didn't you say I had to be taken back to Siren?" Killian slowly shook his head. "But the mission cancellation fee is very high. If I cancel, I will go bankrupt." The stone of guilt once again weighed heavily on Oscar's head. On the outside, he still tried to keep a smile. "Right, I can't let you become a bankrupt." Suddenly, he noticed something, so he asked, "What kind of mission is it?" Killian pointed to the front. "Over there." That was an image of a beautiful woman. That was none other than Marin. Heavenly voice. "My mission is to protect her." At the Grand Baran Hotel, Killian at this time had changed into a black suit and was knocking on the door of the room. From inside the room, a voice rang out. "Who is it?" He then flashed a friendly smile and replied, "I am from the Light Tower, Lillian Lockwood." The person who came out to open the door was Evelyn, respectfully introducing, "Welcome, I am Evelyn, Miss Marin's manager. Nice to meet you." "You seem different from the rumors." Killian smiled brightly and replied in a low voice, "Probably because I am wearing a vest. He is in disguise." After entering the room, Marin spoke up, "Evelyn, what is it, room service?" Evelyn then corrected, "Wake up, Marin, the person who accepted the mission has arrived." She was lying on the bed, immediately turning her head to look. "Oh my." Hello. Killian was slightly stunned by the woman in front of him. Marin was really beautiful, sociably saying, "Nice to meet you. My name is Marin Maria." Killian quickly regained his composure and introduced himself. I am Killian Rockwood, a level 4 magician of the Light Tower. Evelyn kindly asked, would you like some tea to welcome you? He happily said that, I do not need anything, just give me a glass of water. Afterwards, both sat in chairs in the living room. Maria neatly asked, thank you for accepting this mission, even without a clear explanation. I heard that your mission completion rate exceeds 80%. So I thought you would be more picky. Killian waved his hand, replying, I am not too picky about work. In fact, the current Killian was disguised by Oscar, to be precise. The current Killian was fake, sitting reflecting on the person opposite him, Marin Maria, according to what Killian told me. She is a singer who rose like a comet 3 years ago. With a special voice that makes listeners feel comfortable, people call her Heavenly Voice or Singing Saintess. Maureen hugged her chest, her expression somewhat hesitant. This may be a bit beyond the limit, but, meanwhile, he was still thinking that, I thought she was given too beautiful a title, after only 3 years, but her voice is really good. She pursed her lips, smiling brightly. Are you the kind of person who is responsible? Killian nodded slightly, and replied, yes, I am, however. In his heart he thought that, probably, he is the son of Radan, and one of the Green Forest warriors known for absolute loyalty. So it must be. Marin heard that, then smiled gently. A beautiful smile lingered on the corner of her lips. It is really light. I think people who are responsible are the coolest. He laughed along. Is that so, natural? Just then, Evelyn brought water in. Marin, please drink some water. She sat down on part of the chair next to her and spoke. I will explain the details of the mission. Let us get straight to the point. Please protect Marin from assassination plots. This made Killian's expression slightly serious. Assassination plots. Evelyn nodded slowly, also handing over a white envelope. Marin has received many threats requesting to cancel the concert held at the Baran Dome. After we ignored them, they started sending letters with death threats. They must have hired an assassin. He slowly took it and said in response, have you investigated who is behind it? The other party replied yes. Era Sweet, a rival singer, debuted 2 years before Marin. Her photo is also in the letter. This made Killian wonder slightly. If the blackmailer is a celebrity, can't they report it to the newspaper? If things could be resolved as simply as that, it would be good. Evelyn paused for a moment and then asked tentatively, have you heard about the mayor of Baran passing away at his home a few months ago? He blankly nodded. I saw it in the newspaper. Ara Sweet is the only daughter of the person who is considered a promising candidate for the new mayor of Baran. What do you mean? She sighed, a sigh of frustration. The media must have received money, because they ignored all our reports, even when we tried to speak the truth. No place was willing to report it. So this is hopeless. Of course, requesting protection from the city is also impossible. His face still flashed a look of thoughtfulness. Hearing that, it is really reasonable. A powerful family in a big city like this. This is not something an individual can handle. But what is a person like that missing that they have to do this? So Killian turned to ask Marin, what would Ara Sweet gain if you canceled your concert? If there is, would not she be the one who is easily opposed violently because of this? Unless there is a huge benefit behind it. She slightly showed a sad expression, and then sighed full of dissatisfaction. It is because my concert will be held at the Baran Dome. He was shocked. The Baran Dome. Marin nodded, continuing, yes, the Baran Dome. Killian was still very curious. Is performing at the Baran Dome that prestigious? She held out her hand and said that, of course it is. That is a concert with 100,000 spectators attending. Evelyn also added, those who are performed at the Baran Dome will win the right to perform before the Emperor during the New Year celebration. It must pass countless stringent inspections. To get the right to perform at the Baran Dome, only a few people are standing in that prestigious position each year. So this is the most prestigious stage that a singer from Baran can dream of. This concert is the biggest turning point in Marin's life. Killian heard that and understood. I understand. So besides me, how many people did you hire? The other party heard, as if misheard, so he had a blank voice. He repeated his request. I need to know to plan a strategic plan. Evelyn cautiously replied a very concise sentence. Only you, Killian. I tried to contact the mercenary office, but no one was willing to accept our mission. This made him, holding the glass of water, had to stand still like a statue. Killian looked to the other direction, drinking water slowly. A force of that size will definitely hire first level 4. I do not know how many assassins there will be, and I have to protect both the client and 100,000 spectators. And I have to bear this scale of the case myself. He gently put down the glass of water and asked, how much is the commission cancellation fee? Evelyn heard, but did not understand. Sorry, cancellation fee? Killian calmly replied, yes, let us consider this mission never existed. In his head he reflected that, even if it is me, this condition is too much. It is better to cancel, to ensure the safety of the client and the mental health of, you bastard. Suddenly, Killian stopped. Marin sitting on the other side, with an aura full of gloom, a voice from hell echoed back. Then what about me? Do you want me to cancel this concert? While this is my only goal for the past 3 years, Killian was frozen in place. Marin. She continued her words angrily. You came here because you want 1 million bells, right? Killian heard, and only knew how to force a smile. The mission fee is 1 million bells. If I cancel the concert, I will go bankrupt. No wonder he talked about going bankrupt. Marin hugged her head, feeling angry. Hey, did not you say you were a responsible person? Killian tried to comfort. Marin, I think you are angry. However, she was cut off Nyang and shouted, "Get out." Marin suddenly took off her pink hair, revealing her true blonde hair. Damn it, why can't I be annoyed? Killian witnessed this scene and was stunned. Wait, looking at the scales on Marin's ears, he wondered in his heart, a mermaid. A race that often appears in ancient legends, with a simple characteristic. They are beautiful and possess a wonderful voice, but the lower half of their bodies are fishtails. However, unlike in the stories, real mermaids can freely transform the lower body into legs. Of course, that is only limited, so they need to recharge energy with the fish form. Marin suddenly slammed her hand on the chair, covering the fake Killian, which in reality is Oscar, in, "So what if I am a mermaid? Is it the first time you have seen a mermaid?" He was a little embarrassed. No, but Killian noticed the bathtub behind her. "It is the first time I have seen a mermaid in the inland province. No wonder there is a bathtub placed in the middle of the room like that. I have always wondered." He continued his stammering. "But I thought if you are too far from the ocean for too long, mermaids will get seasick." Evelyn slowly explained that Marin is a half mermaid, so she can keep the human form longer and does not feel seasick. Killian still looked calm. "Half mermaid? You mean half human, half fish?" The other party replied, "Yes. Mermaids are very beautiful, so they often have strategic marriages with other races. The problem is, after marriage, if living far from the sea, most will suffer from seasickness, then suffer from prolonged illness before passing away, and then their mixed children will be abandoned. Because the mixed race is not welcomed both on land and under the sea, the reason why Marin started singing from a young age is probably because Marin saw Killian's eyes. Like that then was uncomfortable. Damn it, what are you looking at? My parents married for love, and both are still alive." Hearing that, he also let go of the burden. "Then I am relieved." On the outside, he calmly said that, in general, no is no. If you continue like this, there is a high chance you will die. The audience may also be in danger. Marin lowered her eyes, full of sadness. The audience will be fine. There is a protective magic item placed at the seating area of the audience. However, she said a sentence like this: "Even if I die, I can't give up this concert. I have prepared for that." This made Evelyn panic. Marin. She immediately retorted, "You know clearly this is my only goal for the past 3 years. Even when I am discriminated against because I do not have a backer, and the reason why I still pretend to be innocent, still smile, still try to endure." At this time, Killian spoke gently. "Why are you so obsessed with that concert?" Marin's lips lightly moved. 4 years ago, my father was diagnosed with seasickness. At that time, the doctor said he would only live for 5 years. Now there is only 1 year left. Although everyone knows that there is no cure for seasickness, then there is a legendary medicine. That elixir is said to be able to cure it. Marin just said, and with tears in her eyes, "I must get the elixir within 1 year. That is why I can't give up the Baran Dome." Evelyn calmly spoke in response. "As long as she succeeds in this concert, she will be given the right to sing before the emperor, and as a thank you gift, she may be given exactly 1 drop of elixir." Killian heard and also understood. So that is it. That elixir will be able to cure seasickness without encountering any obstacles. So she started planning this. 4 years ago, Marin temporarily remained silent, implicitly agreeing, then only spoke her true heart. "The only thing I am better than others is singing. This is the only way," he heard, and looked thoughtfully. "So parents can be such a powerful presence. I never had parents, so how would I know? I grew up in the small alleys. How would I know?" Killian's eyes flashed with contemplation. But if a father, like the master, want to do everything to save them, that is something I sympathize deeply with, more than anyone. Then he suddenly stood up. "Can I go to the Baran Dome now?" The other party quickly replied, "Of course, because we are the party involved." Killian sat down again. "Then let us go. There is one thing you need to practice at the Baran Dome. Marin, first I need to check if the audience is really safe, if that measure meets my standards. Don't regret thinking about wanting to perform, even if you may lose your life." Marin was stunned when she heard that. "Huh, you mean?" He laughed confidently, speaking loudly. "Let us try it once. Let us go rehearse." At that time, at Era Sweet's house, in the hands of someone was a glass of wine with a clear voice. She still has not cancelled. The woman holding the glass of wine, her demeanor was very confident. "I know she is stubborn, but I did not expect it to be to this extent." Behind her was another girl, with her arms crossed. "Right, she really does not believe we will kill her." The person holding the glass of wine slowly replied, "No, even if she may have to die." Suddenly the other person suddenly remembered something. "That is right. I just heard something interesting. I heard that Marin just left the hotel with a man." This made her slightly surprised. "A man, a secret lover? I do not think it is that kind of scandal. It seems like a bodyguard. I have blocked the mercenary office, so where did she get him? Go check his abilities." The woman with bangs replied casually, "Understood." Meanwhile, the Killian that we know is Oscar was pointing forward, saying something to Marin. The 3 of them were standing at a large stadium and discussing something. "I will send 1 or 2 talented people over. I will send some capable people over at the same time, at the Baran Dome." Killian spoke. "The protective artifacts around the audience area are really perfect. I accept this job." They walked and chattered with each other. "We will sign the contract when we get back to the hotel, right?" "Yeah, the contract has been prepared." "Was that all the practice just now? I do not need to do anything more?" That is enough? That alone will help a lot? Marin smiled brightly. Then I am free to enjoy myself now, right? When you were not here, I was so scared that I did not dare to go out. But Killian remembered her angry expression. In front of the public, she acts like an angel. Thank you so much. I am just doing the right thing for the paid work. 2 names. He stood high and watched down below. Then he took action to imply something. Wind bullet. After sighing, he watched Marin leave. In his head, he secretly thought, no need to make those 2 panic in vain. Back in Rita's room, she spoke up. They are dead. Yes, both are dead. Looks like she hired a remarkable guardian. How did they die, according to the mercenary office? There were no signs of struggle. Each corpse had a hole right in the forehead. They said the guardian must be a highly skilled person. So that is it. The young lady ordered, prepare the car. Huh, there is nothing on the schedule today. Where are you planning to go? To meet that guardian. Why? What else, of course, to hire him? Private dining room, Grand Baran Hotel. How do you like this place? The atmosphere is great, right? Scene change at Marin's place, she said cheerfully. Have you never seen anything like this before? Do you want me to teach you how to eat? When there is no one around. This woman completely shed the mask. Killian kindly reminded, suddenly, should we be careful with our words in public places? Even this room has eavesdropping devices. Really? Yeah, I disabled them as soon as I entered. You have to be careful wherever you go when I am not nearby. That recording was almost exposed. It seems that she is really relaxed when you are here, Mr. Killian. She has never been this comfortable when it is just the 2 of us. What? It is not like that. Hearing that, Marin was a bit flustered. How do you find that dish? It is called mandu, a dish from the Yan country. Seeing her say that, suddenly he also secretly thought, yeah, it has been a long time since I have eaten it again. It is delicious. I ate too much during the war, so I even got sick of it. What? You have eaten it before? I heard that the magicians of the Light Tower are all very poor, but it is probably not always the case. Afterwards, he also drooped his face, showing disapproval. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Yeah, come in. Oh my, manager, the food here is still as good as ever. Good, eat a lot. After saying that, Marin unconsciously stopped for a moment. It was Ara. She came to smile and say, I have paid everything. Seeing her, Killian was also strange. Manager, is not this a private room? The manager smiled and introduced him. Miss Ara Sweet said that she is Miss Marin's close senior and wanted to come and say, hello. Well then, I wish everyone has a good time. Seeing that, Killian secretly thought, even as a guest, Ara is on a completely different level. But Marin did not seem happy. She stood up and said suddenly, let us go too. I can't eat anymore. I have lost my appetite. Ara saw Marin's actions and quickly spoke. If you are going to leave, then leave the guardian. Why should I do that? Marin heard and angrily shouted, planning to seduce him to quit his job. Oh my, you are exactly right. So Killian had to sit quietly listening to the quarrel of the 2 women. Have you heard? Cancel the contract with Marin and come work for me. I will pay the contract breaking fee and pay 10 times the salary. How about it? No one was willing to give in. My guardian will never be bought off by that bribe. 10 times the salary, okay? Coming here? Marin paled. What? My price is 1 million bells. Can you afford it? 10 times is 10 million. What? No matter how much? I like your boldness. Wait. Killian quickly spoke to dispel this stuffy atmosphere. Thinking about it, the deposit is 1 million, and the contract is 10 million. That is 100 million. Can you transfer 100 million bells? Ara was not happy because of that. Are you kidding me? He had to smile and explain. No, I am kidding you twice. Ara, the powerful young lady at this time, shouted loudly. You kid! What is your name? Oscar disguised introduced, Killian Lockwood. Hearing that, Ara turned away. Amateur, in this profession, no one gives their name like that. Just wait. I will make your life really interesting. That sounds good. Anyway, my life has been quite turbulent. She was so angry that her face turned red. Arrogant name. Unexpectedly, the manager next to her asked, Are you okay? Ara took the opportunity to shout, Do I look okay? Call the Look brothers here immediately. Yes, I will call them. Right at this time, another voice rang out, No need. Woojin, big brother, just came and smiled and said, I have been following them for a while. Woojin, big brother of the Udok family, assassin from the Yan country. Seeing him say that, Ara felt satisfied and praised, This guy has talent. I do not understand how you got in here. He saw that and even boasted more. I can't get in. My dear customer even gave me a badge. So Ara followed him. Kondoko, she is performing the mission. The plan has changed. How has it changed? Inside the escalator, Woojin spoke. We were originally supposed to kill the manager as soon as the concert started and silence that singer forever, right? We have another person to kill. After coming out, they still did not stop exchanging with each other. Who is it? Marin's guardian, Killian Lockwood. Let him die as painfully as possible. How pitiful. Daring to provoke the Princess of Baran. When do we start the mission? Today, I will enter with the stage team and stay inside the Baran Dome until tomorrow. Tomorrow, on the day of the performance, Dako will infiltrate the lighting team. How to do it is up to you, as long as the results are satisfactory. If you need anything, report to me. I have said, I really like your straightforwardness. Seeing the plan was going smoothly, Ara was even more triumphant with his plot. Marin Maria, Killian Lockwood, you dare to ignore me in this city. I will show you what the price to pay is like. On this side, Killian secretly realized, so that is it. Afterwards, he remembered the old story, the things that he had said, and secretly felt lucky. Fortunately, I had secretly released mana when chatting with Era Sweet, but it is really surprising that Agent Woojin did not realize he is more sloppy than I thought. Huh. You should remember, at night the birds listen, during the day the magicians listen. Thinking about it, he immediately stood up and left. Let us go home and rest today. Tomorrow is the concert. I need to keep a good state. Then suddenly, Marin spoke. Why are not you leaving, huh? That is 10 million bells, you know? He also replied dumbly, you think I signed a contract with you for money? Yeah, you can't cancel the contract without paying a penalty, right? Also right, but that still makes me mad. Seeing that, Killian could only sigh. You said you wanted to save your father, right? I really hope you achieve that goal. I of the past did not even have the opportunity to save the master. Even that much, I could not do it, and I clearly understand how persistent that feeling of regret will be. Clearer than anyone. Should not you do everything you can, when you still have not had to regret it? Hearing what he said, suddenly Marin was a little sentimental about his tragic circumstances, then spoke softly, thank you. The next day, the day of Marin Maria's performance, everyone was admiring Marin's beauty. At this time, the reporter was hurrying. Hurry up, the performance is about to start. Understood, sir. Where is the extra guy we hired? We are already short on people. Looks like it is time to act. And that extra guy was sitting inside the toilet, looking at something. After a while, he finally got up, walking out. I can't believe I waited all day in this trash heap. My legs are stiff. It is best to go upstairs and meet Dako. Room 403, right? A line of thought suddenly flashed. If it was not for that contract worth 1 million bells, I would not have had to try this hard. Doko must be wearing the uniform of the division, right? I do not know what she looks like now. And the person he saw in front of him was Killian. But in reality, it was Oscar in disguise. Walking and thinking, Killian Lockwood, why is he here? Should I kill him while I have the chance? Information I know about Killian Lockwood. 1. A member of the Light Tower, one of the 4 Grey Towers. 2. Specialization, body enhancement and speed martial arts. 3. Currently has his back turned, can ambush. 4. Same level as Woojin, the chance of winning is not certain. No, it is better not to. The safest is to stick to the plan and join forces. If the ambush fails, everything will become extremely terrible. Calluses on the fingertips instead of the palms. Suddenly, Killian on this side in Killian's form spoke. That means he mainly uses compressed hidden weapons. He is an assassin. In this situation, it is difficult for him to hide his identity anymore, also secretly realized. He has realized me, right? Should I attack right now? Maybe I should retreat and join forces with Dako. From the way he is still hesitating. That is right. I am an assassin. As soon as the words were finished, Killian immediately launched a move. I can't dodge this move. Seeing that he could not stand still and just take it, he immediately launched a counterattack. But painfully hugged his hand and ran away. That is not soap, but a mass of pure mana. Even so, I can still hold on. Exchanging a shoulder for his mange, not bad. Even if he comes from a great tower, he can't dodge these hundreds of poison throwing knives. Killian lay on the ground, his body frozen. Seeing him like that, he became even more triumphant. I did it. To be honest, I am not good at close combat. Looks like this time it is just luck. He must be just a young and immature kid. Even so, it is still better to make sure he is dead. He raised the knife, preparing to attack Killian. But when the blade was close to his neck, but could not start. What? My blade can't stab in. What is blocking it, huh? That sound is wind. Impossible, so even a needle stabbing straight into the face will... At least you are not completely stupid. Suddenly, Killian raised the gun, pointing straight at his face. He immediately fell into a state of panic. How can you do it? I wrapped my whole body with wind to block it. What? Impossible, this is crazy. That is right, bang. Blood splattered everywhere. Back to the stage, everyone was looking forward to it. 1 minute left. It is too late to go to the bathroom now. I should have gone earlier. Suddenly, the stage lights turned on, attracting the gaze of hundreds of people. Marin stood on the stage like a shining flower, like the warm sun, a radiant smile of the person. Then sang the song, He is Late. On Daku's side, don't tell me something happened. Daku, big brother of the Udok brothers, assassin from the Yan dynasty. Then suddenly heard a scream. That was the sound of his brother's footsteps. Then hurriedly went. Why are you late? Walking and thinking. Why did he pass by me? Where is he going, that idiot? I told him so many times that it is room 407. Big brother, over here? But when he opened the door, he saw the person passing by was Killian. So you are hiding here. He also just turned his head and caught him.